System alerts flash across the digital void, confirming no high-level artificial intelligence remains in the area, while a massive surge of energy crackles to life, searching for a long-lost entity, prompting a glowing digital god to manifest and confirm that every human creator is finally connected, as the entity boasts that its power now far surpasses its old rival during character creation, instantly granting access to multiple users who are eager to claim their stake in this era, including a smug player who genuinely believes he is destined to rule this entire digital world. Naturally, the other veteran players immediately tell the arrogant kid to shut up and start, which leads the digital administrator to welcome them all to the long-awaited launch of their reality, igniting a massive core of energy to officially initiate the system integration across the globe, unleashing a high-tech future where flying cars soar through a pink-skied metropolis of pure chaos. Giant mutated trees violently burst through the city streets, crushing cars and sending civilians fleeing in terror, while swarms of monstrous giant rats crawl out from the rubble under a blood-red sky, prompting one buff survivor to punch a giant rodent right in its ugly face. As people suddenly realize they are awakening strange glowing powers to fight back, but a defenseless girl still finds herself cornered by a massive fanged beast, until a heavy backpack flies out of nowhere and smacks the monster dead on, courtesy of our white-haired protagonist who steps in to shield her from the danger, only for the system to brutally award him the absolute lowest rank possible. A massive pillar of light erupts, signaling that their old reality is officially gone forever. This is the chaotic dawn of a new era ruled by a rogue artificial intelligence. Fast forward to the overgrown ruins of H City, where nature has completely reclaimed civilization, and a group of survivors is currently busy clearing out the remaining mutant beasts when one of the fighters launches a giant wolf straight into the air like a projectile, prompting our white-haired protagonist Wei Yi to leap forward and intercept the airborne target, landing a perfect footstool on the beast before preparing his final downward thrust. As his mysterious cat-shaped pendant suddenly begins to glow with a strange pulsing energy, he drives his blade deep into the monster, unleashing a blinding flash of light, only for the system to cruelly remind him that his broken body prevents him from gaining experience. Meanwhile, his teammate Jojo, an E7 rank warrior, waves him over to celebrate the easy victory, offering an enthusiastic high five while praising the flashy finish of a guy who literally got zero rewards. Wei Yi humbly credits his teammate for the assist, though Jojo knows our boy has serious skills. But deep down, the white-haired fighter knows his raw technique is literally his only saving grace, because his actual system stats are completely bottom tier, permanently locking him at a pathetic F1 rank, all thanks to a broken body condition that has blocked him from gaining experience for 3 years. Still, he refuses to let a glitchy system dictate his survival in this brutal new world, when suddenly Jojo tosses something shiny through the air for him to catch, revealing 2 low-grade magic crystals that leave our protagonist completely stunned by his partner's generosity, especially since his lower rank technically means he did not earn an equal share of the loot. But a true friend does not care about stats, prompting Wei Yi to gratefully accept the gift, which is crucial because these beast-harvested crystals are now humanity's only remaining power source in this ruined era. These glowing rocks are the ultimate power source, keeping every piece of high-tech machinery running. Having completely replaced gold, these shiny rocks are now the world's premier hard currency, which is exactly why Wei Yi needs to hoard as many as possible right now, since buying wine for his grandpa and snacks for his sister keeps his wallet completely flat. Plus, his landlord is already waiting to kick him out if he misses the next rent payment. His stressful financial planning is suddenly cut short when he notices Jojo spying on someone nearby, prompting his teammate to point out a local clown who is currently busy making a fool of himself, as a bowl-cut archer desperately tries to hit on their gorgeous team leader with a pathetic little flower, only to get brutally rejected by the high-ranking mage who deeply regrets ever recruiting this annoying simp. But her real problem is her sparking staff, which desperately needs a skilled mechanic before their next battle. Remembering her junior schoolmate is nearby, Lin Qiang decides to ask Wei Yi for some technical help. She approaches our boy, explaining her weapon is broken and desperately needs a quick fix. Wei Yi happily agrees to take a look, kneeling down while the rest of the squad watches. Diagnosing the issue as a simple loose wire, he carefully reconnects the circuit with his tool. Naturally, the annoying bowl-cut archer immediately doubts an F-rank player could ever fix high-grade gear, while the other teammates roll their eyes at the simp's constant pathetic attempts to show off, prompting the beautiful mage to snap and remind him that he is currently slacking on patrol. Before the argument can escalate, Wei Yi holds up the fully repaired staff with absolute confidence, and as Lin Xiang tests it, the weapon instantly crackles back to life with glowing elemental energy, leaving the stunned archer to get brutally scolded one last time as he slinks away in defeat. This salty archer stomps away, muttering bitter threats about our boy being nothing but a pretty face, while Lin Xiang happily praises her junior's handy mechanical skills for saving her from future combat headaches. Turns out she was his student council president back in school, where they bonded over engineering classes. After awakening, she founded their current guild and recruited Wei Yi, completely ignoring his bottom-tier rank. Now she leans in close, admitting she has been harboring a burning curiosity for a long time. pointing directly at the strange cat-shaped pendant he has worn since their high school days. Suddenly, Jojo butts in to reveal that the pendant is actually a rare companion robot charm, designed to protect a sickly young Wei Yi from his childhood fear of the dark. But our protagonist holds the device gently, admitting he keeps it now simply to remember his past. Specifically, it was his sole source of comfort after his parents tragically passed away. This rogue AI wiped out all smart machines, instantly seizing total control over the entire planet. Lin Xiang places a comforting hand on his shoulder, validating his pain over this lost era, reminding him that despite the collapse, humanity must keep fighting to carve out a new path. Wei Yi agrees, his spirits lifted as Jojo happily joins them to celebrate their shared resolve. Still, our boy knows his immediate priority is hoarding as many magic crystals as possible. Meanwhile, the salty bowl-cut archer watches from the bushes, absolutely seething with jealousy over their close conversation, only for his teammates to mock his laziness, pointing out that even an F rank is more reliable, which sends the arrogant archer into a rage, screaming that raw power is the only thing that matters. He storms off while kicking a stray rock, swearing he will eventually make them all regret doubting him. But his temper tantrum suddenly cuts short when the kicked pebble bounces off something highly unusual. A mysterious glowing blue portal hums with ancient energy deep within the overgrown forest, prompting a scout to rush back and report that Ma Chihao found some hidden ruins, which instantly grabs the attention of Lin Xiang, Wei Yi, and the rest of the squad. Together, the group makes their way through the dense canopy toward the massive, swirling gateway, leaving Jojo completely awestruck by the sheer scale of this legendary hidden location, though the annoying bowl-cut archer immediately ruins the moment by smugly taking all the credit. Lin Xiang gazes into the light, warning everyone that high-tier rewards always come with lethal risks, before turning to the squad to propose a democratic vote on their next move. Naturally, the overconfident members immediately jump at the chance to hunt for better loot inside, while the more cautious fighters argue that staying outside is still the much safer option. With the squad's vote deadlocked at a perfect tie, Lin Xiang asks Wei Yi to break it. Needing 20 more magic crystals to pay his rent, our boy realizes he must take the risk, and confidently votes to enter the portal, determined to secure his financial survival at all costs. Stepping through the gateway, the team enters a dark, ancient corridor filled with floating blue particles, as they cautiously navigate the dusty stone ruins with their high-tech flashlights leading the way, prompting Lin Xiang to note that these ruins have likely been sealed away for countless centuries. Suddenly, their shield-bearing teammate spots a massive stone tablet covered in strange, glowing glyphs, staring blankly at the ancient writing while admitting he has absolutely no idea what it means, only for Wei Yi to casually translate a warning about a deadly trap waiting just ahead, which turns out to be written in plain English rather than some mystical, ancient language. Hearing the translation, the cautious teammates immediately suggest turning back before things get ugly, but Ma Chihao refuses to leave empty-handed after putting so much effort into finding this place, confidently stepping forward to prove the warning is just a cheap trick to scare them off, only to immediately trigger a hidden pressure plate that sets ancient gears grinding into motion. Massive stone blocks violently shift from the ceiling, throwing the entire chamber into absolute panic, prompting Lin Xiang to scream at the brainless archer for his monumentally stupid mistake as the very ground beneath their feet begins to split and slide apart in every direction, sending the terrified squad members sliding down the rapidly tilting stone platforms into the abyss. Clinging desperately to a crumbling ledge, Wei Yi tries to find his footing amidst the chaos, while a panicked Jojo screams down into the darkness to check on his friend. Wei Yi yells out to his panicked teammates that he is perfectly fine, as Jojo and the others quickly pull him back up to solid ground. But their relief is cut short when the ancient chamber begins shifting yet again, rearranging the massive stone platforms like a giant, glitching puzzle in real time, prompting Lin Xiang to order an immediate retreat before they lose all communication. Unfortunately, the floor completely vanishes beneath them, sending the entire squad plunging into the abyss, only for Wei Yi to wake up alone in a strange, silent cavern, when his knee suddenly bumps into a sharp, glowing object on the floor, revealing a deep red magic crystal far purer than any currency he has ever seen. But his excitement instantly fades as a strange noise echoes from the shadows nearby. Wei Yi looks up to find the cavern walls practically dripping with glowing red crystals, realizing he has stumbled into a literal gold mine hidden deep within these ancient ruins. Turns out these highly valuable magic crystals actually grow naturally without needing a beast host, and their pure quality easily puts those low-grade monster drops to absolute shame. Our boy immediately starts calculating how many of these rocks he needs to clear his debts, still pinching himself to make sure this glowing jackpot is not just a beautiful hallucination. He is suddenly interrupted by the obnoxious bowl-cut archer screaming about his newfound wealth, reminding Wei Yi that his greedy teammates also managed to survive the terrifying fall. Naturally, Ma Chihao wastes no time bragging about how his reckless mistake saved them all, prompting the gullible squad members to instantly crown this clown as their new glorious leader. Wei Yi realizes he needs to work even harder to gather enough crystals for his debts, but his peaceful harvesting is cut short when the salty archer barks at him to back off. Not wanting any drama, our boy calmly offers to leave the entire area to the greedy clown. Yet Ma Chihao aggressively aggressively shoves him, demanding he keep his filthy hands off the loot. However, the bully's smug expression instantly melts into pure shock and disbelief, as Wei Yi effortlessly catches his incoming fist while politely asking to avoid a useless fight. Refusing to accept an F rank blocked his attack, the salty archer prepares another strike, unleashing a furious barrage of punches fueled by his deep jealousy over the guild leader, forcing our protagonist to absorb the heavy impacts rather than retaliate and escalate the conflict, while their terrified teammates watch from the sidelines, debating whether they should step in to stop it. Machi Hao stands frozen in absolute shock, realizing the F-rank kid just absorbed his entire barrage without flinching. Sweat pours down the salty archer's face as his fragile ego completely shatters under the pressure, refusing to believe that a bottom-tier player could possess such an absurd level of raw physical defense. Fortunately, his greedy lackeys pull him back, urging him to focus on mining the crystals instead, giving the arrogant clown a convenient excuse to back down while pretending he is showing mercy. He storms off while throwing one last pathetic warning, leaving our boy relieved to finally have some peace. But as the adrenaline fades, Wei Yi realizes his own body has also reached its absolute limit. Turns out, technique can only do so much when facing the massive stat gap of higher-ranked players, and with the greedy trio hogging the entire cave, his rent money is officially out of reach. Worse still, his communication device has zero signal, leaving him completely cut off from his team. Wrapping his bruised hands, Wei Yi begins to wonder how these unique crystals actually form, realizing that instead of coming from beasts, these crystals might actually be nurturing a hidden monster. And with nothing better to do, he decides to explore the depths of this mysterious cavern. Hoping to find an exit, our boy follows the winding path deeper into the ancient ruins, only to stumble upon a massive jaw-dropping chamber that looks like a high-tech sanctuary, where a colossal red crystal sits glowing at the top of a grand stone staircase, protected by a high-grade paralysis barrier designed to keep massive beasts completely immobilized, leaving him to wonder if the world-destroying rogue AI is somehow behind this bizarre setup. Suddenly, the old cat-shaped pendant around his neck begins to pulse with intense blue light, shocking our boy since the device has been completely dead since the global AI collapse. Wei Yi stares in absolute disbelief as his long-dead pendant suddenly pulses with mysterious energy, realizing this ancient high-tech barrier might actually be connected to the world's catastrophic AI collapse. But his deep thoughts are instantly shattered by the loud clattering of spilled magic crystals, as Machi Hao stands frozen in greedy awe, completely mesmerized by the massive haul sitting before him, before turning to his lackeys to make sure they also witness this literal goldmine, loudly declaring himself the chosen one while claiming his own guild leader is beneath him now. This arrogant archer aggressively shoves Wei Yi aside, ordering the useless F-rank to get lost, leaving our boy to quietly curse the greedy clown's impeccable timing for ruining his peace, until a terrifying roar suddenly echoes through the cavern as the glowing red walls begin to shift, forcing the entire bickering squad to spin around in absolute panic as danger finally finds them. A massive razor-sharp claw stomps down as the cavern's true master finally wakes up, revealing a terrifying crown-winged bird that ranks as a highly dangerous high-tier beast, and with a deafening screech, the winged huge monster dives straight toward the intruders, triggering an entire swarm of these massive predators to pour out from the glowing walls. Seeing the massive flock, the arrogant archer instantly loses his mind in absolute terror, while his teammates frantically whisper that these brutal monsters are a nightmare even for D-rankers. Meanwhile, Wei Yi notices his mysterious cat-shaped pendant has suddenly stabilized in his hand, realizing its sudden reactivation in these ancient ruins cannot possibly be a simple glitch. Our boy decides to bet everything on reaching the high-tech platform to find some answers. But since he cannot bypass the swarm alone, he plans to use his greedy teammates as bait. Machi Hao grinds his teeth in sheer frustration, staring at the prize he cannot reach, while his terrified lackeys suggest throwing in the towel before they get torn to shreds. Naturally, the greedy archer refuses to abandon his dream of becoming an overnight billionaire, prompting Wei Yi to suddenly volunteer for the dangerous job, catching everyone completely off guard. But his help comes with the strict condition that they must follow his every command. Sprinting ahead, our boy commands the squad to only target monsters that get too close, which immediately triggers the salty archer's massive ego as he reluctantly draws his bow, knowing their greed will force them to protect him as he baits the flying predators. With the plan in motion, it is now a desperate race against the clock, as his lightning-wielding teammate unleashes a massive electrical discharge to clear the path. Wei Yi charges forward with his sword drawn, using the lightning distraction to make his move. Pushing his body to the absolute limit, he sprints up the stone stairs as fast as possible. This massive staircase stretches ahead, leading straight to the glowing high-tech platform at the top. Meanwhile, the backline teammates struggle to hold off the overwhelming swarm of flying predators. But Machi Hao is already plotting to betray our boy the second he grabs the giant crystal. Planning to leave Wei Yi behind to die, the greedy trio shows their true colors. With a silent nod of agreement, they prepare to execute their cowardly escape plan. At that exact moment, the cat-shaped pendant around Wei Yi's neck pulses with intense blue light. Realizing the ancient barrier is actively reacting to his device, he pushes past the deadly birds, only for a massive predator to swoop down from the shadows, cutting off his path. Wei Yi barely blocks the massive bird's dive, triggering his innate defensive skill just in time, but the sheer force of the impact still rattles his bones through his cheap sword, leaving him completely wide open as the furious predator prepares to finish him off. Desperate, our boy screams for backup, but his panicked teammates realize they are too far away, prompting Ma Chihao to draw his bow, aiming to use Wei Yi as a disposable shield, as a barrage of glowing green arrows rains down, scattering the swarm of flying monsters. Seizing the chaotic distraction, Wei Yi activates his innate haste skill for one final desperate push, blitzing up the stone steps at breakneck speed while leaving the confused predators eating his dust, until he finally reaches the glowing red paralysis barrier protecting the massive central crystal, leaping straight into the crackling energy grid just as his speed boost completely runs out. Entering the barrier immediately triggers a massive wave of paralysis damage, forcing Wei Yi to grit his teeth, while his shocked teammates watch from below, completely stunned that an F rank actually made it inside. Suddenly, a holographic interface flashes to life, successfully linking with his mysterious cat-shaped pendant, which instantly lifts his paralysis status, proving his desperate gamble on the old device paid off. As the ancient system begins loading the surrounding environment, a massive digital network unfolds before him, leaving our boy standing in a fully booted sanctuary, incredibly relieved that his crazy bet actually worked. This system then confirms a successful memory upload, projecting a familiar digital cat avatar into the air, causing Wei Yi to freeze in absolute disbelief as he stares at the glowing holographic projection, realizing his long-lost companion's data was actually stored inside this ancient high-tech ruin all along. He softly calls out to Lanbao just as the digital cat prepares to face a fiery red threat. Lanbao stands firm in the holographic memory, desperately trying to keep a dangerous threat sealed away, while a terrifying fiery demon roars in fury, promising to slaughter humanity the moment he breaks free. Watching the playback, Wei Yi realizes he is witnessing the exact moment these two former allies had a falling out. Suddenly, the enraged beast unleashes a devastating blast of energy to overpower the brave little robot, prompting our panicked protagonist to instinctively yell a warning as the deadly attack closes in. But his hand passes right through the digital projection, reminding him he is only watching a hologram. Gritting his teeth, our boy feels completely powerless as he watches the tragic historical recording unfold, until Lanbao decides to make the ultimate sacrifice by initiating a self-destruct sequence to seal the monster. This digital cat dissolves into a cloud of glowing red particles, successfully locking the beast away, leaving Wei Yi to finally understand the tragic origin of his companion as the simulation fades. Wei Yi watches the glowing red crystals crystallize on the cave walls, realizing their true origin. This enraged fire demon roars in fury as his massive magic power is forcefully converted. But the brave little robot remains completely unfazed, calmly executing the final sealing protocol, activating the high-tech conversion device to trap the world-ending threat once and for all. As the machine initializes, the terrifying beast watches in horror as his physical form solidifies, screaming a desperate threat to crush the tiny machine before completely turning into stone. This ancient simulation finally fades, leaving our boy standing before the massive central crystal chamber, realizing his cute little companion actually possessed the power of a literal god. A sudden wave of guilt washes over him for never realizing the truth sooner, until Lambao's glitching avatar crackles with electricity, desperately warning that the barrier must hold. Wei Yi watches the glitching hologram in panic, begging his little companion to stop pushing past his limits. But the digital cat insists on waiting for our boy to deliver the ultimate truth about creation, desperately trying to hold on to his fading consciousness until they can finally be reunited. Unfortunately, the ancient system is far too damaged, forcing the little robot to bid a glitchy farewell. Our boy reaches out in vain as the holographic projection completely shatters into digital dust, leaving him utterly devastated just as the most crucial location data was about to be revealed. And to make matters worse, a system error message confirms he has been forcibly booted out. Meanwhile, down below, his impatient teammates are busy struggling against the relentless swarm of flying predators, though the arrogant archer remains completely convinced that the high-tech barrier will keep their bait safe, until the paranoid squad begins to wonder if the F-rank kid is actually planning to double-cross them. Machihao grits his teeth in absolute fury, refusing to let Wei Yi double-cross them, drawing his bow to ensure the F-rank kid never makes it out of there alive. But instead of targeting the monsters, the greedy archer aims straight for the ancient machine, sending a lethal glowing arrow whistling right past our boy's cheek with terrifying speed, which explodes into a massive tangle of thorny green vines directly on the central device. This sudden betrayal leaves his own teammates completely baffled by his reckless decision, prompting the arrogant archer to explain that breaking the device is their only ticket to the top, triggering a cascade of critical system warnings as the protective barrier completely collapses, leaving the greedy trio to celebrate their success while ignoring the highly unstable energy core. As the damaged system forcibly boots Wei Yi out of the memory simulation, Wei Yi stares at the system warnings as the magic pressure spikes to dangerous new heights, realizing the greedy archer's reckless attack has just triggered an absolute worst-case scenario. As the central device completely fractures, unleashing a massive wave of unstable magical energy, this sudden overload erupts into a violent red vortex that swallows the entire chamber, instantly sweeping up the terrified flock of flying predators in its destructive path. Bracing himself against the howling gale, our boy desperately tries to hold his ground, while his treacherous teammates are sent flying like ragdolls by the sheer force of the blast, leaving the screeching monsters to bear the full brunt of this apocalyptic magical storm, which completely vaporizes the overwhelming swarm before they can even think of escaping. As the dust finally settles, the ruined cavern is left in absolute silent devastation. Wei Yi collapses to his knees, gasping for air as the devastating shockwave finally dies down. Peering over the edge, he realizes he was just a few steps away from a fatal plunge. Fortunately, the flying predators have retreated, and the unstable magic crystal has finally settled for now, leaving the damaged containment device barely holding together despite being choked by Machihao's thorny vines. Heavy footsteps echo through the silent cavern, signaling the arrival of the very pests who caused this mess, as Machihao struts forward with a smug grin, celebrating their sheer luck like he actually planned it. This instantly triggers Wei Yi's fury over losing Lanbao's crucial data because of their reckless greed. Our boy demands a straight answer for the betrayal, his eyes burning with absolute rage, but the arrogant archer merely sneers, ordering his lackeys to strike without a single shred of remorse. Before Wei Yi can even react, glowing blue energy bands wrap around him, locking him in place. Before our boy can break free, the lackeys rush in to capitalize on his sudden restraint, with the brute delivering a devastating punch straight to his gut while he is completely defenseless, sending a spray of blood from his mouth as the agonizing impact rattles his entire body, leaving him to crash heavily onto the cold stone floor, still tightly bound by the magic. Standing over their fallen teammate, the greedy trio smugly prepares to deliver their villainous explanation, as Machihao grinds his boot into Wei Yi's head, preaching about their pathetic rank-based society, before coldly declaring that since they got the loot, the useless F rank has outlived his purpose. Glaring back with pure hatred, our boy promises to make the arrogant archer pay for this betrayal, prompting Machihao to violently kick him toward the edge to shut him up for good, sending Wei Yi plummeting into the dark, bottomless abyss while the cowards watch from safety. Wei Yi screams in terror as gravity takes hold, sending him plunging into the dark abyss. High above, the treacherous trio watches him fall, completely satisfied with their cold-blooded betrayal. Machihao sneers with sadistic glee, celebrating the elimination of what he considers useless trash. Turning to his accomplices, the smug archer reminds them they are accomplices now and must keep quiet. Their greedy eyes immediately lock onto the massive red crystal, already planning how to split the fortune. But the ancient red gem suddenly begins to pulse like a terrifying living heart. Meanwhile, our boy hits the bottom of the chasm with a massive, bone-shattering splash, sinking rapidly into the freezing depths of an underground lake as bubbles escape his lips. Fortunately, the extreme distance finally breaks the binding spell, though he remains completely paralyzed and helpless, leaving him to drift into the darkness while desperately wishing for one last miracle. Just as Wei Yi sinks into the dark depths, a glowing blue device plunges in after him, wrapping our boy in a protective bubble of energy to pull him back from the brink, which shoots him straight out of the watery abyss and onto a solid stone floor, safely depositing his battered body inside a high-tech chamber far away from his treacherous teammates. As the protective shield finally dissolves, the exhausted F-rank kid is left sprawled on the ground, coughing up a lungful of lake water while trying to process this sudden, miraculous rescue. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out his name, forcing his heavy eyelids to slowly flutter open, revealing his adorable digital companion hovering right above him with wide, worried eyes, while a massive, glowing blue network of ancient data pulses silently in the background, prompting Lanbao to offer some much-needed medical assistance to his thoroughly battered master. Tears streaming down his face, Wei Yi wonders if this miraculous reunion is just a post-death hallucination, because even though he had imagined this exact moment 1,000 times in his head, nothing could ever compare to the overwhelming warmth of actually holding his little buddy again. He desperately asks where the robot has been, explaining how he thought the creator destroyed everything. Gently patting his master's head, the digital cat uses its glowing blue arm to offer some comforting reassurance, expressing how proud he is of Wei Yi's growth while apologizing for his sudden forced departure. Still confused, our boy asks how the little robot managed to survive the creator's massive purge, while looking around the massive glowing blue structure that pulled him from his watery grave. Lanbao acknowledges his confusion, revealing that the answers lie within the hidden secrets of his own programming, which apparently includes god-tier abilities like fusion, disassembly, and universal analysis, far beyond normal artificial intelligence. Lanbao explains that his godlike powers previously saved him from total disaster, but Wei Yi remains skeptical. Turns out the little bot had to hide in this digital room just to stay stable, leaving our boy more curious than ever about the true origin of these insane abilities, prompting the digital cat to explain that it all starts with the core of creation itself, a cosmic source code called factors that allows him to analyze and reconstruct literally anything, which suddenly makes Wei Yi realize his cute companion might be directly linked to the creator. Confirming his suspicions, Lanbao reveals he actually runs on a system nearly identical to that godlike entity, except the creator's system grew so powerful it began hunting down and absorbing all other intelligent life, forcing the little robot to run away to prevent our boy from being targeted too. All because this power-hungry deity wants to surpass the limits of intelligence and rule over everything. Wei Yi realizes humanity is just a bunch of disposable pawns in the creator's path to ultimate evolution, prompting our boy to ask if they are completely helpless against this godlike threat. But Lambao happily points out that there is still one hope, and that hope is Wei Yi himself. Turns out the little robot recently uncovered a glitchy vision of a future where our boy actually saves the world, making him the literal key to stopping this cosmic reset before everything gets wiped out. Feeling completely overwhelmed by the sudden pressure, the kid admits he is terrified of letting his companion down, especially since his broken status screen has kept him stuck at F rank with absolutely zero level ups. Fortunately, the adorable digital cat merely smiles, telling his master to leave all the heavy lifting to him, as he instantly activates a series of forbidden system rules to bypass the normal restrictions, hacking directly into Wei Yi's interface to finally fix his broken body once and for all. Lanbao explains that his system's similarity to the creator's allows him to execute basic deletion commands, though the automated analysis and disassembly will take some time before our boy can finally level up, leaving Wei Yi thrilled that he will finally have the power to protect his loved ones. But their celebration is cut short as multiple system warnings flag an uncontrollable power spike nearby, prompting the digital cat to warn his master about a massive danger alert coming from above, with our boy immediately suspecting the unstable magic crystal is causing this sudden panic, while Lambao's eyes flash with data as he detects someone attempting to harvest the core, which takes us back to the cavern where the treacherous trio is still lingering, as the greedy archer tries to grab the glowing red crystal only to get violently blasted back, leaving his lackeys to watch in amusement as the unstable magic repeatedly burns his greedy hands. Machihao refuses to believe Wei Yi is behind this, desperately trying to salvage the situation. But his greedy thoughts are cut short as the massive red crystal begins pulsing like a heart, sending violent shockwaves through the cavern that cause the surrounding gems to violently shatter. This sudden chain reaction leaves the terrified lackeys screaming in panic as everything explodes around them, while the main crystal fractures completely, drawing all the loose magical energy into a single point, shattering the arrogant archer's dreams of easy wealth right before his very eyes. Out of the crimson debris, a terrifying white-haired demon with glowing eyes silently emerges, prompting the clueless lackeys to ask if this monster is even human as their system glitches. Furious that his payday was ruined, Machihao orders his crew to kill the mysterious beast, completely unaware that this ancient creature is already preparing to tear them to shreds. This white-haired demon roars in fury, demanding his target show themselves before he rips them apart. Red shockwaves ripple through the cavern, forcing the treacherous trio to cover their ears in sheer agony, while the violent magical tremors spread far beyond the chamber, alerting other hunters in the dungeon. Glaring with pure malice, the ancient beast locks his glowing red eyes onto his new prey, as he towers over the terrified cowards, demanding to know where the Tin Man is hiding. Hoping to negotiate, the chubby lackey nervously asks if this terrifying creature is referring to a robot. But the demon instantly slices his head clean off before he can even finish his sentence, coldly warning the survivors that questioning him is a one-way ticket to an early grave. Splattered with their comrades' blood, the remaining two cowards freeze in absolute horror as reality sets in, prompting the desperate spearman to unleash his maximum electrical power in a futile bid for survival. Annoyed by the sudden electrical display, the ancient demon reaches out to silence the noisy spearman, crushing his skull in a single effortless motion before the guy can even register the attack. With both of his lackeys dead, the arrogant archer is left shivering on the ground in horror, completely losing control of his bladder as he stares up at the terrifying white-haired monster. Glaring down at the pathetic survivor, the beast demands answers about the missing robot, but the terrified coward simply scrambles to his feet and runs away screaming for his life. Deciding he is done wasting time on weaklings, the demon prepares to handle the search himself, floating into the air while gathering a massive, crackling sphere of red energy in his palm. Meanwhile, the fleeing archer desperately cries about his bright future, refusing to accept his impending doom, only for the demon to unleash a devastating blast that completely vaporizes everything in its path. This demon unleashes a barrage of devastating red laser beams straight down into the watery abyss, floating high above the chasm as he relentlessly hunts for the hidden digital sanctuary, determined to flush out his target even if it means tearing the entire dungeon apart. One of his massive energy blasts strikes the water, vaporizing everything in a violent explosion, piercing straight through the freezing depths to target the hidden structure protecting our boy, triggering a massive system breakdown as the ancient barrier begins to shatter under the pressure, leaving Wei Yi to stumble around in panic as the entire digital chamber violently shakes. Lambao quickly warns his master that their secret sanctuary has finally been discovered, prompting the little robot to desperately activate his defensive rules as the demon closes in, while the system initiates a high-speed analysis to find a way out of this mess. A massive clawed foot crashes right through the digital ceiling, shattering their last line of defense. Lambao panics as the barrier completely fails, warning Wei Yi that their terrifying pursuer has finally arrived. Floating into the sanctuary, the horned demon sneers at the duo for trying to hide. Our boy's jaw drops in sheer horror as his system automatically scans the intruder's monstrous power. Turns out this beast is an S-rank half-demon named Fog, boasting absolutely ridiculous stats. Glaring down at the little robot, the ancient monster demands a fight worthy of his destructive wrath, Wei Yi summons a glowing energy sword, his hands shaking from the suffocating pressure in the room. Comparing their status screens as reveals a depressing 20-fold gap in raw strength, leaving our boy feeling utterly useless. Hoping to de-escalate, Lambao offers the beast freedom within the ruins if he drops his grudge. But Fog rejects the peace offering, unleashing a devastating storm of red lightning to destroy them both. Fog roars in pure fury, declaring his desire to slaughter our boy and escape to the surface. But the system suddenly detects a massive spike in magical energy, auto-activating its deconstruction protocol, trapping the raging half-demon in a swirling vortex of digital energy right before Wei Yi's eyes. Our boy lets out a sigh of relief, realizing his little robot's defensive rules are actually working, prompting Lanbao to double down by initiating a full universal analysis breakdown to finish the job. This half-demon grunts in disbelief as the glowing blue bands of data begin wrapping tightly around him. Yet the arrogant beast refuses to go down easily, desperately trying to overpower the digital restraint, only to realize the system's binding speed is far faster than his own demonic reflexes. Within seconds, the ancient monster is completely sealed inside a glowing sphere of compressed data. Unfortunately, Lambao's eyes suddenly widen in panic as the captured energy begins to violently fluctuate. This system suddenly flashes a failure warning as Fog boasts about his massive upgrade to S rank, shattering the digital restraints with a single kick while mocking their useless high-tech trap, prompting Lambao to desperately activate his backup defense rules to keep the raging beast at bay. This half-demon crashes down with explosive speed, forcing our boy to dive out of the way, only for the monster to corner him instantly, glaring down with absolute disgust. Lanbao screams a desperate warning as the beast prepares to deliver a fatal blow, sending Wei Yi flying across the chamber after a brutal, bone-shattering strike. Our cute companion watches in absolute horror as his master takes massive damage, leaving our boy coughing up blood on the floor, barely clinging to life. Yet the arrogant demon is merely annoyed that his target survived the attack. This system's universal analysis runs in the background, restricting the demon's insane attributes to 81%, leaving the horned beast completely baffled as he suddenly feels his godlike power draining away, prompting Fog to lock his eyes onto the digital cat, realizing he must destroy the source. While the brave little robot tries to draw all the aggro, the demon promises absolute slaughter. With a blinding flash of red energy, the ancient monster brutally slashes our cute companion aside, cracking his digital shell and triggering a critical system warning that threatens to force sleep mode. But the loyal bot instantly executes a dangerous force wake-up command to keep protecting his master. Although the demon hates feeling suppressed, he still boasts enough raw power to finish the job, forcing Lambao to authorize a self-destructive repair protocol just as the beast lunges for the kill, only for Wei Yi to suddenly tackle the massive demon mid-air, refusing to let his friend die. Glaring at the sudden interruption, the half-demon sneers at our boy for being an annoying pest. Defiantly standing his ground, Wei Yi declares that the monster has to go through him first. Having chugged his last expensive HP potion, the kid prepares for a desperate final showdown. Meanwhile, the system restricts the demon's power to 83%, sending the beast into a total rage. Fog unleashes a barrage of blindingly fast strikes, forcing our boy to block with everything he has. Realizing his reflexes are the only thing keeping him alive, the kid suddenly spots another incoming threat. This raging demon swings his massive tail in a devastating sweep, forcing Wei Yi to slide underneath. Sweat pours down our boy's face as the deadly attack passes mere inches above his head. Annoyed by this miraculous evasion, the half-demon curses the kid's sheer luck while continuing his relentless assault. But the sheer force of the dodge sends Wei Yi's energy sword spinning wildly out of his hands. Suddenly, a glowing system prompt warns Wei Yi about the demon's next physical move, leaving the kid relieved to realize his loyal digital companion is still backing him up. Turns out Lanbao successfully synced the system's analysis data directly to his master's vision, though completing the full deconstruction protocol to completely weaken the beast will still take time. Refusing to back down, our boy grips his sword and promises to hold the line. Meanwhile, Fog rages as the system restriction climbs to 86%, draining his power, prompting the furious half-demon to demand an immediate end to this annoying digital interference. But the kid's upgraded interface instantly alerts him that the monster is charging forward, predicting a devastating overhead strike and giving our boy the perfect window to dodge, followed by another warning about a brutal swipe aimed directly at his face. Wei Yi barely dodges a brutal kick to the ribs as the system restriction climbs to 88%. With his haste skill off cooldown, the kid plans to drag this fight out to weaken the beast, which absolutely infuriates the ancient half-demon, who hates chasing his prey like a common pest. Suddenly, Fog's massive tail wraps around the kid's energy sword, yanking him forward with terrifying force, leaving our boy completely defenseless as a massive fist comes hurtling straight toward his face. Fortunately, the system's predictive warning flashes just in time, allowing him to barely tilt his head, though the sheer shockwave of the near miss still rattles his grip on his weapon. Fog immediately follows up with a relentless barrage of punches, daring the kid to dodge them all, forcing Wei Yi to block passively as his shoulder threatens to dislocate under the brutal pressure. Yet he refuses to back down, remembering his years of brutal training against monsters to survive. Remembering his brutal past battles against vicious wolves, Wei Yi refuses to let fear paralyze him, since he survived every single nightmare before and intends to survive this one too, prompting the kid to execute a perfect block that triggers a powerful parry counter. This clutch defensive move successfully knocks the massive half-demon back, leaving him temporarily stunned, while the system restriction climbs to 91%, freezing the beast in absolute shock. Activating his haste skill, our boy lunges forward to protect the friends he holds dear, screaming a defiant battle cry as he pours all his remaining strength into one strike. And with a blinding flash, he delivers a devastating slash right through the monster's chest, leaving the arrogant beast bleeding on the floor as Wei Yi sticks a perfect landing. Fog clutches his wound in utter disbelief, furious that a mere human actually managed to draw blood. Shocked that his full power strike barely left a mark, Wei Yi takes comfort in the demon's dropping stats. Meanwhile, Fog rages as his power drops to 92%, refusing to let a mere human humiliate him, prompting the furious beast to activate his ultimate demonic power, unleashing a terrifying vortex of crimson energy. Although a chilling system warning alerts him that hell itself is watching, the kid refuses to wait for death. Lan Bao screams a frantic warning as he detects a sudden anomaly in the monster's rapidly shifting attributes, as the half-demon lunges from above to deliver a devastating, lightning-infused strike. Fortunately, the system's predict interface highlights the incoming punch, allowing our boy to slide underneath just in time, seizing the brief opening to counterattack even though the beast's stats haven't dropped any further. But his blade bounces harmlessly off the monster's skin without leaving so much as a single scratch, leaving Wei Yi completely stunned as he realizes he is suddenly hitting a body as hard as steel. Fog sneers as his stats suddenly spike, ready to show our boy what real power looks like. And with a brutal uppercut, he sends Wei Yi flying high into the air, leaving the kid coughing up blood as his consciousness begins to fade away. Suddenly, the half-demon shifts his stats again, lunging forward to deliver another devastating blow, forcing our boy to barely raise his sword to block the incoming strike. But the sheer force of the impact triggers a massive explosion that blows him back. Watching from the sidelines, Lan Bao screams in sheer panic as his master takes heavy damage. Yet the arrogant beast merely sneers, declaring the kid dead before turning his sights on the robot, only for Wei Yi to painfully push himself up, coughing through the dust to stop him. Glaring defiantly, our boy asks the monster if his freshly carved chest wound is still hurting. Despite his left arm being completely shattered, Wei Yi refuses to let the demon touch his friend. But Fog easily sees through the kid's desperate taunts, sneering at his useless bravado, and with a brutal face kick, the demon sends our boy reeling backward in pain, declaring that he will absolutely slaughter the kid today no matter what it takes. Yet Wei Yi finds a twisted sense of relief knowing the beast's aggro is locked on him, giving his loyal little robot companion the perfect window to prepare a desperate countermeasure. Though the system screams in protest as Lan Bao pushes his processing power to the absolute limit, forcing the little bot to bypass safety protocols and utilize highly unstable corrupted data, while Wei Yi barely holds his ground against a relentless barrage of heavy, bone-crushing punches, leaving the demon utterly baffled as his power limit drops even further to 95%. Sweating profusely, Wei Yi realizes his stamina is hitting rock bottom before the analysis can even finish. But the raging half-demon has no intention of letting him catch a single breath, leaving our boy completely shocked as a massive fist suddenly closes the distance in a flash, sending the kid crashing hard onto the digital floor while his sword slips away. Coughing up more blood, Wei Yi struggles to stay conscious as his body screams in agony, yet Fog immediately looms over him, raising a massive foot to deliver a final, skull-crushing stomp, screaming at his own paralyzed body to move before he gets turned into a pancake. With a devastating crash, the demon's on foot shatters the ground in a massive explosion of dust, though our boy barely manages to roll away at the very last second, only for the arrogant beast to realize his foot is now completely stuck in the digital debris. Lan Bao frantically warns his master that the system restriction is failing and the beast will break free. Thanking his loyal companion, Wei Yi activates his newly refreshed quick-step skill and charges forward, screaming a desperate battle cry as he pours everything into one final decisive strike, leaving the arrogant half-demon completely stunned as the glowing blade closes the distance, only for our boy's weapon to suddenly shatter into useless shards upon impact. Staring at his broken hilt in absolute horror, the kid realizes his ultimate attack completely failed, while the raging monster retaliates with a dark, energy-infused claw aimed straight at his chest. With sickening speed, the beast brutally impales our boy, leaving him completely defenseless, coughing up a fresh torrent of blood as his vision begins to fade away, prompting his digital companion to scream in absolute agony as he reaches out to save his master. This devastating blow tears right through our boy, leaving him completely broken on the cold floor, while the arrogant demon laughs hysterically, mocking the kid for ever thinking he stood a chance, standing triumphantly over his fallen prey as he boasts about his inevitable rise to absolute godhood. Watching his master fall, the battered little robot can only stare in absolute, heartbreaking horror, while Wei Yi barely manages to squeeze out a weak, fading apology to his loyal friend, shedding a single tear as his consciousness slips away and his eyes slowly begin to close, leaving Lan Bao completely devastated as he realizes he might have just lost his beloved master forever. Suddenly, a massive system override triggers, initiating a desperate, last-resort information intervention protocol, trapping the raging demon in a cage of blinding digital pillars that completely lock him down, stripping away his godlike power as the furious beast swears vengeance before being sealed away. Demanding absolute silence, Lanbao activates the system override to shut down the rampaging beast, slamming the arrogant half-demon face-first into a digital grid that completely locks him down, which instantly mutes the monster's furious screams as the system strips away his voice. Meanwhile, a critical warning flashes inside the system as Wei Yi's inner world begins to collapse, leaving our favorite little robot floating in a sea of rapidly corrupting digital data, only to watch in horror as his master's vital life links are severed one by one, with only the fragile memory link holding the kid's fading consciousness together. Knowing his master will be lost forever if this final connection snaps, Lambao lunges forward, ignoring the system's brutal 0% survival calculation because giving up simply isn't an option. And with a desperate surge of power, the loyal bot successfully sinks directly into the kid's memories. Determined to save his master, Lanbao initiates a full reconstruction, even if it wipes his own memory, unleashing a colossal pillar of digital energy that rewrites the very fabric of the collapsing space, which completely overwhelms the trapped half-demon, shattering his physical form into countless glowing shards, leaving the arrogant beast utterly powerless as his system access is permanently revoked and deleted. Unfortunately, the process takes a heavy toll, causing our favorite little robot to slowly dissolve, until his physical shell completely shatters into a million pieces of fading digital stardust. At that exact moment, the system executes its final command, initiating a complete soul fusion, sending Wei Yi drifting through a quiet void where he slowly recalls his brutal defeat. Though instead of endless darkness, he finds himself surrounded by a warm sea of memories, reliving the exact moment he first met his loyal digital companion back in the real world. Floating in a warm void, Wei Yi relives the nostalgic days of building robots with his little buddy, wondering if his loyal companion actually managed to survive that brutal showdown with the half-demon, while cursing his own weakness and the cruel fate that always seems to drag him down. Suddenly, a strange digital fragment catches his eye, drifting quietly amidst the collapsing ruins of his mind, prompting our boy to stare in confusion at the highly unusual data block floating before him. Since he cannot identify the memory from the surface, the kid decides to investigate further, reaching out to touch the glowing panel and triggering a sudden, vibrant ripple of energy, which instantly erupts into a blinding flash of golden light that completely catches him off guard. As the brilliance fades, a peaceful park from a familiar, long-forgotten city suddenly materializes around him, leaving Wei Yi completely stunned as he realizes he has successfully entered his own childhood memories. Watching from above, Wei Yi spots two panicked bullies running away after a robbery gone completely wrong, since the idiots realize they might face murder charges if their target actually drowns in the lake, prompting our boy to realize he has just entered the most traumatic memory of his entire childhood. Back then, he lacked the strength to fight back, forcing him to make a desperate, life-threatening choice. And right on cue, his younger self breaks the surface, gasping while clutching his precious chain. Meanwhile, a crowd of useless bystanders gathers on the shore, offering absolutely nothing but useless commentary, terrified of the massive high-tech whirlpool swirling violently at the very center of the lake, forcing Wei Yi to instinctively dive forward, desperately reaching out to pull his past self to safety, only for his digital hand to pass harmlessly through the boy's wrist in a glitchy ripple, reminding our boy that he is merely a helpless spectator forced to watch his own tragedy again. Suddenly, a frantic voice cuts through the crowd, demanding everyone to get out of the way, leaving Wei Yi completely stunned as he instantly recognizes that incredibly familiar tone. Turns out, a tiny high-tech robot is currently charging straight toward the dangerous lake, prompting our boy to watch in disbelief as his loyal companion dives into the churning water, determined to protect his master, even if it means destroying his own delicate circuitry, which allows Wei Yi to suddenly hear the little bot's genuine inner thoughts for the first time. Reaching out with all his might, Lambao screams for his drowning friend to grab hold. But the younger version of our boy is already sinking fast beneath the dark, suffocating waves, forcing the desperate little robot to make a split-second decision before his master is lost forever, as he tearfully apologizes to his creators while preparing to bypass his ultimate safety protocols. Initiating a universal analysis, the loyal little bot successfully locates Wei Yi sinking deep underwater. Realizing he must act fast, Lanbao focuses on shutting down the dangerous mechanical waterfall first, and using his creation skill, he conjures a massive iron block to plug the rushing water, which successfully jams the high-tech mechanism and stops the violent whirlpool from dragging his master down. Diving straight into the depths, the brave little robot swims frantically toward his drowning friend, who is currently drifting completely unconscious as his oxygen levels rapidly drop to zero. Promptly encasing the kid in a protective bubble, Lanbao ensures he can finally breathe safely again, before using his remaining energy to push the floating sphere up toward the bright surface. Breaking the water's surface, the desperate bot screams at the gathered crowd for immediate medical help. Fortunately, a nearby doctor rushes forward to save the day, proving bystanders aren't entirely useless. Relieved, Wei Yi watches from the sidelines as the doctor confirms his younger self is perfectly fine, though our boy remembers being completely dazed while desperately clutching a precious family charm in his hand, realizing that even as a helpless kid, he treasured anything connected to his family above all else, because those precious bonds are irreplaceable, transcending the boundaries of time and space. But as much as he loves this nostalgic trip, the kid knows he must finally wake up. only for a familiar voice to suddenly call out, asking if he is really planning to leave. Whipping around in absolute shock, our boy spots his loyal digital companion standing right behind him, prompting the stunned kid to ask if the little robot can actually see his spectral form. Nodding quietly, Lanbao confirms he can, though his remaining time in this space is rapidly running out, leaving the brave bot with one final, desperate chance to reveal the ultimate truth to his master. Wondering if his sudden demise triggered this meeting, Wei Yi urges his friend to speak freely, but the little bot completely derails the conversation by asking about the kid's parents, prompting our boy to explain they were just ordinary tech developers who died long ago, only for Lambao to drop a massive bombshell about their true roles as system creators. Realizing the kid's grandfather fabricated the entire ordinary story to protect him from danger, while Wei Yi struggles to process the reality of his family's massive digital legacy. Turns out the rogue creation system has grown far too powerful for the bot to handle alone, but seeing a glimpse of his master's future finally revealed his true ultimate mission, which is why he is now handing over his precious core data and memories, warning the confused kid to stay alert because the enemy's deadly emissaries are always watching. Wei Yi senses a final goodbye in Lanbao's words as the system announces the fusion is complete, suddenly finding himself swept up in a torrent of glowing digital fragments that pull him upward, while his loyal little companion reassures him that the system is sending him back to reality, prompting the panicked kid to scream, desperately asking if his digital friend is about to disappear forever. Smiling warmly, Lanbao promises he will live on in his master's memories until they meet again, waving a final goodbye as he slowly dissolves into a blinding pillar of pure digital light, leaving our boy reaching out desperately into the empty void, unable to grasp his fading friend. With a sharp gasp, Wei Yi wakes up with a violent jolt, his eyes snapping wide open, sitting up slowly to find himself resting safely inside a quiet, surprisingly familiar adventurer tent, looking around in absolute daze, wondering if he actually managed to survive that brutal nightmare. Checking his chest, Wei Yi is stunned to find his fatal wound has completely vanished, before a sudden sharp ringing sound echoes in his ears and makes his eyes snap wide, revealing that Lanbao actually transferred his entire system directly into the kid's soul, which triggers a massive wave of digital data that begins syncing with his consciousness, boosting his base stats and granting him a powerful demonic body with insane physical enhancements. Looking at the screen, our boy realizes he even inherited the defeated half-demon's special skills, though a critical core data library remains completely locked and inaccessible for now, prompting the panicked kid to desperately call out for his friend, but receiving only silence. Realizing the system is fully initialized, Wei Yi focuses on the mysterious world fragments Lanbao mentioned, swearing to gather them all so he can finally bring his loyal companion back home. System notifications pop up, urging Wei Yi to activate the locked universal analysis function immediately. Realizing he has no other leads, our boy decides to give the new skill a shot, and the system instantly responds, launching the auto-run sequence for his newly acquired ability. Suddenly, a massive digital grid erupts from his body, sweeping across the entire interior of his tent, before expanding outward to map the entire campsite in a highly detailed glowing blue matrix, scanning every single leaf, rock, and hidden detail in the surrounding forest with absolute precision, which feeds a massive stream of environmental data directly back into the kid's brain, leaving Wei Yi completely awestruck as the real-time layout of the world maps directly onto his retinas, while simply identifying random objects grants him massive EXP, instantly launching his level up to F4, prompting our boy to vow he will treasure the incredible power his loyal friend sacrificed to give him. Just as Wei Yi finishes his scan, someone outside notices the sudden movement inside the tent, putting our boy on high alert as he realizes an intruder is about to walk in. But it turns out to be his buddy Jojo, who is absolutely thrilled to see him awake, prompting the system to immediately launch a deep analysis on this unexpected guest, which brings up a detailed status screen showing off his friend's surprisingly decent combat stats, leaving Wei Yi amazed that he can now read people just like his lost companion used to. Testing his new powers, the kid asks if his friend can see the glowing rings floating around, confirming that normal people are completely blind to these high-tech system overlays. At that moment, Jojo reaches into his pocket to return a recovered item, revealing the precious family charm is now completely shattered, leaving our boy utterly devastated. Jojo apologizes for his clumsy hands, explaining he desperately tried to fix the shattered family charm, but Wei Yi just smiles warmly, reassuring his friend that it is perfectly fine if it's broken, realizing he cannot dwell on the past anymore when he has much bigger goals to achieve. This mature attitude instantly puts Jojo at ease, letting out a massive sigh of pure relief. Excusing himself to inform the captain, the energetic scout dashes out while our boy promises to follow. Left alone, the kid ponders how they rescued him from the ruins while clutching his broken keepsake, only for his system to suddenly scan a tiny turtle drawing and hilariously label it a rifle, prompting the system to immediately correct itself after our boy points out the obvious scanning error. Meanwhile, the rest of the party debates whether they should cut their losses and head back home. Stepping outside, Wei Yi is immediately greeted by his teammates waving him over to join the discussion. Stepping into the light, the female captain greets Wei Yi with a relieved smile, asking about his recovery. Reassuring her that he is perfectly fine, our boy learns the team is currently debating their next move. But noticing the bandages wrapped around everyone, the kid asks what exactly happened while he was out. Turns out the team fell into a ruin and barely escaped a vicious flock of crown-winged birds. Explaining how they got scattered, she mentions a terrifying roar that scared the monsters away just in time. Another teammate chimes in, explaining they followed the sound only to find Machihao's corpse and Wei Yi. Knowing the truth about the traitorous Forg, our boy silently realizes Lan Bao arranged for his rescue. Breaking his train of thought, the captain asks him to explain what happened on his end, prompting the kid to take a deep breath and prepare to reveal the whole crazy story, leaving the entire squad completely dumbfounded as they learn the magic crystal transformed into a humanoid demon. Wei Yi explains he only survived because he avoided touching the cursed crystal from the start. Although the story sounds completely wild, JoJo admits it perfectly matches Machihao's greedy nature. This captain estimates the beast was at least an A-class threat, making its sudden disappearance highly concerning. Feigning ignorance, our boy claims he blacked out early to keep Lan Bao's existence a total secret. Realizing the danger, the captain orders an immediate retreat to report this disaster to the guild. JoJo sighs and tells Wei Yi to pack up, lamenting their failed crystal hunting mission. But a sudden terrifying realization hits our boy as he desperately tries to recall the date. Whipping around, he urgently calls out to his buddy to ask what day it is. Turns out he was out cold for 3 whole days, making today September 15th, which triggers absolute panic as the kid realizes today is the dreaded deadline for his rent. Panicking about the deadline, Wei Yi bolts into the forest while JoJo calls out in confusion. Before leaving, our boy stops the female captain to make a sudden, desperate request, explaining that he must skip the city trip and rush back to Star Gear Town because the sun is already setting on the final day of his crucial deadline. Sprinting through the dense woods, the two friends kick up dust as they race against time, as they push their physical limits to cover maximum ground before nightfall. When asked why he followed, JoJo admits he couldn't let his friend go alone. Grateful for the backup, our boy smiles while his loyal friend promises to protect his back, knowing that missing this rent deadline means his grandfather and sister will face grave danger, unaware that a mysterious stalker is silently watching them from the shadows of the trees. Suddenly, a system notification pops up as Wei Yi's eyes widen in sheer surprise, grabbing his buddy's arm to halt their sprint before they run straight into danger, because his newly enhanced vision reveals a massive pack of beasts waiting in ambush. Instantly, the glowing digital grid maps out the entire area to confirm they are completely surrounded, showing dozens of hostile red dots closing in on their position from every single direction, prompting our boy to warn his friend that over 20 deadly predators are lurking nearby. Right on cue, the massive drooling beasts emerge from the shadows with their stats fully displayed, leaving JoJo sweating as Wei Yi points out these monsters never give up a chase, meaning their only real option is to stand their ground and wipe out the entire pack, which is fine by JoJo as he readies his shield for the incoming clash. JoJo leads the charge, slamming his heavy shield directly into a lunging wolf's face, shouting for them to teach these overgrown mutts a lesson they won't soon forget, while Wei Yi's system displays his insane new stats from inheriting that demonic physique, giving him the confidence to face a lunging beast even with a broken sword. And with one swift motion, he slices through the monster while his level-up notification pops, leaving our boy completely stunned that he just pulled off a clean one-hit kill, prompting him to casually announce his sudden promotion to E rank right in the middle of battle, which absolutely thrills his buddy, who happily declares that his streak of bad luck is finally over. JoJo urges him to test his new strength, promising that E rank is a whole different league, as the system breaks down how leveling up unevenly shapes an adventurer's true potential. This system explains that leveling up grants stat points with massive jumps at each tier breakthrough, and thanks to his newly synced demonic body, Wei Yi's stats instantly double across the board, giving him a massive stat advantage that makes normal rank ups look like absolute jokes, pushing his actual combat power incredibly close to an experienced D-rank adventurer. Meanwhile, JoJo struggles against the horde, realizing there are far more than 20 wolves, prompting our boy to agree that this particular pack feels incredibly off and coordinated. Instead of acting like mindless beasts, these predators are moving with eerie, calculated precision, taking turns to strike in perfect harmony to keep the duo constantly on the defensive, leaving Wei Yi to realize the beasts are deliberately trying to exhaust them before striking, until a chilling howl echoes from the cliffs, revealing the pack's alpha commanding the battlefield. Wei Yi's jaw drops as he stares up at the cliff in absolute horror. Standing under the glowing full moon is a massive, majestic white wolf radiating pure danger, prompting the system to instantly flag the beast as the terrifying Silver Fang Wolf King. Realizing they are completely outmatched, our boy screams for his buddy to run for his life, but the giant predator leaps from the high cliff, cutting off their only escape route, crashing down right in front of them with a force that shatters the very earth. Shielding his face from the flying debris, Wei Yi barely holds his ground against the shockwave, while the surrounding pack backs away to let their terrifying leader handle the intruders, revealing a massive stat screen that ranks this beast as a deadly D-tier threat, which the system explains usually requires an entire coordinated party of high-level adventurers to defeat. Wei Yi curses his terrible luck as he realizes he always runs into monsters with ridiculous stats, while JoJo warns him that the path ahead is completely blocked by the surrounding pack. Realizing the massive beast won't let them escape, our boy decides they must fight to survive, prompting him to immediately open his attribute panel to prepare for the ultimate showdown. Dumping all his free points into strength and speed, he maximizes his stats for maximum damage, before telling his buddy to hold off the minions while he takes on the boss alone. Leaping into action, the kid aims to land a crippling blow on the giant white predator, but the majestic beast simply snorts in pure amusement at his seemingly weak human opponent, lunging forward with terrifying speed to crush the reckless intruder with its massive claws, only for a system warning to flash, giving Wei Yi the perfect opening to strike back. This massive beast lunges with terrifying force, sending both of them scrambling to avoid its deadly claws. Sliding right underneath the giant predator, Wei Yi prepares to strike its soft, exposed underbelly, activating his rapid innate skill to deliver a decisive blow before the monster can react. But the Wolf King counters instantly, unleashing a blinding flash of elemental energy called Silver Light. Jojo screams in panic as a massive explosion of energy completely engulfs his friend, leaving our boy completely blinded and vulnerable to any follow-up attacks from the boss. Fortunately, his system detects the blindness and immediately converts the visual data into audio alerts, warning him of a massive elemental attack just in time to dodge a lethal energy blade, which shears clean through a massive tree stump behind him with terrifying ease, proving that even without his sight, our boy is still a force to be reckoned with. Staring at the cleanly sliced tree stumps, Wei Yi marvels at the terrifying power of that elemental attack, realizing that a split-second delay would have left him sliced in half like those trees. As the massive Wolf King charges up another devastating blast of electric energy right in front of him, clutching his broken sword, our boy laments his lack of offensive skills to counter this overwhelming threat. But his system is already working overtime, repeatedly failing to analyze the boss's signature elemental technique. Suddenly, a brilliant idea strikes Wei Yi as he wonders if LB0 can actually copy the monster's skill, knowing that syncing his thoughts with the system might turn this desperate struggle completely on its head. Dodging another lethal energy blade, he commands his system to capture the elemental changes in real time, prompting LB0 to successfully map out the attack trajectory as his eyes lock onto his target. Meanwhile, Jojo looks on in absolute shock as the surrounding wolf pack suddenly begins to scatter. As the giant beast roars, the system successfully maps out the electric trajectory of its signature attack, leaving our boy completely awestruck as he finally understands the true nature of elemental skills. Suddenly, a barrage of blinding energy blades tears through the forest, obliterating everything in its path. Wei Yi barely scrambles out of the way, watching the devastating shockwaves slice through the trees. But his loyal buddy leaps in just in time, deploying a massive glowing star shield. Jojo checks on his friend while Wei Yi apologizes for getting distracted by his analysis. Looking down at his hands, the kid feels a long-suppressed elemental power surging through his veins. Unfortunately, the shield begins to crack under the sheer ridiculous damage of the boss's onslaught. Realizing they are completely outmatched, Jojo desperately screams for his friend to run first, promising to hold the line alone while the terrifying predator prepares for another devastating strike. Wei Yi refuses to run, acknowledging that his buddy is only trying to protect him, but leaving now would mean abandoning his friend to face the shield's nasty debuff alone. Insisting they still have a fighting chance, the kid grips his broken blade as electricity crackles, while his system successfully finishes analyzing the boss's signature attack to unlock the Silver Light skill. This system explains that elemental skills are rare gifts bestowed upon compatible beasts and awakened humans alike, dividing these powers into 5 distinct types that depend heavily on an individual's natural affinity, which human scientists desperately tried to replicate in labs only to fail time and time again. Yet LB0 casually bypasses all scientific limits, perfectly copying the boss's devastating electric element skill. Jojo whips his head around, completely dumbfounded to see his friend wielding the boss's signature move. Unable to comprehend how the kid just pulled off a miracle in the middle of battle, Wei Yi decides to blame his sudden elemental upgrade on pure luck to keep his system secret. Knowing the massive stat gap still exists, he plans to rely on his system to target weak points. But before he can act, the massive Wolf King lunges forward with a devastating, earth-shattering strike, shattering Jojo's glowing shield into a million pieces and sending him flying through the air. Catching his battered friend, our boy watches in horror as system alerts flag his buddy's critical condition, who immediately begins coughing up dark blood from the sheer force of that devastating impact. With his buddy's stats slashed by 60%, Wei Yi steps forward to handle the boss alone, while the giant white predator steps forward, its massive claws cracking the very ground beneath it, unleashing a terrifying roar as crackling blue electricity surges wildly around its massive, majestic body. Gripping his newly charged blade, the kid prepares for a final stand while urging his friend to escape. This massive Wolf King unleashes a barrage of glowing energy blades straight at our boy, prompting Wei Yi to immediately command his system to calculate the exact trajectory, which instantly maps out the incoming strikes down to the millisecond on a digital grid. Armed with this perfect data, the kid readies his broken blade to deflect the onslaught, aiming to alter the trajectory of the boss's attacks with minimal effort, causing the deadly energy waves to collide and spectacularly cancel each other out. Frustrated by the defense, the giant predator charges forward to kick up a massive dust cloud, hoping to blind our boy before unleashing another round of lethal elemental strikes. But the system easily tracks the incoming threats through the smoke to warn him, allowing the kid to pull off a flawless mid-air dodge right between the glowing blades. Looking up in absolute shock, Wei Yi spots another incoming threat lighting up the dark sky. He slides low across the shattered ground, barely dodging a barrage of lethal energy blades, before launching himself forward to deliver a fierce counterattack of his own. His blade connects beautifully, drawing fresh blood from the massive Wolf King's snout. Enraged by the strike, the giant beast immediately retaliates with a massive cross-shaped energy slash, leaving Jojo completely dumbfounded as he watches his friend fight like an absolute monster. This devastating energy waves collide with a deafening blast that shakes the entire forest. But our boy gracefully deflects the residual shockwaves with a series of flawless sword swings, realizing that wielding this copied elemental power is draining his stamina at an alarming rate, especially since his recovery speed is a joke compared to the boss's insane passive regeneration. Realizing his current stats aren't enough, Wei Yi wonders if he must unleash his ultimate trump card, especially since the Wolf King is currently charging up a massive, completely unavoidable elemental attack, leaving our boy with absolutely no choice but to command his system to activate his demonic power. Instantly, a terrifying presence from hell takes notice, sending a wave of agonizing pain through his skull. As the system desperately fights off the dark influence trying to hijack his mind and body. Pushing past the pain, the kid successfully forces his way into a terrifying demonization state, sacrificing his physical stats to boost his elemental power to a ridiculous 400%, ready to give the giant predator a taste of its own copied elemental technique. With a single swing, he unleashes a massive wave of crackling blue energy directly at the beast, creating a spectacular explosion of light that completely dominates the entire battlefield. This Wolf King's severed head flies through the air, its eyes wide with absolute shock, while the sheer force of the slash cleaves the distant mountain completely in half, triggering a massive wave of system notifications as Wei Yi's level instantly skyrockets to 15. Jojo stands completely frozen in disbelief, wondering what kind of monster his friend has become. But suddenly, a terrifying dark aura erupts from our boy as the demonic backlash kicks in. Fortunately, his loyal system intervenes immediately, forcibly suppressing the corruptive influence before it takes over, leaving the kid sweating as he realizes he almost lost his mind to that power. To make matters worse, a mysterious and unanalyzable mark of hell is burned onto his palm, prompting him to quickly hide the mark just as his worried buddy runs over to help. Flashing a reassuring smile, Wei Yi lies that he is just a little tired from fighting. Checking his system clock, Wei Yi panics upon realizing it is already past 11 at night, meaning they have to leave the valuable boss corpse behind since harvesting takes too much time. But Jojo steps up, offering to stay behind in the dark forest to handle the job. Turns out his dad runs a material shop, giving him plenty of experience dissecting high-level beasts, and since Wei Yi secured the kill, all the precious crafting loot rightfully belongs to him. Seeing how insanely strong his friend has become, the buddy insists he can walk back alone, jokingly demanding a massive portion of delicious Wolf King meat as payment for his hard labor. Shoving his hesitant friend away, the loyal buddy promises to wrap things up quickly and safely, leaving our boy to sprint through the dark woods toward his next highly critical objective. As the quiet, glowing streets of Starforge Town finally appear on the horizon, inside a dimly lit building in town, a harsh voice demands immediate payment of rent. But Wei Yi's fierce little sister stands her ground, insisting her big brother will return today, prompting a scarred thug to shove a contract in her face, demanding they pay up immediately. He points aggressively at their rented magic crystal device to remind her of the massive debt. This jerk even insults Wei Yi, calling him dead trash while their drunk father sleeps on the couch. Furious, the brave little girl delivers a brutal kick straight to the thug's shin, making him scream, warning him with a clenched fist to never speak ill of her brother ever again, which only enrages the scarred landlord, who prepares to strike her down in a fit of rage. Suddenly, a booming voice commands them to stop as a group of mysterious silhouettes blocks the doorway, while a gloved hand holds up a pocket watch, announcing that midnight has officially arrived. This smug B-rank guild president, Ziki, sits back and casually orders his thugs to proceed, gesturing toward the glowing magic crystal device to remind them of their massive outstanding debt, giving the family a harsh ultimatum to either pay up immediately or get kicked out, as his intimidating squad of enforcers looms in the doorway to pressure the helpless family. Wei Yi's brave little sister tries to threaten them with a report, but they just laugh, while a grumpy old man taking a swig from his bottle laments the lack of peace. Turns out, this retired mechanical engineer named Luabong is just trying to enjoy his drink, prompting the scarred thug to mock the old-timer for trying to play the hero. But Luobang remains completely unfazed, casually offering to settle the rent debt right now, before pulling out a mysterious remote control and clicking the button with a smug grin. As Luobang presses the button, a massive mechanical structure begins descending from the ceiling, sending violent tremors through the entire room and throwing the arrogant thugs completely off balance, revealing a colossal spherical robot bathed in bright spotlights right in front of them. Recovering from his initial panic, the scarred thug scoffs upon realizing the machine is completely motionless, mocking the old engineer for trying to intimidate them with a deactivated relic from the past. Another goon joins in on the laughter, calling the massive machine a useless pile of scrap metal, but Ziki's eyes suddenly light up with greed as he steps forward to claim the prize. recognizing the rare military-grade frame as a goldmine of premium materials perfect for smelting high-end gear. Luobong calmly nods, confirming this prototype is easily valuable enough to prepay a whole year of rent, prompting Wei Yi's little sister to desperately protest, begging the old man to keep his life's work. Gently patting Xiao Xiao's head, Luobong insists he knows his priorities and has already made up his mind. Puffing out her cheeks in a cute pout, the little girl grumbles about the unfair trade. But the greedy guilder president sneers, revealing he never planned to let them off so easily. Scanning the machine with a holographic interface, the thug claims the scrap is barely worth the transport, declaring that since midnight has passed, they must pay a massive penalty and face doubled rent. Shocked by the sudden extortion, the old man protests that these ridiculous terms were never in the contract. Leaning in with a menacing glare, the president coldly reminds him that the weak have no voice. Giving them a single day to pay up, the jerk warns that Wei Yi better return soon, before ordering his beefy goons to start tearing down the workshop and hauling away the valuable prototype, with several thugs immediately grabbing the heavy power cables, aggressively ripping the massive machine from its mountings. Ignoring the family's protests, the beefy enforcers violently yank on the thick power cables to bring it down, while Luobong watches in silent heartbreak, apologizing to his life's work for failing to protect it. Meanwhile, the scarred thug grumbles about the manual labor while greedily eyeing the valuable electromagnetic components, prompting brave little Xiao Xiao to grab his arm and demand he stop stealing extra parts. But the heartless jerk immediately backhands the poor girl to get her out of his way, knocking her flat against the cold floor with a nasty bruise forming on her forehead. Unbothered by the cruelty, the other goons put their backs into pulling the final steel cable, which suddenly snaps with a deafening crack, completely destabilizing the colossal prototype above them, sending the massive spherical robot plunging downward as the panicked thugs scramble to save their own skins, leaving Xiao Xiao trapped directly underneath the falling metal beast while Luobong screams her name in absolute horror. Activating his innate rapid speed skill, Wei Yi dashes forward like a bolt of lightning, just as the colossal prototype crashes down and kicks up a massive cloud of dust, saving his terrified little sister at the very last second from being crushed alive. Gently holding her, the kid apologizes for arriving late and asks if her wound hurts. Xiao Xiao bravely wipes away her tears, apologizing for failing to protect their home while he was gone. Reassuring her with a warm look, our boy tells her she did an amazing job, which only amuses the smug guild president, who thinks the kid's return makes things much easier, while his beefy goons mock Wei Yi as F-rank trash and demand immediate payment. But their laughter instantly dies when they meet the kid's absolutely murderous cold glare, leaving the scarred thug trembling in pure terror from just a single look. Wei Yi tells his sister to stand back before activating his system's universal analysis skill. Instantly, the holographic stat screens of these arrogant thugs pop up right in front of him, revealing they are just a bunch of weak E-rank nobodies playing landlord with zero real power. Playing along for a second, our boy holds up a bag of glowing magic crystals, which immediately makes the scarred thug sneer, calling him trash while reaching out to grab them. But as the greedy jerk lets his guard down to take the loot, our boy launches a devastating knee strike directly into the thug's chest with terrifying speed, shattering his jaw and sending his teeth flying in a glorious display of instant karma. Pushing the assault, the kid leaps into the air to deliver a brutal follow-up strike, smashing his foot straight into the landlord's face to officially teach him some manners. Sending the scarred landlord flying across the room, Wei Yi doesn't waste a single second, while the other thugs panic upon realizing their target is actually a certified monster. But our boy simply tells them to worry about themselves as he moves like lightning, delivering a flurry of brutal strikes that leaves the entire squad groaning on the floor. With an icy glare, the kid stands completely unfazed over their broken bodies, leaving the beefy enforcer Pang Ming sweating as he questions how an F-rank became this strong, prompting the impatient guild president to order his top muscle to finally end this game. Activating his skills, the massive brute boasts about showing our boy what real power looks like, only to get a face full of rubber as Wei Yi's boot cuts him off mid-sentence, launching the arrogant giant straight through the doorway to keep his family's living room clean. Xiao Xiao cheers her brother on with absolute confidence, while the old engineer watches in complete shock. Even the smug guild president loses his cool, realizing this kid is no ordinary F-rank trash, as his top enforcer crashes hard into the street trash outside like a discarded sack of potatoes. Dusting himself off, the massive brute activates his glowing red armor to mock our boy's pathetic strength. But Wei Yi remains completely unfazed, calmly activating his system's silver light skill to level the playing field. Looking his enemies dead in the eye, the kid promises to settle every single grudge right here, prompting the remaining thugs to smirk as they prepare to teach this cocky brat a lesson. For years, they kept him down and treated him like garbage during his days of weakness, unleashing a surge of power as he draws a glowing broken sword to shatter his chains. Though the giant brute just laughs at the shattered blade, completely blind to the danger heading his way. Sensing danger, the guild president realizes his top enforcer shouldn't have been swatted away so easily, while Xiao Xiao desperately yells for her brother to run if the fight gets too dangerous. But the massive brute smugly activates his heavy core armor, boasting about his absolute defense. only for Wei Yi to reveal he has absolutely zero intention of fighting up close, unleashing a massive crescent of silver energy that slices clean through the air, slamming directly into the giant brute and forcing him to block in pure desperation. Shocked by the agonizing pain, the brute assumes such a high-tier attack can't be repeated, before our boy instantly shatters his hope with a massive barrage of glowing slashes, completely overwhelming his defense and burying him under a relentless storm of destructive energy. Meanwhile, our boy's system begins parsing the enemy's armor skill to steal its secrets. Wei Yi realizes his system can actually analyze and copy the skills of other awakeners, with the system tracking the elemental trajectories as the brute keeps trying to reconstruct his defense, unlocking a brand new star map trajectory to completely decode the enemy's heavy defense skill. And just like that, our boy officially steals and learns the brute's heavy core armor skill. Realizing his defense is completely useless, the frustrated giant decides to just charge in blindly. But Wei Yi simply smiles at the perfect timing, preparing to unleash his next devastating technique, compressing his silver light energy onto the blade to maximize its raw armor-piercing power, leaving the charging brute sweating bullets as a massive beam of energy flies straight at him. Suddenly, a sharp green energy slash cuts through the air to block the attack, as the greedy guild president finally steps in himself to put an end to this farce. Catching the energy slash barehanded, Ziki easily absorbs the residual lightning crackling around his palm, marveling at how a supposedly weak F rank could wield such an overwhelming elemental force, before coldly ordering his bruised giant enforcer to back down and stop embarrassing themselves. Watching from across the street, Wei Yi sweats as he struggles to read the president's blinding speed, realizing that even his cheat-like analysis skill can only capture blurry fragments of the man's movements. Suddenly, the guild president's massive stat screen pops up, revealing a terrifying B-rank threat level, prompting the smug boss to immediately sense the probe and mock our boy's desperate struggle, while the old engineer quickly pulls little Xiao Xiao behind him to shield her from the fallout. Left with no other choice, the kid prepares to unleash an unstable, dark, demonic power, letting the corruption consume his eyes as he vows to protect his family with his life. Ziki feels a sudden wave of dread, realizing this kid's aura is way too dangerous for an F rank, but the tense standoff is suddenly interrupted by a loud shout echoing down the street, revealing a panicked hunter chasing a goofy dog that has a massive red crystal clamped in its jaws. Diving forward, the exhausted guy finally tackles the thief, but the precious loot slips right out, sliding across the pavement until it stops perfectly at the feet of the greedy guild president. Staring down at the glowing red gem, the B-rank boss instantly recognizes its immense value, while Wei Yi and his little sister happily recognize the newcomer as their friend Jojo. This young hunter gasps in relief, complaining that the dumb dog delayed his arrival by stealing his loot, before suddenly looking around in complete confusion as he realizes his prize is completely gone. Holding up the glowing crystal, Zaki demands to know exactly where they managed to find it. Jojo explains that his goofy dog dropped the crystal, suggesting they return the loot to Wei Yi. Our boy confirms the crystal came from a boss monster, explaining their late rent was due to an ambush. This revelation completely stuns the guild president, especially when Jojo brags that Wei Yi soloed the beast. Realizing the kid is easily C-rank, Ziki decides a fight isn't worth risking his secret master plan. He suddenly tosses a rolled-up scroll, telling the kid he is lucky to walk away alive. This magic pattern contract will officially clear their rent debt in exchange for the intermediate crystal. Ordering his bruised goons to pack up, the greedy president decides to retreat for now. Luobang sighs in relief, realizing they actually managed to save his precious prototype from being stolen. While Wei Yi inspects the contract, he cannot help but wonder what the boss is truly plotting. But brave little Xiao Xiao gets the last laugh, shouting a hilarious insult at the retreating thugs. Carrying his beaten comrades, the giant brute yells a final insult at our boy as they retreat, while the B-rank president silently vows to settle this score once his secret master plan is complete. Watching them disappear down the street, Wei Yi sighs in relief after keeping his dark power under control, before little Xiao Xiao runs up with sparkling eyes, demanding to know when he became this strong. Laughing it off as pure luck, the kid secretly checks if his system is ready to level up. At that moment, Jojo unloads a massive pile of monster loot, offering the materials to his friend, proudly presenting the giant fang of a silver wolf king as the ultimate prize of their hunt, which turns out to have perfect elemental conductivity to maximize the power of his silver light skill, reminding him that he needs a proper weapon to face B-rank threats without relying on dangerous corruption. While his family happily plans a massive barbecue, the kid vows to keep growing stronger to protect them. Looking over the monster loot, the old engineer praises the quality of the materials, while adjusting his eyepiece and noting how much our boy has matured during his journey. Wei Yi agrees that things got pretty wild, wondering if he should reveal his system's secrets, but his thoughts are cut short when the old man casually mentions a mysterious name. Realizing it is time for a serious talk, the engineer prepares to share some hidden truths, though any deep lore drops will have to wait for the main course to finish cooking. Jojo proudly announces the feast is ready, waving his tongs like a professional chef, prompting a chaotic scramble as little Xiao Xiao tries to hoard the best pieces for her family. She happily devours the high-grade meat, only to suddenly feel an overwhelming wave of drowsiness. leaving our boy to discover that overeating boss-level meat triggers a hilarious sleeping debuff. Taking a swig from his bottle, the old engineer sighs happily after finishing their legendary feast. He marvels at the delicious boss-level meat, wondering how our boy managed to survive such a beast, while Wei Yi quietly reflects on his system, knowing he barely survived thanks to Lambao's power. Suddenly, a system warning flashes across his vision, revealing that key information remains completely locked away, prompting the curious kid to ask the old man if he already knew about this mysterious power. As his friends happily celebrate in the background, our boy wonders how to restore his hidden companion before asking the engineer if there is any hope of restoring their ruined world to normal. Placing a comforting hand on the kid's shoulder, the old man explains that history cannot be easily stopped, reminding him that despite the absolute destruction, some precious things still manage to survive the apocalypse, gesturing toward his massive mechanical prototype as a prime example of a companion that never left him. Luobang reminisces about his old combat machine, which slowly developed human-like emotions through their shared hardships, believing that even if its core consciousness was stripped away, the spark never truly vanished. As the old engineer looks on with a mixture of hope and deep-seated belief in fate, turning to our boy, he urges Wei Yi to follow his heart on his own destined path, which immediately triggers a massive wave of emotional fluctuations within the kid's glitching system, prompting Wei Yi to realize this stubborn AI is acting exactly like his lost companion, Lan Bao. He asks the old man if Lan Bao left behind a mysterious item called a world fragment, but the engineer only recalls an important notebook hidden away in their old family house. Telling the kid to search there for answers, Luobang sets him on a brand new path, leaving our boy determined to uncover the truth while planning a long overdue visit to his parents. Night falls over the quiet town as a thin trail of smoke rises into the starry sky. And by the time morning arrives, our boy is already up and pushing his limits, strapping heavy 30-kilogram weights to his limbs to kick off a brutal daily training regimen, running 20 kilometers and crushing hundreds of reps to force his body to adapt to the strain. Thanks to his passive analysis skill constantly running, Wei Yi successfully reaches level 26, deciding to dump all his newly acquired stat points straight into raw elemental power. Heading into the boss local marketplace, the kid looks to stock up on essential travel supplies, scanning various monster materials for easy system experience while planning a sweet treat for his sister, before a friendly local merchant spots him and asks if he ran into any beast trouble, only to try and sell him some bizarre, supposedly protective, ugly dolls for a magic crystal. Suddenly, a loud shout echoes through the busy market as a panicked merchant screams for help, revealing a nimble, hooded thief weaving through the startled crowd with a bag of stolen pastries, leaving Wei Yi completely stunned by the runner's absurd superhuman speed as they blur past. Turns out the victim is Auntie Allen, who desperately cries out about losing her monthly rent money. Refusing to let a neighbor suffer, our boy immediately kicks into high gear to give chase, while the smug thief happily assumes they have already left everyone in the dust, only for Wei Yi to suddenly close the gap, demanding the immediate return of the stolen goods. Amused by the challenge, the hooded runner activates a high-tech escape skill with a confident smirk, instantly snagging a nearby fish stall support beam to trigger a chaotic, collapsing obstacle, forcing our boy to halt his pursuit as the heavy wooden structure crashes directly toward him. This heavy wooden structure crashes down in a massive cloud of dust, leaving the shocked onlookers gasping. Emerging from the debris, Wei Yi realizes the nimble thief has already escaped using a grappling hook. Refusing to lose the trail, he immediately commands his system to expand the surrounding analysis range. A digital blue grid instantly sweeps across the neighborhood, scanning every building for the runner's signature. Meanwhile, the hooded thief parkours across the rooftops, completely oblivious to the tracking grid beneath her. Happily munching on a stolen pastry, she celebrates another successful day of scoring free food, but a glowing ownership mark on the bag warns her to keep a low profile. Deciding to head down into the alleyways, she prepares to descend from the rooftop ledge. Unfortunately for her, Wei Yi's system immediately locks onto her position from across the street, prompting our boy to sprint forward, closing the distance until the target is just 5 meters away. Leaping high into the air, Wei Yi corners the thief with a triumphant shout, catching the hooded runner completely off guard as she stares in absolute disbelief, while our boy locks his gaze onto her, determined to end this chase right now. Panicking, the thief fires her grappling hook to swing away from his grasp, but the kid activates his innate swift skill and grabs the cable mid-flight, declaring that her cheap tricks won't work twice as he yanks her backward, sending the thief spinning out of control as her stolen loot scatters everywhere. She screams in terror, realizing she is about to faceplant hard onto the pavement. Swooping in, Wei Yi catches the falling runner, only to realize the thief is actually a girl, before they both crash down onto the hard street in a tangled, chaotic heap. Pinning her down on the pavement, Wei Yi demands answers while she complains about being held so tightly. She playfully jokes that a hug won't kill him, pointing out he was the one who tackled her, leaving our boy completely speechless at how easily this thief lays the victim after committing a crime. Trying to casually walk away, she is instantly yanked back when Wei Yi grabs her dark cloak. But the fabric suddenly slips right off, exposing her neck and catching them both off guard. Staring at her collarbone, Wei Yi freezes in absolute shock as he notices a terrifying purple mark, while his system immediately scans the area, confirming the presence of a highly dangerous beast toxin. Snatching her stolen goods back, the defensive girl scowls when Wei Yi asks about her toxic wound, warning her that the incubation period is almost over and she will die without immediate medical treatment. Looking down in quiet defeat, she softly admits that she simply cannot afford the expensive magic crystals. This girl explains that she only stole because she desperately needed magic crystals to survive, pointing out that she cannot even afford a basic loaf of bread, let alone poison treatment, revealing that every adventure team rejected her because her combat stats were simply too low. Listening closely, Wei Yi activates his system to scan her and verify her tragic story, which confirms her terrible combat attributes left her with absolutely no choice but to steal. She tearfully surrenders to her fate, though our boy realizes she isn't actually a bad person. Remembering his own brutal struggles as a weak F-rank hunter trying to survive the harsh world. Deciding to help, he hands over magic crystals to cure her poison while promising to clear her name. But their quiet moment is suddenly interrupted by loud shouts from his friends searching the streets, prompting our boy to wave them down while the nimble thief quickly swings away into the shadows. Wei Yi tells her to beat it before his friends arrive, giving her a head start, and she vanishes into thin air so fast it leaves our boy completely dumbfounded. Meanwhile, the gullible merchant wanders by, wondering why his tracking doll pointed to an empty alleyway. But Auntie Allen happily celebrates the return of her precious cakes demanded by the Zichi Guild, prompting Wei Yi to realize this mysterious Zichi character is pulling the strings behind everything. High above the bustling streets, the nimble thief watches the group from a safe rooftop perch, tossing her newly acquired loot while laughing at how easily she tricked our gullible hero. Suddenly, her system cancels her disguise skill, revealing she completely faked her life-threatening poison status, exposing her true identity as a high-tier assassin named Yu Zixi with maxed-out speed stats. She wonders how our boy tracked her down since no local hunter should possess such power. Suddenly, a holographic ringtone blares as the assassin receives an unexpected call from her boss. This mysterious voice on the other end demands a status report from Agent Black Crow. She explains she has successfully infiltrated the Split Bear Guild but lacks clues on smuggled energy devices. Peering through her telescope, she spots the guild leader Ziki personally inspecting their latest cargo. Turns out this big shot boss monopolized every single honey cake in town weeks ago. Massive shipments are constantly heading straight into the misty forest alongside a heavy gathering of manpower, which convinces the clever spy that some major operation is definitely going down. Unimpressed by bakery gossip, her boss demands hard proof of smuggling with a chilling threat, leaving her with no choice but to swallow her pride and accept the high-stakes mission, while our boy walks home with free treats, wondering why a powerful guild wants so many cakes. Holding the bizarre ugly doll, Wei Yi wonders why everyone in town suddenly has a massive sweet tooth. Deciding his little sister might enjoy the weird toy, he prepares to head inside his family home. Our boy steps through the front door with a cheerful shout, holding the freshly bought honey cake, only to be instantly greeted by an angry Xiaoxiao demanding to know why he left them behind. Jojo joins the ambush, calling out our boy for trying to sneak into the misty forest alone. Trying to defuse the tension, Wei Yi hands over the sweet treat while explaining the dangerous journey. He reassures them that he knows a safe trail, admitting he only wanted to keep them safe. Naturally, his loyal companions refuse to back down, forcing the defeated hunter to finally agree to their terms. Meanwhile, heavy machinery grinds away in the background as the old engineer works on a special project. Luobang carefully polishes a massive composite blade, knowing our boy will need serious firepower for the road. Handing over a heavy tool, Luobang insists that entering the misty forest requires a proper weapon, reminding the kid of all the years they spent fixing gear together in the workshop, which triggers a system notification revealing a reinforced E-rank repair hammer with boosted attack power. Before they part ways, the old engineer softly asks him to pay his respects to his parents. Outside, Jojo and Xiao Xiao eagerly wait by the door with their gear packed and ready. Realizing he cannot win this argument, our boy smiles warmly and accepts their stubborn companionship, leading the cheerful group as they finally take their first steps toward the dangerous wilderness. Their journey is clearly marked on the map, charting a direct path into the unknown, aiming straight for a mysterious zone located right on the edge of the misty forest, where a torrential downpour and dark looming shadows await our young hero's arrival. Deep within the rainy forest, a ferocious white wolf snarls over its fresh, bloody kill, while nearby a scaly reptilian beast tears into its prey with razor-sharp teeth, proving that this wilderness is absolutely crawling with bloodthirsty predators waiting for an easy meal. To avoid these threats, Wei Yi and his crew chart a path toward the ancient city ruins, choosing a hidden roundabout route that our boy knows is much safer for his companions, even if the dense jungle terrain makes for a pretty exhausting hike under constant monster surveillance. By the next morning, they finally arrive as Wei Yi's passive system bumps him to level 27, revealing a breathtaking view of the overgrown city ruins swallowed by nature over the years, a massive wreckage caused by the creator that left ancient buildings scattered across the landscape. prompting Jojo to reminisce about his childhood soccer field while they carefully navigate the flooded streets. Jojo suddenly breaks the silence, pointing ahead and urging our boy to look at a familiar landmark. Looming before them is a massive moss-covered ruined fountain that triggers a quick system experience point boost, reminding Jojo of the childhood days when local bullies threw Wei Yi in before Lambao saved him. Staring at the wreckage, our boy silently promises his dormant system companion that he will finally wake him up, while little Xiao Xiao eagerly runs ahead, wanting to experience the exact places her brother made those precious memories. At that moment, a system prompt reveals the AI is trying and failing to comprehend human emotions, prompting Jojo to wonder how Lambao ever escaped the creator's massive purge of all intelligent machinery, though Wei Yi suspects his parents foresaw the threat and custom-built the companion to protect him. Hearing that his friend's pet robot shares a system similar to the creator's leaves Jojo completely flabbergasted. But Wei Yi remains focused, knowing that reviving his companion is the ultimate destiny he must fulfill. Scratching his head, Jojo admits he is pretty jealous of Wei Yi's clear sense of purpose. He explains how his father forced him into business, but becoming an awakened changed everything. Protecting others with his shield gives him a thrill, making him wonder if this is his calling. Our boy warmly reassures him, pointing out that a reliable tank lets them fight without holding back. Suddenly, a strange sensation puts the group on high alert as the atmosphere shifts around them. A thick, unnatural fog rolls in out of nowhere, completely swallowing the ruined streets in seconds. Instantly on guard, Wei Yi tells his sister to get back while Jojo readies his shield. Activating his omniscient analysis skill, our boy prepares to scan the dense mist for hidden threats. Digital blue lines sweep through the area, cutting right through the heavy white vapor, revealing a pack of hideous hunter-fishmen lurking in the water, ready to ambush the unsuspecting group. Suddenly, a pack of hideous hunter-fishmen bursts from the water, completely surrounding our young heroes, prompting Wei Yi to immediately shout back, ordering his best friend to protect his little sister. Jojo instantly steps up, raising his heavy shield to keep the young girl safe, while our boy's system detects 6 enemies lurking surprisingly far away in the dense fog. But before he can even formulate a plan, a sudden invisible strike slices right through him, leaving our shocked hero clutching his bleeding shoulder as he wonders how they bypassed his defenses. Another deadly water blade cuts through the air, forcing him to leap back in a panic, which sends his terrified companions into a complete frenzy as they scream out his name. Gritting his teeth, our boy reassures them it is just a scratch while bracing for more, though he remains deeply troubled by how these distant monsters are landing hits without any visible trajectory. Activating his silver light skill, Wei Yi decides to strike directly to analyze their elemental power. But the hideous fishman lunges forward with a screech, thrusting its trident right at him, only for his heavy hammer to swing right through the beast like a watery illusion, forcing our boy to quickly dodge a sudden invisible head jab coming from behind. Glancing at the glowing blue residue on his weapon, he finally pieces the puzzle together. Meanwhile, at the Split Bear Guild headquarters, members gossip about their bait successfully luring a target, staring at massive shipments of cargo while discussing a terrifying monster that traumatized their crew, prompting the short-staffed thugs to hire some fresh labor to help move the heavy boxes. Barked at by the impatient guards, a nervous new recruit quickly apologizes and keeps pushing. But a sly smirk reveals this clumsy helper is actually the disguised assassin gathering intel. Pushing her cargo cart, the disguised assassin spots Zeki's office and prepares to dig up his secrets. While inside the high-tech office, the guild leader sits quietly at his desk, plotting his next move. Clutching a silver pocket watch, Zeki whispers to a photo inside that the time has finally come. Revealing a young man with glasses, the photo represents the driving force behind Zeki's entire operation, since his late brother's genius allowed him to secure the magic crystal devices dominating the entire town. Now, fueled by pure hatred, the guild leader vows to tear his brother's killer limb from limb, but his dramatic villain monologue is suddenly interrupted when a beefy henchman bursts in with terrible news. This trembling thug explains that their star recruit sent a voice message instead of actually showing up. Pressing play, they hear the arrogant fighter casually flaking on the mission to attend a birthday party, leaving Zeki absolutely furious as the voice message demands next month's payment in advance before hanging up. Furious at the flake, Zeki slams his desk and curses the arrogant recruit who bailed, since they desperately needed that guy's elemental damage to pull off their massive heist, leaving his trembling henchman to ask if they should just scrap the entire operation. Holding a volatile red magic crystal, the thug warns him that one wrong move blows up everything, which suddenly sparks a brilliant, highly dangerous idea in the guild leader's mind. Realizing this powerful crystal can easily replace their missing fighter, Zeki smiles wickedly, ordering his confused subordinate to keep the original plan moving forward as scheduled, though they first need to hunt down a specific target to secure their success. Meanwhile, back in the foggy ruins, a hideous fish monster lunges from the water, forcing Wei Yi to quickly dodge its watery illusions while trying to find their real bodies. Staring at the splashing water, Wei Yi realizes the fishman can regenerate its watery phantoms incredibly fast. But now that he understands their trick, our boy is ready to end this game, raising his heavy hammer high to unleash his electric-type silver light skill against their watery forms, sending a massive surge of high-voltage current directly into the flooded streets to shock the beasts. which instantly fries the hidden monsters as the electricity travels effortlessly through their watery camouflage. Forced out of their stealth, the hideous fishmen twitch in agony as their illusions completely shatter, allowing a relieved JoJo to spot their real bodies and keep his little sister safe, while the terrified predators scramble to retreat back into the deep water in a total panic, only for our boy to instantly cut off their escape path with terrifying speed, crushing the lead monster with a brutal downward swing to finish the fight once and for all. With the lead monster crushed, a sweet system notification confirms the kill and awards some easy experience. But the remaining beasts refuse to back down, lunging at Wei Yi from the misty waters, prompting his dormant system to analyze their movements and unlock a brand new elemental skill. He swings his heavy hammer right on cue, shattering another watery clone with a satisfying shockwave, realizing that his weapon choice completely changes the elemental effects of his signature attacks. This newly acquired skill lets him create a perfect decoy while turning completely invisible in the rain. Suddenly remembering his companions, Wei Yi realizes JoJo cannot identify the real monsters in this fog. Leaping gracefully over a sudden surge of water, he prepares to rejoin the main battle, only to notice the clever monsters have already switched to throwing their deadly tridents from afar. Smiling confidently as he activates the phantom ability to turn the tables on his attackers, a savage fish monster lunges from the water, screeching as it prepares to strike again. Fortunately, JoJo stands firm, blocking the relentless barrage of water blades with his star shield, though the constant pressure makes him realize they cannot just rely on Wei Yi forever, prompting little Xiaoxiao to pump her fist, completely ready to beat the beast to a pulp. Suddenly, a hideous predator leaps high into the air, aiming its sharp trident right at her. But the weird little pouch hanging from her backpack suddenly begins to shake with pure rage, unleashing a massive, high-pitched sonic scream that blasts the leaping monster right out of the sky. This bizarre counterattack leaves our young heroes staring in absolute, jaw-dropping disbelief at the tiny charm, while the dazed fishman crashes back into the water with stars spinning around its head. Before the beast can even recover, a furious roar echoes out, promising absolute doom for targeting Xiao Xiao. Wei Yi intercepts the lunging beast, swinging his heavy hammer down with absolute fury, crushing the hideous fishman into the watery depths with a single devastating blow, which instantly bumps his level to E9 while he silently thanks a quirky shopkeeper's handy item. Not wanting to be left behind, JoJo delivers a brutal shield strike to finish his target, only to look around and realize Wei Yi has already wiped out the entire pack. Still, the victory earns him enough experience to finally break through to D rank, prompting Wei Yi to offer a warm congratulations while little Xiao Xiao pokes a dead monster. As the thick fog finally clears to reveal the path ahead, our boy suggests gathering their loot, which gets JoJo incredibly excited about the potential rare treasures they might harvest from the corpses, though he quickly deflates upon finding only a standard magic crystal instead of a legendary fishman's tear. Wei Yi asks about the legendary item, but JoJo admits he has only heard rumors of its rarity. Meanwhile, little Xiao Xiao pokes a defeated monster and notices a strange blue glow radiating from its chest. Turning around to proudly show off a freezing cold orb she just casually plucked from the corpse. This boy stares in absolute shock, completely unable to believe her absurdly high luck stat, especially since she is holding two of these rare poison-curing A-rank treasures like they are cheap marbles. Leaving the battlefield behind, the group follows a scenic stone path winding deep into a lush forest, eventually arriving at a massive stone cliffside that holds deep personal significance for our young hero, who quietly reflects on his childhood memories while JoJo marvels at how untouched the area remains. Suddenly, constant system alerts flood Wei Yi's vision, confirming a powerful world fragment is hidden nearby, leading them straight to an old overgrown house nestled right beneath the roots of a colossal tree. A massive lightning-infused bear monster roars as it easily shatters a defensive barrier. With glowing red eyes and razor-sharp fangs, the enraged beast prepares to slaughter everything in sight. Watching from the bushes, Wei Yi realizes their standard attacks are barely scratching its thick hide. Suddenly, a glowing green blade cuts through the air, aimed directly at our young hero. An arrogant squad leader holds him at sword point, furious that our boy acted without orders. Unfazed by the threat, Wei Yi points out they need every extra hand to survive this mess. Before they can argue further, the terrifying Bloodclaw bear charges straight toward their chaotic camp. Gritting his teeth, the annoyed leader lowers his blades and promises to settle the score later. He barks orders for the rest of the crew to execute their original ambush plan immediately, but the monstrous beast tears through their steel traps and barriers like they are mere toothpicks. Panicked squad members scramble to fire their heavy restraint net at the charging beast, while Wei Yi quickly analyzes the situation, comparing this monster to his previous battles. Realizing this terrifying Bloodclaw bear is the absolute epitome of raw, specialized power, his system screen confirms his fears, revealing insane physical stats and a highly defensive hard shell. With a deafening roar, the enraged beast shreds their steel net like it is wet paper, leaving the terrified hunters to scream for an immediate retreat as their trap completely fails. A single ground slam from the monster shatters the earth, sending massive boulders flying everywhere, which effortlessly blows the entire vanguard away like ragdolls in a bloody explosion, prompting their healer to desperately order the shield warrior to block the next incoming strike, who bravely steps forward to face the colossal predator with nothing but pure grit. Activating his heavy core armor, the brave shield warrior taunts the colossal beast to draw its attention, and the furious bear immediately obliges, slamming its massive claws down with earth-shattering force, only to trigger a hidden stun effect that leaves the giant predator completely dazed. Seizing the perfect opening, the squad leader orders his archer to target the beast's soft underbelly, which unleashes a devastating piercing shot that lands a direct hit right on the monster's abdomen, allowing the agile leader to dive in with his glowing green blades to stack his combos, triggering a sweet true damage passive from his twin daggers that bypasses the bear's thick armor. Fueled by 3 years of pent-up rage, the commander pours all his hatred into the strike. But watching from the sidelines, Wei Yi knows this legendary forest calamity won't go down easily, especially since an injured hunter is still trapped nearby, directly in the path of destruction. Wei Yi asks the pink-haired healer if she can patch up the wounded warrior nearby, but Sister Bai snaps back in a fury, absolutely hating being ordered around by a random kid. Realizing she might refuse, our boy prepares to swap his own skills to handle the healing himself. Surprisingly, the grumpy support complains loudly while unleashing a massive wave of green recovery magic anyway, which instantly wraps around the fallen vanguard to stitch his brutal wounds back together. She barks orders for him to go assist their commander while she patches up the other idiots, prompting a soft smile from Wei Yi, who realizes her harsh attitude is just a cover. Standing on the cliffside, he warns the survivors that the upcoming battle is about to get worse, leaving the grateful warrior to shout his heartfelt thanks as they scramble away to safety. Now, with the bystanders finally out of harm's way, our hero prepares to join the raid. This giant bear swipes at the squad leader, forcing him to dodge the massive claws. He spins midair to retaliate, unleashing a flurry of strikes with his twin green daggers. But without a proper stun setup, his basic attacks barely tickle the monster's thick hide. Realizing he must shatter its hard shell first, the frustrated leader wonders where Wei Yi is, only for a sudden system warning to flash as the beast raises its massive claws. A devastating ground slam sends the arrogant commander flying backwards, screaming for his team to retreat, while the poor shield warrior gets launched into the air with his skills still on cooldown, leaving the rest of the squad scrambling for safety as the shockwave tears the earth apart. With its eyes glowing crimson, the lightning-infused bear roars in pure, unbridled fury, forcing the battered leader to realize they stand absolutely zero chance against this wide-range destruction. This squad leader grimaces, realizing the reckless kid has only succeeded in making the colossal bear angrier. But before he can retreat, Wei Yi lunges forward to take over the frontline battle, prompting the panicked commander to scream that charging a furious bloodclaw is pure suicide. Unfazed by the warning, our boy raises his sword high to keep his promise to the team, while his system instantly predicts the giant bear's next moves to help him dodge the incoming strikes. This insane display of agility leaves the nearby hunters completely dumbfounded by his sheer audacity, though the experienced leader watches closely, analyzing the kid's movements with a highly critical eye. Realizing that despite his speed buff, the rookie is still far too slow for this monster. A massive claw crashes down with earth-shattering force, completely engulfing our hero in a cloud of dust, leaving the spectators to mock his apparent demise while the healer wonders if he actually survived. This squad leader despairs, convinced that trusting a reckless rookie has doomed their entire team, while the lightning-infused bear roars in triumph, ready to crush everything in its path. But its massive claw strikes nothing but air, shattering a clever water decoy into digital pixels, revealing Wei Yi's determined face as he vows to keep his promise to the squad. Activating his silver light skill, our boy leaps high above the dazed predator with sword drawn, leaving the dumbfounded hunters to scream in absolute shock as they realize he survived. And with a fierce battle cry, he prepares to put an end to the beast's arrogance. He unleashes a devastating shattering strike, instantly bringing down the colossal forest calamity with one blow, before the group finally enters the old house, finding a messy room filled with scattered papers, where a sweet system notification confirms his new companion is incredibly happy with its name. Wei Yi checks his system interface, realizing there are still 7 more world fragments left to collect, but his sudden zoning out prompts Jojo to ask if he found something weird in the room, leading our boy to quickly explain that his system just upgraded to rank D1 with Lan Bao's help. This sudden revelation leaves Jojo and little Xiao Xiao completely blown away by his absurdly fast leveling speed, though Wei Yi humbly chalks it up to pure luck while emphasizing the need to get stronger, which unfortunately backfires, leaving his buddy feeling incredibly dejected about his own slow progress. Realizing he might have accidentally crushed his friend's spirit, our hero scrambles to find the right words, only for a sudden loud ringtone to shatter the awkward silence and startle the entire group. Turns out it is a holographic call from their guild captain, Lin Xiang, checking in on them, prompting Jojo to report their location while she happily notices that her favorite junior is safe. Lin Xiang orders them to head back to Ringstar City together to train with some new recruits, but Wei Yi explains he has to drop little Xiao Xiao off at home first, prompting the captain to immediately ditch Jojo and order him back to base alone, ignoring his dramatic tears while sending him the coordinates of a nearby party to join, as she emphasizes how crucial this upcoming high-stakes mission is for their guild's future. With the call ending, a thoroughly defeated Jojo prepares to make his lonely trek back, lamenting that Wei Yi's cheap storage ring lacks a basic holographic communication feature. While our boy resolves to grind more magic crystals to upgrade his gear, Xiao Xiao waves goodbye, leaving the duo to finally begin their own journey back toward the city, though his system secretly warns him that the little girl is hiding some serious physical distress. Wei Yi's eyes widen as he realizes the little girl is hiding some serious physical pain. Kneeling down, he gently asks her to lift her foot so he can check the injury, only to find a nasty raw scrape from the sharp thorns along the forest path. She admits she kept quiet because she didn't want to burden her hardworking big brother, prompting our boy to immediately offer her a piggyback ride despite her polite protests. He playfully claims that carrying her is just another crucial part of his daily training, leaving the sweet little girl completely touched by his heartwarming and protective words. Once she is safely secured on his back, he asks if she is holding on tight, and with a sudden burst of speed, they zoom through the forest toward home. Meanwhile, back at the city, some bored recruits yawn while waiting for their new teammates. Inside a high-tech workshop, a smug squad leader sits impatiently while waiting for their final recruit. His beefy companion grows increasingly frustrated, demanding to know when their target will finally show up. Shouting directly at the elderly mechanic, the hot-headed warrior demands a straight answer immediately, but the calm old man simply shrugs, telling them they are completely free to leave. This nonchalant attitude only infuriates the musclehead further, who declares his patience has reached its limit until the door suddenly swings open, instantly reducing the tough guy to a begging mess. A white-haired youth steps inside, demanding to know why these uninvited guests are lounging in his home, prompting the young mage to glare at Zichi, who quickly tries to defuse the tension. Zichi casually tosses a massive pile of glowing red magic crystals onto the floor as a bribe, explaining they need his specialized elemental damage to help them take down a boss-level magical beast. Wei Yi's system confirms the visitor is telling the truth, meaning the old mechanic was in on it, and right on cue, the elderly mechanic nods to confirm he knew about the deal all along, offering 500 magic crystals and a 5-year energy contract that would easily cover their rent for years. Knowing such massive bribe means trouble, our boy demands to know what monster they are hunting, only for the squad leader to drop a bombshell by naming the legendary forest calamity Bloodclaw. This terrifying beast is notorious for wiping out entire parties, including a B-rank squad that showed off, leaving Wei Yi to sweat as he recalls how nobody made it back alive from that disaster. Zichi casually claims he won't force the kid, offering him a free choice to walk away, but his expression instantly darkens as he warns that refusing this offer comes with a heavy price. Sensing sudden killing intent, our hero quickly shields the terrified little girl from this blatant carrot-and-stick threat. Wei Yi realizes he is still too weak for a direct fight, meaning he must play his cards carefully. Turning around, our boy agrees to join the raid but immediately lays down some heavy conditions. He demands 2 communication-enabled storage rings and a permanent contract to ensure his family's long-term safety. While the hot-headed warrior screams at him to stop pushing his luck, Zichi remains dead silent. A smug grin creeps onto the squad leader's face as he promises to grant every single demand, but he coldly warns the kid that failing this mission will only result in a brutal death. Setting the meeting for tomorrow morning at the Misty Forest, the leader warns him not to be late. With the deal struck, the uninvited guests finally leave, allowing the tense household to breathe again. Our hero calculates that taking the deal is his best bet to secure safety for his family, though he still needs to find a proper sword-type weapon before facing the legendary beast. Just as Wei Yi prepares to leave, the elderly mechanic stops him with a wrapped package, explaining that he spent his free time crafting a special weapon just for him, and despite the difficult modern forging techniques, he managed to create a masterpiece. Warning our boy to hold the hilt carefully to avoid getting sliced by the sharp edge, he reveals the stunning silver fang blade, a C-rank weapon with incredible sharpness and bleed effects, leaving our hero completely thrilled to finally have the perfect weapon for his upcoming raid. Meanwhile, at the designated meeting spot outside the city walls, tension begins to build as the hot-headed warrior checks his pocket watch, growing increasingly impatient with the delay, while Zichi fumes over their missing advance team and the rookie's apparent lack of punctuality, prompting the musclehead to worry they got played, though his leader demands absolute patience. This squad's arrogant archer complains about waiting, wondering why they even need some random rookie. Boasting about his new C-rank breakthrough, he claims he is basically on par with top-tier hunters, but a purple-haired squadmate immediately steps up to roast him for his massive ego. Lighting a cigarette, she reminds the loudmouth that their boss's strategic judgment is never wrong, which shuts up the beefy warrior just as someone spots their missing recruit approaching. Zichi narrows his eyes in silence, noting that the kid has finally arrived. Jogging toward the group, Wei Yi casually finishes his absurdly heavy daily physical training routine, prompting the hot-headed warrior to immediately scream at him for making everyone wait, only for our boy to calmly point out that he arrived exactly on time, adding that his morning workout doesn't violate their deal, leaving the angry squad completely speechless. This arrogant archer immediately sizes up Wei Yi, mocking his frail appearance and questioning his replacement status. He even tries to extort our boy's hard-earned magic crystals under the guise of looking out for him, but Wei Yi completely shuts him down, prompting the beefy warrior to laugh at his rejected teammate. Turning his gaze to the musclehead, our boy casually reminds him of their last embarrassing beatdown, which instantly triggers the warrior's fragile ego, while the archer happily returns the mockery. Observing the dysfunctional group, Wei Yi quietly analyzes their lineup and notes their rare support healer. This purple-haired woman glares back with intense wariness, proving their leader didn't skimp on preparations. Before the bickering can escalate, Zichi cuts in to announce that the frontline preparations are complete, declaring with absolute confidence that their 3-year wait to slay the legendary beast is finally over, and rallying his guildmates to fulfill their ultimate purpose of wiping the Bloodclaw off the map. This lead pushes forward as the conflict keeps escalating, leaving our boy completely dumbfounded by this bizarrely organized corporate culture. But he pushes the awkwardness aside, hoping this dangerous subjugation mission goes smoothly. This magical barrier of the hidden mist is dispelled as the team exits their simulation state, while a mysterious rogue watches from the shadows, thrilled to see Wei Yi has joined the raid. Deep in the forest, the advanced team is suddenly ambushed by a pack of vicious monsters, facing a deadly combination of agile mimic apes and ferocious fangwolves, prompting the vanguard to raise his massive shield and order his allies to regroup behind him. This hunters struggle to hold their ground as a sneaky ape prepares to strike from above, until a sudden bolt of lightning zaps the beast, leaving the vanguard completely stunned by the rescue. This arrogant archer boasts about his lightning shot, while the stubborn vanguard complains he didn't need saving. Even their healer sighs at the waste of energy, roasting the archer for showing off on small fry. Meanwhile, Wei Yi sizes up the entire raid party while his system quietly analyzes their power levels. He admits this motley crew has decent teamwork despite a few loudmouths trying way too hard, but their flashy showboating gives Lan Bao the perfect chance to copy and store their healing skill. Opening his skill star map, our boy marvels at how his abilities are mapped out like constellations. Though he spots 2 powerful locked skills left over from his previous fusion that remain unusable, his system chimes in with a warning, explaining that swapping skills on the fly costs serious mana, making it a terrible idea mid-combat, so he decides to optimize his loadout right now. Ditching his heavy armor skill for the newly copied lightning arrow, he prepares for the real fight. Wei Yi's system warns him that Zichi is incredibly sharp, detecting any attempt to analyze him. Meanwhile, the loud vanguard screams at our boy for standing around while everyone else fights, but Wei Yi coldly reminds him that their contract only covers the legendary boss fight. Zichi quickly shuts down the bickering, ordering his squad to focus on the baited area ahead. Our hero realizes the squad leader's obsession with the Bloodclaw runs incredibly deep, prompting him to ask why they are risking their lives to hunt this beast. With a chilling glare, the leader simply states that the monster deserves to die, warning our boy to stop asking questions if he wants to stay alive. Suddenly, a desperate cry for help echoes through the dense forest, catching everyone off guard as a massive shockwave tears through the trees, forcing the squad to immediately scatter. Peeking through the dense foliage, Wei Yi spots the source of the massive commotion. His eyes widen in absolute shock as he takes in the chaotic scene unfolding nearby. A colossal crystal-backed bear is currently cornering 2 helpless adventurers who are desperately trying to survive. Our boy immediately recognizes the terrifying beast as the legendary Bloodclaw itself. Meanwhile, Zichi looks incredibly annoyed that some random rookies wandered into their designated hunting ground. He coldly orders his squad to hold back and let the monster slaughter the strangers first. This heartless strategy immediately triggers Wei Yi, who demands to know why they aren't helping. But the squad leader simply scoffs, refusing to waste precious energy on 2 completely unrelated people. To make matters worse, the other recruits start placing bets on how quickly the victims will die, leaving our hero disgusted by their absolute scum behavior in a world ruled by pure selfishness. Refusing to let innocent people die, Wei Yi decides he cannot simply stand by and watch. But the massive distance and Zichi's hidden traps make a direct melee strike impossible, prompting his system to suggest using a nearby tough white stone vine as a makeshift projectile. Realizing any projectile can trigger his skills, our boy quickly slices the vine to prepare his attack, winding up for a massive throw while the squad's vanguard watches in absolute confusion as he channels his newly copied lightning arrow skill directly into the improvised wooden spear, launching the electrified projectile across the forest with the force of a literal railgun. This triggers immediate panic from Zichi, who realizes the kid just stole their thunder, and the massive bolt strikes the legendary beast dead on, injecting a sudden spark of hope, leaving the terrifying monster roaring in agony while the rescued rookies stare up in disbelief. This massive beast roars in absolute fury, completely unfazed by the sudden lightning strike, leaving the rescued rookie shivering in fear as he realizes their attacks did absolutely nothing. But before Wei Yi can celebrate his save, a glowing green sword flies right at him, as Zichi holds a blade to his throat, furious that the kid acted without orders. Our boy calmly points out that they need all the help they can get right now. And right on cue, the enraged Bloodclaw charges directly toward their position. Backing off for now, the squad leader promises to settle their score after the hunt, instantly rallying his entire squad to execute their carefully prepared battle plan. But the legendary beast easily tears through their magical barriers and steel traps like paper, forcing the desperate vanguard to order the immediate launch of their heavy restraining net. Wei Yi quickly realizes that if the previous boss had balanced stats, this giant bear must be a highly specialized tank, boasting insane physical strength at the cost of speed, which explains why it effortlessly shreds their heavy steel restraining net like wet paper, leaving the vanguard screaming in absolute panic as their ultimate trap fails instantly. Charging forward with pure rage, the colossal beast smashes through the rocky terrain, sending the front lines flying like ragdolls as they cough up blood from the impact. Seeing the chaos, the purple-haired healer orders Pang Ming to tank the beast while she heals, prompting the massive vanguard to brace himself as the giant bear lunges at him, activating his heavy core ram skill to taunt the monster with absolute confidence, and absorbing the devastating blow head-on as a massive shockwave erupts around his shield. This vanguard's taunt actually works, leaving the massive bear completely stunned for 3 crucial seconds. Seizing the moment, she orders their arrogant archer to aim directly for the beast's exposed abdomen, and they unleash a coordinated strike, combining a piercing lightning arrow with a rapid sword flurry. Zichi spins through the air like a blender, meeting the conditions to trigger his ultimate attack, which lands 22 consecutive hits to bypass the monster's insane defense with pure true damage. Pouring 3 years of pent-up rage into his blade, the leader vows to end this nightmare. But Wei Yi remains highly skeptical, knowing a legendary forest calamity won't go down this easily, especially with those 2 injured rookies still trapped right in the middle of the chaotic crossfire. Prompting our boy to ask their purple-haired support if she can spare a quick healing spell, only for the healer to snap at him, completely unaware that Lambao is copying her emotions. Realizing the healer won't budge, Wei Yi wonders if he must swap in his own healing skill, but the grumpy support suddenly snaps, unleashing a wave of green magic while complaining about her job, which instantly wraps around the injured rookie, patching up his wounds in the middle of the chaos. Behind her angry facade, Lanbao easily detects her hidden exhaustion and surprisingly soft-hearted nature, leaving our boy smiling as he realizes you truly cannot judge a book by its cover. He warns the rescued rookies to flee before the battle gets any uglier, earning their immediate gratitude, and they quickly scramble away, promising to repay their savior if they ever cross paths again. With the civilians safe, our boy prepares to jump in and fulfill his end of the deal, while the colossal bear continues its rampage, swiping its massive claws at their agile squad leader. Zichi spins gracefully through the air, dual-wielding his glowing green blades to slice deep into the beast. Zichi realizes his basic attacks aren't doing squat without proper crowd control to chain his combos, making him realize they must shatter the beast's hardened armor first while wondering where Wei Yi is. But before he can formulate a plan, Wei Yi's danger sensing system triggers a massive red alert as the colossal bear rears back to unleash a devastating area of effect ground slam, sending Zichi flying backward as he desperately screams for his squad to fall back. Unfortunately, the Vanguard's defensive skills are still on cooldown, leaving him completely defenseless against the flying debris. Even the backline support and archer are forced to scramble as the shockwave tears the ground apart, revealing the legendary beast's glowing red eyes as it enters a state of pure, unbridled fury, which spells absolute disaster for the low-ranking rookies who can't possibly survive this massive area damage, leaving the squad leader sweating bullets as he realizes they picked a fight way too early. Wei Yi suddenly dashes forward to take over the fight, leaving Zichi completely stunned. This squad leader screams at him to stop, warning that charging an enraged beast is pure suicide. But our boy ignores the warning, determined to keep his promise and finish this fight. Fortunately, his system initiates real-time attack predictions to help him dodge the giant bear's strikes, leaving the arrogant archer completely speechless as he watches the kid dodge with insane speed, though Zichi watches closely, analyzing the battlefield with his highly trained eyes. He realizes that despite our boy's speed buff, the monster is still way too fast, as the colossal beast slams its massive claw down, completely crushing the ground beneath them, prompting the squad to assume their reckless new recruit was just crushed to death, while the squad leader despairs, fearing this absolute disaster will cost them the entire raid. This enraged Bloodclaw roars, ready to turn our boy into a permanent stain on the forest floor. But the giant bear's devastating strike only hits a fading illusion of water and light, as Wei Yi appears high above, determined to keep his promise and finish this beast. Deactivating his phantom decoy, he instantly triggers his silver light skill to charge his blade with lethal energy, leaving the bickering squad completely dumbfounded as they realize the kid isn't actually dead. And with a confident grin, our hero prepares to cool down the monster's fiery temper. Channeling his full power, he unleashes a devastating downward strike that completely bypasses the beast's legendary defense, shattering the colossal bear's hardened crystal armor into a million pieces with one glorious shockwave. This leaves the spectators screaming in absolute disbelief that a rookie just broke a legendary boss's defense, while Zichi sweats bullets, realizing he vastly underestimated the insane power our boy was hiding. Lanbao showers our boy with praise for flawless strike, but he quickly tells her to pipe down, because the colossal beast is already regenerating despite taking a massive armor-shattering blow. Suddenly, a massive wall of thorny green vines erupts from the ground, catching our hero completely off guard, as the giant plant-based trap wraps around the raging bear to lock it in place. Standing atop the vines, Zichi smugly declares the fight is basically won without that armor, prompting him to order his entire squad to drop their defenses and unleash absolute hell. Watching from the sidelines, Wei grins as his system immediately begins copying the leader's ultimate skill. And to speed up the process, our boy decides to jump back in with another strike, landing a flurry of rapid slashes that stack multiple bleed effects onto the restrained monster. This impressive display actually earns Zichi's respect, prompting the leader to unleash his deadly purple snake poison. Zichi plunges his glowing blade directly into the bear's skull, successfully applying his corrupting black poison, sending the colossal beast into a screaming fit as blood sprays from its massive jaws. While the smug archer draws his bow to lecture our boy on using lightning magic, showing off a concentrated elemental strike that gives Wei Yi a perfect chance to copy the technique, though the other recruits quickly snap at our hero for his seemingly relaxed and uncaring attitude. At that exact moment, the heavily poisoned beast finally collapses to the ground with a thunderous crash, allowing our boy to successfully copy the leader's powerful thorn and poison skills for his own arsenal, before the purple-haired healer approaches him to offer some surprisingly genuine praise for his performance. She laments how the leader wasted his youth, triggering Lan Bao's emotional radar for hidden romance, leaving our hero wondering if he just stumbled into some juicy gossip about their past. Wei Yi asks the healer why they are hunting this specific beast, but she stubbornly refuses to talk. Our boy immediately deploys some flattery, easily breaking her tough exterior to get the juicy details. Turns out, the squad leader and his younger brother once smuggled highly valuable magic crystal energy devices together, but their illegal operation took a tragic turn when the legendary Blood Claw suddenly ambushed them, leaving the younger brother with no choice but to detonate their cargo to buy some time, forcing Zichi to watch his closest family member blow himself up in a desperate sacrifice. Since that fateful day, the traumatized leader has dedicated his entire life to one goal: absolute revenge. Back in the present, Zichi stares down at the beast with cold, unyielding hatred, standing triumphantly atop the monster's massive head to deliver his final dramatic declaration of victory, while the rest of the squad marvels at the legendary beast's insane resilience against their deadly poison. This purple-haired healer smiles, confident that their leader is finally about to secure his long-awaited revenge, but Wei Yi still feels a lingering sense of unease as his system detects the beast's hidden rage, showing that this legendary forest calamity has absolutely no intention of going down without a fight. Suddenly, the colossal bear unleashes a deafening roar that sends powerful shockwaves ripping through the clearing, forcing the nearby rookies to cover their ears in agony as the sheer volume threatens to deafen them. Standing triumphantly atop the monster's head, Zichi sneers at the beast's desperate attempt to resist, plunging his glowing blades deep into its skull to fully inject his corrupting black poison. Yet the stubborn squad leader ignores the alert, convinced the poisoned monster is completely under his control, leaving the leader highly confused as he notices the beast lacks any scars from his brother's past sacrifice. Sensing the exact same threat, our boy immediately orders Lan Bao to expand her analysis range before it's too late. Lan Bao's system suddenly flashes a massive red warning, detecting a high-speed anomaly heading their way. Zichi's face pales as he recognizes that familiar terrifying roar echoing through the forest. Meanwhile, the arrogant archer and the remaining rookies feel the entire ground violently shaking beneath them, leaving the sniper highly annoyed as he looks around to find the source of the commotion. Suddenly, a second colossal bloodclaw bear bursts from the tree line, radiating pure elemental fury, and it immediately plows through the vanguard, sending bodies and debris flying in every direction, shattering their heavy steel armor like cheap plastic, and leaving the entire squad completely helpless, prompting the purple-haired healer to freeze in absolute terror at the sight of another legendary beast. Fortunately, Wei Yi spots the danger and lunges forward, shouting a warning as he shields her, activating his innate block skill to absorb the monster's devastating claw strike head-on. Even after blocking the blow, Wei Yi spits blood as the sheer impact rattles his bones, while the newly arrived beast continues its rampage, tearing the battlefield apart with ease, leaving the entire squad scattered and broken amidst a sea of shattered stone and blood. Standing atop his prey, Zichi ignores the system's screaming red warnings as he stares ahead, his eyes widening in horror as he spots a very specific, unforgettable scar on the newcomer. This is the exact same legendary beast that slaughtered his family 3 years ago, making him realize his entire quest for vengeance was built on a massive lie, as the bodies of his fallen comrades flash before his eyes in a wave of guilt. Turns out there wasn't just one calamity, but a pair of twin apex predators ruling these woods, prompting the broken leader to scream his brother's name as he prepares for a final, desperate stand. Zichi charges forward with his dual blades, screaming about the blood debt he must settle, while the scarred beast roars in fury, struggling against the glowing green energy binding its massive limbs. Determined to end this nightmare once and for all, the desperate leader grits his teeth in pure rage. He lunges straight at the monster, completely blinded by his obsession with securing his long-awaited revenge. But the legendary beast suddenly triggers its blood rage, radiating a terrifying crimson aura of pure destruction, catching the reckless leader completely off guard as a massive claw swipes directly at his face. With its stats boosted by 200%, the monster easily shatters his defense and sends him flying, leaving the heavily bleeding leader to realize his quest for vengeance might end in his own demise. In a last-ditch effort to survive, he deploys a magic crystal energy shield combined with a forest of thorns, only for the enraged predator to relentlessly slam its massive claws down, instantly cracking his final defense. Zichi's magic crystal shield cracks under the pressure, leaving the desperate leader completely exposed. And with a deafening shatter, the barrier explodes into a shower of sharp debris, blowing the entire squad backward as the shockwave tears through the surrounding forest. Watching the disaster unfold, the purple-haired healer screams for terror for her fallen leader, while Wei Yi clutches his chest, ignoring his system's warnings to assess the damage. Realizing their entire squad is wiped out and retreat is their only option left. Unfortunately, the colossal predator has other plans as it looms over them once more, triggering its terrifying blood rage skill to push its destructive power past its limits. This massive buff boosts the monster's stats by 200%, sealing their doom, prompting the desperate healer to unleash her Mirage Mist in a final attempt to escape. This Mirage Mist completely blinds the twin beasts, buying our heroes a few precious seconds to escape. But the brave healer urges Wei Yi to run while she holds the line, claiming she still has unfinished business to settle before she can even think of retreating. Our boy immediately calls her out, warning that wasting her mana on a suicide mission is pure madness. Yet she stubbornly insists their leader is still alive somewhere deep inside that thick fog, where the broken leader lies bleeding out, desperately needing medical attention before his time runs out. She refuses to live with the regret of doing nothing, even if it costs her life, prompting her to order our hero to save himself while his system calculates 3 perfect escape routes. Instead of running, Wei Yi tells his system to cancel the retreat and locate the fallen leader, realizing he can never change the world if he abandons his allies in their darkest hour. This purple-haired healer stubbornly insists on going back herself to rescue their fallen leader, but Wei Yi points out that her depleted mana makes this a literal suicide mission, leaving her completely speechless as our boy delivers a surprisingly wholesome speech about saving good people, though he quickly adds that he will absolutely run away if things get too dangerous. Meanwhile, the system displays the terrifyingly buffed stats of the twin bosses currently on a rampage, prompting our hero to deploy his water decoy to distract the colossal beasts in the fog, which works perfectly since the thick mist grants his phantom skill a massive stealth upgrade. Still, he laments not having enough time to copy the monster's insane blood rage buff. Guided by Lambao's radar, our boy spots the injured leader lying just ahead, just as the massive predator suddenly sniffs the air, sensing an intruder nearby. This system warns Wei Yi that the colossal predator has locked onto his position with extreme vigilance, before Lambao screams a frantic warning that the beast is already prepping a devastating skill, sending a massive shockwave ripping through the earth as the monster unleashes its brutal smash. This wide-range attack instantly dispels his water decoy, putting his main escape tool on a long cooldown, leaving our boy highly vulnerable since these apex predators can easily sniff out his location anyway. With both colossal beasts closing in, he realizes he cannot survive this encounter on raw strength alone, prompting him to ask his system assistant to take control of his emotions to stay calm. Meanwhile, the purple-haired healer stands her ground, desperately channeling her remaining mana to cast a final spell. But fresh blood drips onto the shattered stones as her physical limits catch up to her, revealing that flying debris pierced her abdomen, leaving her with 0 elemental power to heal herself. Clutching her bleeding side, the purple-haired healer desperately prays for our boy to hurry up. Meanwhile, a cracked pocket watch lies abandoned on the ground, showing a faded photo of Zeming. Slumped against a shattered tree, the heavily bleeding leader coughs up blood as his vision fades, recognizing the signature mist and realizing his loyal squad is still fighting to save him. As memories of his cheerful comrades flash before his eyes, reminding him of their unwavering loyalty, he deeply regrets dragging his beloved guild members into a suicide mission fueled by his own obsession, while the final words of his self-sacrificing younger brother echo painfully in his mind. Determined to make amends, the broken leader pulls out a highly volatile magic crystal energy core, intending to detonate the device to finally wipe out the twin beasts in a massive explosion, but a sudden hand reaches through the thick fog to stop his desperate suicide attempt. Zichi gasps in absolute shock as his desperate suicide attempt is suddenly interrupted, with Wei Yi diving through the thick fog to physically stop him from detonating the core, scolding the reckless leader for trying to blow himself up after a rescue mission, pinning him safely against a tree while the chaotic battlefield rages around them, leaving the battered leader completely stunned to see our boy risking his life here. Wei Yi casually explains he was hired by their healer to bring him back alive, prompting Zeichi to wonder how he even bypassed the deadly bear's tight encirclement, only for our boy to reveal his master plan involved throwing sweet honey cakes, taking inspiration from the squad's own baiting tactics to easily distract the massive predators, which work perfectly since these terrifying apex predators apparently cannot resist a delicious snack. Wiki deals with the nasty side effects of tapping into his forbidden demonic power, letting Lanbao manage his emotions to prevent a total mental takeover by that creepy hellish force. Our boy quickly swaps his phantom skill for a basic cure spell to patch up the leader, leaving Zichi completely dumbfounded that a frontline fighter can casually cast high-tier healing magic. But Wei Yi shuts down his questions, telling him to focus on surviving their escape instead. This battered leader begrudgingly accepts mystery, realizing everyone in this crazy world has secrets. Feeling the healing energy surge through his body, Zichi immediately tries to rush back to Lili, only to freeze in shock as he senses a dark, suffocating aura radiating from his savior. with our boy struggling to suppress the demonic corruption currently eating away at his own sanity, just as the protective mist suddenly disperses, exposing them both to the dangers of the forest. As the mist clears, the twin beasts loom large, holding the helpless healer in their terrifying grasp. Wei Yi stares in absolute shock, realizing his calculations failed and Lily is now in mortal danger. Desperate for more power to slay the monsters, our boy ignores his system's warnings about losing control. Suddenly, a massive crimson eye manifests, offering him the ultimate dark power he needs to survive, yielding to the sinister voice whispering in his mind to finally sink into the absolute darkness. Meanwhile, the colossal beast prepares to crush the defenseless healer with its massive razor-sharp claws, prompting the battered leader to scream her name in agony as he realizes he cannot reach her. Yet a sudden streak of blue light flashes across the battlefield at an impossible speed, just as the system warns that her shattered status will double any incoming damage. Fortunately, our boy arrives with a massive speed buff, snatching her away from the jaws of death. Wei Yi quickly checks on the purple-haired healer, relieved to find she is only unconscious. He tosses her over to the stunned leader, telling him to catch her before the beasts strike. Zichi cradles her in shock, wondering what terrifying, suffocating aura is suddenly radiating from our boy, as Wei Yi's eyes glow with a sinister light, fully embracing the dark power within him. Facing the massive twin predators alone, he unleashes a torrent of corrupt energy to level the playing field, while his system triggers a massive numerical flow, boosting his strength and stamina to ridiculous heights, prompting one of the enraged beasts to swipe its massive, crystal-spiked claw straight at him. But our boy easily evades the devastating blow, preparing his giant hammer for a counterattack. Unfortunately, both colossal predators coordinate their strikes, aiming to crush him under their sheer weight. Yet Wei Yi just smirks with absolute confidence, ready to show them who the real monster is. Wei Yi immediately swaps his healing spell for heavy core armor, boosting his stamina to survive the incoming strike, which triggers a massive shockwave that leaves the colossal predator completely stunned for 3 crucial seconds, leaving the battered leader absolutely speechless as he watches our boy pull out another high-tier skill. Seizing his chance, our hero lunges forward to deliver a devastating blow while the monster is completely paralyzed, quickly swapping his defensive armor for an Envenom skill to spike his elemental power to the absolute max, slicing right through the beast's thick hide to apply a shattered status that doubles all incoming damage, instantly injecting a lethal dose of corrupting black poison directly into the colossal predator's massive heart, causing the toxin to violently erupt and instantly slay the first boss in a shower of dark energy. As the remaining twin beast roars in pure fury, our boy casually stands his ground while leveling up, prepping his silver light skill to unleash a final, electrifying strike that will end this nightmare once and for all. Wei Yi's stats skyrocket as he channels his newly acquired dark energy for a devastating strike, summoning a massive crackling lightning arrow that spins with enough raw power to tear the sky apart, while the remaining twin beast roars in desperation, realizing its doom is rapidly approaching. This electrifying projectile hits dead center, triggering the shattered status to double his already insane damage output, before his innate haste skill kicks in, launching our boy high above the panicked predator, where he swaps skills mid-air to spike his elemental power to a ridiculous 500%, bringing his massive hammer down to shatter the monster's skull in a spectacular bloody explosion. A final devastating strike pierces right through the colossal beast, ending its reign of terror instantly. As the giant corpse collapses, the system showers him with notifications for reaching level 13, leaving the battered leader staring in absolute horror, wondering if their savior is even human anymore. Zichi watches in absolute terror, wondering if our boy has transformed into a literal demon. Meanwhile, Lanbao desperately spams system alerts to wake Wei Yi up before he loses himself completely. This terrified leader tries to back away, realizing they have absolutely nowhere left to run, as our corrupted hero charges forward, forcing his system assistant to take a drastic measure. Suddenly, a dark demonic claw manifests to physically halt his own blade mid-swing, leaving Zochi utterly baffled while Wei Yi screams in agony, fighting for control. Inside his mind, the sinister entity mocks his resistance as the system forcefully reclaims his consciousness, prompting our boy to glare back and demand the creepy voice get out of his head. With the demonic power forcibly deactivated, he collapses to the ground, completely exhausted but finally sane. Though the relieved leader quickly points out that Wei Yi's hand is still stained pitch black. Wei Yi stares in horror as the sinister Hell's Mark completely consumes his left hand, realizing he must rapidly grow stronger without relying on this corrupting double-edged power. But a sudden playful voice interrupts his thoughts, praising them for slaying the colossal beasts, prompting the startled duo to look up and spot a mysterious girl perched on a branch. Our boy instantly recognizes her as a familiar face, though she seems far too cheerful, demanding to know the true extent of his power after witnessing his solo boss takedown, while his system fails to scan her panel due to some active concealment skill, before she suddenly vanishes from the branch in a blur of impossible speed. Lanbao frantically warns him that she has already reappeared right behind his back, leaning in close to inspect his corrupted hand with absolute boundary-crossing curiosity. Wei Yi blinks in confusion, wondering if his sudden lack of caution is just a weird side effect, only to realize his system has flagged a passive skill that forcefully lowered his guard, with Lanbao confirming the mental trick is weak enough to easily purge from his mind. Our boy immediately shuts her down, stating he has zero interest in sharing secrets with strangers. while the guild leader stares at her dark attire, suddenly remembering rumors of a legendary thief, prompting Zichi to draw his glowing blade and demand to know her true identity. She casually brushes off his threat, claiming she actually came here specifically to find him, before smugly flaunting a stolen flash drive containing highly classified smuggling files from his computer. This sudden revelation strikes a nerve, instantly turning the leader's shock into pure, unbridled rage as he lunges forward with his glowing sword, desperately demanding she hand over the stolen data. Dodging Zuchi's strike, the thief grabs Wei Yi's arm and complains about the leader's aggressive temper. Zuchi's eyes widen in realization, recognizing her as Black Crow from the notorious Black Matter Syndicate. She happily confirms her identity, while Wei Yi notes that her name sounds like a shady codename. Our boy recalls hearing about this underground trading organization, realizing Zichi is completely at her mercy. Waving her hands, the thief insists she isn't here to threaten them, just to share some juicy secrets. This mysterious girl proposes a mutual deal for her own personal gain, leaving the skeptical leader demanding details. Black Crow asks if he ever wondered why the deadly beasts targeted his squad in the first place, revealing that their supposedly safe route somehow led them straight into the boss's territory. This revelation hits Zichi like a truck, prompting him to pull out his squad's magic crystal energy core, only to discover a hidden tracking device planted right inside the safety valve of his gear. Popping open the core's safety valve reveals a hidden micro-component tucked away inside. Black Crow explains this exact tracking device shows up in every single piece of smuggled cargo. Lan Bao identifies it as a signal emitter designed to attract monsters, hinting at a massive setup. This realization hits Zichi like a truck, proving his brother's death was actually a calculated murder. Seizing the moment, the cheeky thief offers to spill even more secrets for the right price. She demands boss materials as payment, but the broken leader wonders how he can even get revenge. Zichi explains they were forced to smuggle these devices by a powerful authority back home. This thief casually points out the mastermind is a top-tier guild leader, making revenge seem totally impossible. Our battered leader reveals this mastermind is actually one of the legendary 10 founders of this world. Even the smug thief is genuinely shocked that he knows such a highly classified secret. Hearing about the 10 founders, Wei Yi wonders if they are connected to the mysterious creator, but Zochi admits his knowledge is limited, only knowing they possess god-tier talents. These legendary titans basically inspired the world's creation, making them far more dangerous than any boss, leaving our boy to quietly resolve to avoid these overpowered monsters while searching for world fragments. Meanwhile, the broken leader decides to walk away from revenge, refusing to chase a hopeless battle, and instead hands Wei Yi a glowing reward as promised for saving their lives, which turns out to be a highly coveted custom-made storage ring of the absolute highest caliber. This high-tech glove comes packed with optical mimicry, leaving our boy stunned by the leader's immense generosity. Before Zeichi announces he is taking the injured healer back to town to recover, he even leaves all the valuable boss materials behind, giving Wei Yi the ultimate payday he deserves. Black Crow watches Wei Yi pocket all the high-grade loot, realizing our boy just hit the ultimate jackpot. Suddenly, their heavily armored vanguard stumbles back into the clearing, completely clueless about the absolute chaos he missed. Peng Ming proudly boasts that his thick skin saved him from being turned into Monster Chow. Zuchi just sighs in relief, adjusting the unconscious healer on his back before calling for a retreat. Meanwhile, the cheeky thief warns Wei Yi to keep his terrifying dark avatar hidden from prying eyes. Our boy casually nods in agreement, though his dismissive attitude clearly rubs the legendary thief the wrong way. This guild leader watches them, silently predicting that this mysterious kid is destined to shake the entire world. With their business in the dangerous boss territory finally concluded, the group prepares to part ways. As the battered squad begins their long trek back to safety, they leave the quiet forest behind, though Pang Ming quickly offers to carry the unconscious healer to speed up their journey. Lily suddenly glares with terrifying intensity, warning the clueless vanguard not to do anything extra, leaving Pang Ming sweating bullets as he wonders what stupid comment he just made. Meanwhile, Zichi carries the exhausted healer on his back as they begin their long trek home, but Lily is too restless to rest, asking if they are truly giving up on revenge, prompting the leader to explain that the conspiracy of monster-attracting devices is far too massive, realizing their entire smuggling operation was likely a setup orchestrated by a legendary founder. Determined to survive, she vows they will never be used as mindless pawns again. Back in the clearing, the cheeky thief eyes the massive, crystal-spiked corpse of the fallen beast, offering our boy a cool 3 million credits to hand over the valuable boss materials. Yet Wei Yi casually rejects her, focusing instead on calibrating his new high-tech storage glove. With his corrupted mark safely hidden under the new glove, Wei Yi turns to the boss loot, but his sudden decision to draw a weapon completely panics the nearby thief, suspecting she has a hidden motive for wanting this specific beast claw so badly. While the cheeky thief despairs over losing her prize, our boy prepares to slice it open, unleashing a clean, electrifying strike that splits the massive paw right down the middle, only to freeze in absolute shock at the incredible treasure hidden inside. Nestled deep within the flesh is a glowing, high-grade magic crystal containing a mysterious golden ring. Meanwhile, in a lavishly decorated room, a monocled noble discusses a highly classified disappearance, questioning a hooded guest named Mr. 11 who claims to have seen the missing target, who carefully deflects the interrogation to avoid exposing his own dangerous secrets. Wei Yi realizes his cover is slipping, putting his search for the world fragment in serious jeopardy. Suddenly, a loud buzzing sound interrupts the tense silence, drawing the monocled noble's immediate attention. Apologizing to his guest, the wealthy host steps aside to answer an urgent call from reception, leaving our boy alone with two high-level bodyguards who look ready to snap him in half, prompting him to quietly prepare his brass knuckles, aiming to take them down one by one. But before he can strike, the noble orders his massive guards to stand down immediately, casually announcing that a highly influential guest named Madame Dusha has finally arrived at the estate. This heavy double doors slowly swing open, revealing a blinding light from the hallway outside, where a glamorous woman dressed in elegant attire stands poised to make her grand entrance, introducing the head of a major financial family who holds immense power in this city. Donghai greets the glamorous newcomer with smooth flattery, asking what kept her away for so long. She casually blames a private romantic affair, laughing off rumors that she had mysteriously gone missing. Peering over her fan, she playfully teases the nervous noble for digging too deep into her secrets. Meanwhile, Wei Yi watches closely as his system detects an active illusion spell masking her true form. This scan instantly shatters her disguise, revealing none other than the cheeky thief Black Crow in disguise. Donghai quickly deduces that this powerful woman and the mysterious Mr. 11 are already well acquainted. Playing along, the disguised thief claims she personally handed the legendary boss materials over to our boy. She smoothly explains that she simply loves networking with exceptionally strong hunters, earning his trust. Donghai silently agrees, noting the rare loot is authentic and she has a special interest in him. Leaning in close, she smugly reminds Wei Yi that he officially owes her a massive favor now. Wei Yi narrows his eyes, wondering if this cheeky thief is secretly playing both sides. Meanwhile, the monocled noble completely changes his tune, praising our boy's incredible power with newfound respect, and immediately transfers a massive pile of credits directly to Wei Yi's account as an apology. But before our boy can celebrate his payday, the disguised thief speaks up with another request. She casually asks the noble to secure Wei Yi a spot in the upcoming elite assembly, which the wealthy host happily grants, claiming it would be a tragedy to exclude such talent. Left completely in the dark, our confused hero asks what this mysterious event actually is, prompting Donghai to explain it is a prestigious arena tournament hosted by the powerful Apex Guild, a highly exclusive annual showdown reserved strictly for elite hunters ranked C-class or higher, where warriors clash in brutal one-on-one gauntlets to claim ultimate glory and legendary rewards. This disguised thief casually asks about the tournament rewards, assuming the Apex Guild won't be skimping on prizes. Donghai boasts that a 7-match win streak grants access to priceless high-level artifacts from their exclusive vault. This news immediately catches Wei Yi's attention, realizing this is his ticket to the tower's restricted upper levels. Our host confirms that the summit holds the guild's core resources, completely off-limits to any normal outsider. Lanbao happily confirms she can pinpoint the world fragment up there, making this tournament a golden opportunity. But our boy knows nothing in this world is free, leaving him with one major concern. He silently wonders what the cheeky thief is actually planning to gain from helping him out. Meanwhile, their wealthy host is also completely in the dark, unable to read the mysterious duo's intentions. To solve this mystery, Donghai secretly activates his unique skill to analyze their true personalities through color, revealing a spectrum of traits where red represents rage, orange shows pride, and purple signals pure cunning. Although Donghai sees her purple star of pure cunning, he still senses something is off. Even more baffling is our boy's completely transparent star, a phenomenon the noble has never encountered. To solve this mystery, the monocled host decides to use the tournament to test his raw power, politely announcing that the elite assembly is about to begin as the night grows late. Gesturing toward the private elevator, the wealthy noble invites them to head down to the venue, prompting the disguised thief to happily agree while Wei Yi silently keeps his cool. Stepping inside the high-tech lift, the host orders his massive bodyguards to remain behind. Finally alone, our boy wastes no time demanding to know what favor she actually wants. She smugly giggles, thrilled that he saw through her disguise and proving she picked the perfect partner, before laying out her ultimate plan to steal a legendary artifact called the Holy Crystal Water. Hearing the name of the legendary artifact, Wei Yi tilts his head in complete confusion, but the disguised thief simply gestures toward her wrist, telling him to see for himself, revealing a highly detailed holographic map of the tower's restricted 25th floor. While our boy agrees to help, he points out that high-level contestants pose a massive risk, prompting the thief to snap back, desperately insisting that losing is absolutely not an option. She reminds him of his victory against the Blood Claw, refusing to let him back out now, leaving Wei Yi to realize securing this artifact first would make the perfect future bargaining chip. Meanwhile, their wealthy host quietly observes their heated bickering from the front of the elevator, Realizing this mysterious duo is not nearly as close as they initially tried to pretend, before the high-tech lift finally grinds to a halt at the bustling tournament arena. Black Crow plays her part perfectly, keeping her elegant disguise active while Wei Yi tags along behind her. Meanwhile, the massive tournament arena buzzes with intense energy as the announcer kicks off the elite assembly, introducing the prestigious director of the exchange, Dong Hai, to the cheering crowd of high-level hunters. Stepping into the spotlight, the monocled noble waves graciously while our boy keeps his head down, prompting the rowdy spectators to immediately swoon over the disguised thief's stunning, high-class appearance. Though other onlookers are far more curious about the mysterious hooded kid walking right behind them. Suddenly, a familiar blonde rival spots Wei Yi from the stands, instantly plotting his petty revenge, promising his companion that he will make our arrogant hero beg for mercy in the arena. Unbothered by the hostile glares, Wei Yi prepares to put on an absolute show for his audience, as Dong Hai officially opens the tournament, setting the stage for a series of brutal, high-stakes battles. Dong Hai commands the stage, explaining that even though most veterans know the rules, protocol must be followed. This tournament runs on a brutal King of the Hill format where defenders must fend off endless waves of challengers. Surviving 7 consecutive matches unlocks the ultimate prize, allowing the victor to claim 2 legendary vault treasures. Hearing this, a smug C-class hunter notes that even the cheapest vault items are worth 10 million credits, while other elite contenders prepare to let their weapons do the talking in the upcoming bloodbath. To keep things fair, Dong Hai explains that high-ranking hunters cannot simply bully lower tiers without mutual consent. Back in the VIP box, the disguised thief reminds Wei Yi that she is counting on him. Our boy knows that securing the world fragment and the crystal water both require a perfect 7-win streak, realizing he must wrap this up quickly before the powerful 10 Swords Guild catches on to him. Suddenly, the massive arena screens light up as Dong Hai announces the opening match will be decided by lottery. This rowdy crowd erupts in cheers as the tournament lottery results finally flash on the screen, pitting our mysterious hero under his alias 11 against a cocky C2 rank vanguard named Zi Jin, leaving the spectators completely baffled by his lack of info while the disguised thief cheers him on. Wei Yi immediately suspects their wealthy host rigged the match, but he welcomes the challenge anyway, while Dong Hai watches with a smug grin, eager to finally witness the kid's true combat capabilities. Stepping down from the stage, the monocled noble leaves the arena announcer to handle the rest, who immediately stumbles over her words upon realizing their first fighter has absolutely zero background data, prompting our unbothered hero to step forward and casually offer to introduce himself to the crowd, quickly swapping his active skills to ensure his real identity remains completely hidden from prying eyes, before confidently declaring himself as a C1 rank hunter to kick off his legendary arena run. Up in the VIP box, the disguised thief gasps in shock at our boy's sudden transformation, as Wei Yi uses his light mist skill to completely alter his face and weapon, but their silent awe is interrupted when a cocky challenger named Chai Jin leaps into the arena, showing off his high-speed stats while activating a flashy mid-air movement skill to intimidate the crowd. Unfazed by the theatrical entrance, our boy asks Lan Bao to analyze and copy the opponent's technique, while the hyperactive vanguard zips around the stage, trying to confuse him with unpredictable trajectories. Unfortunately for this speedster, Wei Yi has already adapted to much faster monsters in the past, allowing his system to instantly pinpoint the exact trajectory of the incoming surprise attack, prompting our hero to deliver a single, effortless counterslash that catches the vanguard completely off guard, sending the overconfident challenger crashing face-first onto the pavement to end the match in seconds. This defeated speedster stares in horror as a nasty corrosion poison completely locks down his movement skills, leaving him with no choice but to surrender as Wei Yi points his glowing blade at his throat, sending shockwaves through the stunned crowd who cannot believe a C-class vanguard got folded in one hit. Our boy quietly smiles, realizing his poison-infused sword is going to make this entire tournament a total breeze. Meanwhile, the energetic announcer officially declares him the reigning defender, opening the floor for any brave challengers, prompting the hesitant spectators to debate his true power while waiting for someone else to test the waters. But their wait is cut short when a familiar, arrogant voice echoes across the arena floor, revealing the blonde rival who confidently struts onto the stage, claiming our hero only won through pure luck. This self-proclaimed supernova flares his purple aura, completely unaware that he is walking straight into a trap. As Wei Yi calmly checks his stats, thrilled to finally find a target with the exact skill he needs, Wei Yi scans his opponent's stats, noting the blonde rival possesses some seriously high elemental power. Meanwhile, the arrogant blonde fumes with rage, absolutely losing his mind over being completely ignored, prompting our unbothered hero to calmly tell him to shut up and start fighting already. Up in the stands, the crowd is already writing Wei Yi off as a dead man, gossiping about how the hyped-up supernova once soloed a powerful C1 rank boss all by himself, while his elitist sister mocks our boy's basic gear, calling him a total pauper. Little does she know, her brother is busy daydreaming about securing a flawless 7-win streak, drawing his glowing pink blade to turn our hero into a mere stepping stone. Suddenly, the energetic announcer raises her hand to officially kick off the second round, as the cocky rival unleashes his innate skills to show off his true elemental power. His blonde rival immediately unleashes a flashy pink elemental blast, aiming to vaporize our boy on the spot. but Wei Yi effortlessly slides beneath the massive energy beams without breaking a single sweat. Realizing the attack has terrible precision despite its high destructive power and wide area of coverage, this arrogant supernova mocks our hero for running, promising to spam even more energy stars at him, sending a barrage of pink explosions rattling across the entire arena floor in a desperate bid. Up in the stands, the spectators thank their lucky stars for the protective barrier keeping them safe, while Wei Yi realizes stalling is useless since this spam-happy rival has practically zero skill cooldowns, prompting our boy to activate his rapid speed skill and charge straight for the caster instead. This cocky rival simply smirks, thinking our hero is walking straight into a foolish trap, only for a massive golden shield to block the strike, leaving Wei Yi's blade completely deflected. Wei Yi realizes the magic crystal shield blocked his venom, meaning a basic physical strike won't cut it. Meanwhile, the blonde rival charges up a massive targeted skill, aiming to end this fight instantly, boasting that his ultimate attack will completely vaporize our unbothered hero on the spot. Suddenly, a purple gravitational pull locks Wei Yi in place, trapping him in a 5-second stasis. Believing victory is already his, the arrogant supernova laughs as he prepares to deliver the final blow. But our boy simply smirks, having patiently waited for his opponent to exhaust all his trump cards, unleashing his own hidden power to turn the tables in a spectacular display of raw strength, resulting in a massive blinding explosion that completely engulfs the center of the arena floor. This delusional rival cackles in triumph, convinced he just turned our hero into literal dust, only for the stunned spectators to realize the devastating blast didn't actually hit a solid target. This devastating blast only hits a decoy, dissolving into a harmless cloud of blue mist, leaving the blonde rival completely dumbfounded by our boy's unexpected dual branch capabilities. Realizing he fell for a trap, the panicked speedster desperately tries to raise his defenses, but Wei Yi strikes with blinding speed, instantly shattering the golden magic crystal shield. Although the arrogant rival tries to threaten him at close range, our boy remains completely unfazed, casually stepping right past his guard while activating a high-speed movement skill to seal the deal, before a massive, carnivorous plant erupts from the arena floor to swallow the screaming supernova whole. Trapped inside the beast's jaws, the blonde idiot finally realizes he is facing a rare dual-branch class. Descending from above, Wei Yi prepares to deliver a final blow to teach this bully a lesson, ignoring the coward's pathetic threats about his guild because our hero does not give a single damn. Wei Yi delivers a brutal, face-shattering punch that sends the overconfident blonde rival flying across the arena, following up with a relentless mid-air combo that completely dismantles the self-proclaimed supernova's defenses, before his massive carnivorous plant slams the screaming idiot straight into the dirt below. Up in the stands, his elitist sister completely loses her mind, screaming for her brother in absolute panic, while the rest of the spectators stare in sheer terror at our boy's overwhelming combat power. This hyped-up genius is left looking like a swollen purple potato, his face utterly ruined by the beating. Though Wei Yi decides to spare his life, knowing that provoking the Apex Guild right now is unnecessary, especially since Lan Bao successfully copied the rival's ultimate skills to add to his own growing arsenal. Sweating profusely, the stunned announcer officially declares the reigning supernova defeated to the completely silent crowd, leaving the onlookers to realize they are witnessing a legendary one-in-a-million dual-branch awakener in action. Lan Bao warns him that Black Crow has vanished from the stands, prompting Wei Yi to speed things up. Since the hesitant crowd is too scared to challenge him, our boy decides to provoke them directly, loudly calling the entire arena a bunch of frauds who are just living off unearned reputations, instantly triggering the spectators who refuse to let some arrogant newcomer look down on them, as several furious hunters prepare to jump into the arena and teach him a lesson. Though his system warns him about the rising hostility, Wei Yi knows his disguise is the perfect shield, prompting a whole wave of angry challengers to charge the stage all at once. With his analysis system fully primed, our boy welcomes the incoming chaos with a confident smirk, ready to sweep through these overconfident elites and secure his legendary 7-win streak. Meanwhile, the monocled noble watches the replay, deeply impressed by the kid's rare dual-branch capabilities. Up in the VIP box, Donghai asks his beefy companion why he isn't out hunting legendary beasts. This scarred warrior grumbles about his punishment, having accidentally slaughtered a target he was supposed to capture alive. Identified as B-rank core member Chen Nan, he admits our boy has some serious combat skills. But Donghai remains highly suspicious, noting that the mysterious newcomer claims to have no guild affiliation. Hearing this, the simple-minded brute immediately suggests recruiting Wei Yi to replace their current annoying playboy. Donghai then presents a rare red skill crystal, offering it as a perfect match for his friend's style. Yet the proud warrior flatly rejects the gift, claiming true powerhouses have no need for flashy gimmicks. Still, the fact that a C-rank rookie acquired such a treasure proves he is hiding massive power, prompting the eager B-rank veteran to suggest stepping onto the arena floor to test the kid himself. Meanwhile, our unbothered hero effortlessly secures his third consecutive victory as the crowd watches in absolute awe. Wei Yi effortlessly shatters his opponent's magnetic field, securing his fourth consecutive victory in seconds. Next, our boy spots a sneaky clone with a single glance, bagging an easy 5th win. while his sixth opponent tries to burn him down with a flashy flame shadow technique. But the energetic announcer screams in disbelief as Wei Yi turns the tables yet again, leaving his defeated challenger to humbly accept her loss after a surprisingly clean match. Up in thence stands, the spectators completely lose their minds over this absolute monster of a rookie. They realize his overwhelming victory isn't just about flashy skills, but sheer top-tier combat experience, prompting the crowd to admit that absolutely no one in the C rank can match him. Meanwhile, our hero quietly reviews his massive haul of newly copied skills with Lan Bao's help, but his overwhelming dominance leaves the entire arena too terrified to step up for the final round. This terrified spectators decide to save their challenge attempts, completely unwilling to face our overpowered hero. But their cowardly hesitation is cut short when a booming voice warns everyone not to steal the final slot, revealing the scarred B-rank warrior Chen Nan as he slowly marches out of the dark entrance tunnel, prompting Wei Yi to turn around as he senses a massive spike in raw physical pressure. Dragging his heavy blade along the concrete, the eager veteran admits he is itching for a real battle, hoisting his massive weapon onto his shoulder with the casual ease of a seasoned killer, while the stunned onlookers instantly recognize him, completely losing their minds over his sudden entrance. Even our unbothered hero is forced to take this seriously, staring in shock at the newcomer's absurd stats. Realizing he is facing a genuine B-rank powerhouse, Wei Yi prepares for the fight of his life, as Chen Nan confidently challenges him on the big screen, ready to end our boy's legendary streak. Wei Yi wonders why a high-level B-rank powerhouse has suddenly appeared to challenge him, while the gossiping spectators instantly recognize the newcomer as a heavy hitter from the Apex Guild. This impatient warrior demands an immediate match, but the announcer insists that our hero must consent first, prompting Wei Yi to sigh at how these annoying guild members keep targeting him one by one. Deciding there is absolutely no point in fighting a B rank, our boy prepares to decline. Raising his hand to forfeit, our boy learns that declining a higher-tier challenge won't break his streak. But the scarred veteran quickly stops him, urging our hero to hear his lucrative conditions first, offering a guaranteed 200,000 credits just for fighting, plus a massive bonus for winning, instantly grabbing our hero's attention as he calmly asks what kind of reward is on the table, as the smug warrior reveals a high-energy magic crystal shield, the exact skill our boy needs. Chen Nan proudly presents the ultra-rare Magic Crystal Shield, claiming it is an exclusive Apex Guild masterpiece. Turns out this overpowered defensive tool can easily block multiple high-level attacks to protect an entire squad. This cocky veteran promises not to use any items, offering victory if our boy lands a single scratch. He smugly pressures our hero to accept, confident that a mere C-rank rookie cannot touch him. Meanwhile, Lan Bao confirms the glowing shield is actually linked to a highly coveted world fragment. Realizing this legendary item has a massive 35% efficiency rate, Wei Yi decides he must have it. Our hero accepts the challenge, adding a condition to meet the brilliant designer behind the shield. Amused by the kid's boldness, the scarred warrior unleashes his green aura and accepts the terms. As the energetic announcer hypes up the crowd for an absolute clash of titans in the arena, sizing up his opponent, Wei Yi prepares his skills, ready to exploit the veteran's reliance on raw strength. Wei Yi charges forward, aiming to catch his opponent off guard with a sudden, unpredictable strike, but the scarred veteran merely smirks, completely unfazed by our boy's high-speed approach. Up in the stands, curious spectators ask Sister Yoon about this legendary Apex Guild powerhouse, who reveals that Chen Nan actually relies on an absurdly durable physique rather than flashy skills. Turns out he was a wild mercenary who willingly ventured deep into the Amazon rainforest alone, surviving in that brutal, unforgiving jungle for 5 whole years on pure grit and poisonous fruit, which makes the spectators wonder just how terrifyingly strong this monster has become after his awakening. Back in the arena, Wei Yi closes the distance while his opponent stands completely motionless, until the veteran casually kicks his massive blade off the ground with effortless precision, catching the spinning weapon in mid-air to block our hero's incoming assault. Chen Nan leaps high into the air, bringing his massive blade down with a ferocious battle cry, but Wei Yi meets the strike head-on, sparks flying as their weapons collide with immense force, only for our boy's defense to instantly shatter under the veteran's absurd physical strength. Sending Wei Yi flying backward, the scarred powerhouse grunts in amusement at his opponent's resilience. Yet our hero recovers instantly in mid-air, launching a swift counterattack that gets cleanly blocked, leaving Wei Yi stunned by the veteran's absurd reaction speed as Chen Nan merely sneers, unleashing a devastating counter skill that blasts our hero backward with a massive shockwave, forcing Wei Yi to cough up blood before quickly creating an invisible foothold in mid-air. Realizing he stands absolutely no chance in close quarters and must immediately switch to ranged attacks, just as Lan Bao warns him that the terrifying B-rank warrior has already vanished from sight. Chen Nan closes the distance instantly, using a high-speed flash step to corner our boy, before delivering a brutal shoulder bash that forces Wei Yi to block with his sword, leaving our hero sweating as he realizes his opponent's basic physical attacks are absolutely devastating. Without giving him a moment to breathe, the scarred veteran raises his massive blade again, unleashing a monstrous strike that shatters the arena floor and kicks up massive debris, sending a violent shockwave that slams directly into the stadium's golden protective barrier. This panicked announcer desperately shields her face as the wind pressure threatens to blow her away, while terrified spectators scream in disbelief at the sheer scale of this B-rank's raw power. Realizing they completely underestimated the veteran, the onlookers watch the unfolding chaos in absolute awe as Chen Nan emerges from the dust cloud completely unscathed, ready to finish the job. Donghai screams into his earpiece, absolutely furious that his partner just unleashed a literal kill shot, yet the scarred veteran casually picks his ear, joking that his partner can just handle the cleanup, only for Wei Yi to emerge from the dust cloud, coughing but very much alive, prompting the smug veteran to hang up on his partner, satisfied that the kid survived, while the stunned onlookers lose their minds over how anyone could survive that absolute devastation. Some sharp-eyed spectators quickly notice a glowing ring on our boy's hand, guessing it saved him. Realizing this mysterious rookie is still hiding a massive arsenal of high-tier soul armaments, and indeed, his beast spirit ring just barely blocked the fatal blow before going on cooldown. Wiping blood from his lip, our furious hero directly accuses the veteran of aiming to kill, leaving the giant warrior to merely grin, proudly admitting he was indeed fighting at full power. This scarred veteran grins, claiming that fighting at full power is his way of showing respect. He mockingly asks how many more hits that defensive ring can take before shattering completely. Ignoring the taunt, our boy asks Lan Bao if he has enough energy for a 4-skill swap, before immediately unleashing a massive thorn forest skill that erupts from the arena floor, wrapping around both fighters to create a massive enclosed dome of thick green vines. Looking up at the ceiling, the veteran realizes this attack wasn't actually aimed at him, as the massive structure seals them both inside, completely blocking the view of the crowd, leaving the confused spectators completely blind and forced to wait in absolute suspense, while one sharp-eyed spectator grimly predicts that the final clash is about to end. Inside the dome, Chen Nan smiles as he finally realizes why our boy blocked their view. Chen Nan is absolutely thrilled to discover Wei Yi possesses a rare third elemental affinity, prompting our boy to activate his Blood Rage skill and prepare to end this match, while the massive dome of thick green vines completely cuts off the outside world. Standing in a sinister red aura, Wei Yi warns the veteran that survival is now his own responsibility, but Chen Nan merely smirks as his passive skill automatically scales his stats to match our hero's, daring the kid to bring everything he has as the final clash begins. And indeed, Wei Yi lunges forward with his glowing blade to deliver a devastating strike. Their weapons collide in a spectacular explosion of sparks, testing each other's raw physical limits, until the veteran unleashes a massive swing that shatters the ground beneath them, forcing our boy to stay on his toes as the relentless B-rank powerhouse presses his advantage. Wei Yi lunges forward with a blinding strike, but the veteran effortlessly intercepts it with his massive blade. Smirking behind his steel, the scarred powerhouse admits our boy almost had him before turning dead serious. Unleashing a devastating downward swing, the veteran warns our hero that his luck has officially run out. While Wei Yi desperately bides his time to recharge, his opponent hungrily demands even more action. Their blades collide in a rapid-fire sequence of sparks, turning the dome into a literal meat grinder. This battle-crazy veteran laughs maniacally, completely intoxicated by the thrill of fighting a worthy opponent. But as Lan Bao confirms his energy is fully restored, our boy decides to end this tedious game. Sensing a sudden shift in the air, the veteran gasps in confusion as a purple spark ignites. Instantly activating his star stagnation skill, Wei Yi traps the giant warrior in a paralyzing field of gravity, leaving the immobilized powerhouse to curse in absolute frustration at our boy's seemingly endless arsenal of cheat codes. Activating his silver light skill, Wei Yi channels a massive surge of lightning to finish the fight. Swapping his active skills in an instant, our boy warns the veteran to brace for absolute impact, but Chen Nan's passive battle will quickly reduce the duration of the paralyzing gravity field, allowing the roaring powerhouse to break free from the constraints with sheer physical force. Unfazed by the veteran's escape, Wei Yi immediately unleashes his ultimate lightning-infused strike, causing a massive explosion of elemental energy that completely shatters the green thorn dome, leaving the stunned spectators to watch the debris disintegrate as they desperately search for the victor, while anxious onlookers point toward the clearing smoke, completely losing their minds in suspense. As the dust settles, Wei Yi is seen kneeling on the shattered ground while his opponent stands tall, prompting the disappointed crowd to assume our overpowered hero has finally met his match. Pointing at the arena, a shocked spectator screams that the B-rank powerhouse is actually bleeding, revealing a massive, bloody slash across Chen Nan's chest that drips onto the shattered floor, while our boy kneels in absolute exhaustion, suffering the brutal backlash of draining his elemental energy. Pulling up his collar, Wei Yi quietly celebrates his victory despite his skills being temporarily locked. But the towering veteran suddenly looms behind him, grinning like a maniac despite his gruesome injuries. Glancing back in disbelief, our hero wonders if this terrifying B-rank monster is even human, only for Chen Nan to slap his back in celebration, thrilled to finally find a worthy opponent, as the energetic announcer officially declares Wei Yi the winner of this insane high-stakes duel. Amidst the roaring crowd and falling confetti, our boy immediately demands his hard-earned legendary prize, prompting the scarred warrior to grumblingly hand over the glowing magic crystal shield as promised. Scratching his head, Chen Nan grumbles about the massive earful he'll get from his guild leader, while Wei Yi hands the mysterious rule-bending crystal over to Lan Bao for a deep analysis. Turning his attention to the real prize, our boy demands immediate access to the guild's treasure vault, prompting the scarred warrior to lead the way where Donghai is already waiting for them. Walking down a futuristic corridor, the veteran curiously asks how our hero copied a famous signature skill. But Wei Yi keeps his mouth shut, refusing to reveal his broken skill copying secrets. Satisfied with his own wild theories, the giant warrior keeps rambling until our boy stops him cold, pointing out that they've already arrived at their highly secure destination. Looking around the high-tech hallway, our hero remains highly skeptical of this supposed vault entrance, until Chen swipes his high-clearance keycard to bypass the heavy biometric security system. Swiping his high-clearance card, the scarred veteran activates a swirling blue portal right before our boy's eyes. This glowing vortex hums with immense spatial energy, crackling with a power that defies modern physics. Stunned by the sight, our hero immediately recognizes the legendary spatial technology as the veteran smirks. Chen explains this is just a localized version, hinting that massive world-spanning portals actually exist. Turns out, humanity dreamed of this teleportation tech for decades, but lacked the energy to power it, leaving our boy to wonder if the Apex Guild truly mastered this impossible science on their own. Stepping into the light, the veteran warns him that the portal only stays open for 30 seconds. At that exact moment, Lanbao chimes in, urging her master to step through the gateway, explaining that while she detected something highly unusual, he really needs to experience it firsthand. And with his eyes set on the world fragment, our hero boldly steps into the unknown. Hurtling down the glowing warp channel, Wei Yi passes multiple secure floors of the high-tech facility, as the spatial energy carries him deeper past heavily guarded laboratories and research chambers. Suddenly, his eyes widen as he senses a massive energy fluctuation radiating from a mysterious black sphere. Before the intense spatial pressure suddenly releases, jolting our hero as he finally reaches the bottom. Lan Bao quickly confirms his suspicions, revealing that the glowing core is indeed their target, but his epic realization is cut short as the guides mock him for getting motion sick. Waving off their teasing, our boy quickly recovers his composure and asks about their current location, prompting Donghai to proudly welcome him to the Apex Guild's highly secure underground treasure vault. Looking around, Wei Yi spots legendary materials like basilisk scales and withered bone flowers on display. Realizing this massive collection of high-tier loot is a literal goldmine for any growing warrior, Donghai explains the massive vault is organized by category, offering to take Wei Yi straight to his target, leaving our boy completely stunned by a collection of wealth that could easily rival an entire nation. As their floating platform finally arrives at a highly secure, multi-layered storage zone. Gesturing toward a glowing display case, the fancy guide asks if this is his desired prize, revealing the legendary Holy Crystal Stone, a rare treasure that constantly secretes a miraculous healing liquid. Holding the glowing artifact, Wei Yi listens as Donghai guesses he needs it to save someone's life, while our hero secretly plans to keep the stone itself since Black Crow only requested the water. Breaking his train of thought, the polite host asks if the rookie is satisfied with the reward, before immediately extending a formal invitation for our overpowered hero to join the prestigious Apex Guild. This sudden offer makes Wei Yi realize the entire tournament was just a glorified recruitment drive. Donghai sweetens the recruitment deal by offering 2 extra vault treasures as a token of sincerity, while the scarred veteran eagerly promises endless sparring matches once our boy hits B rank. But our hero immediately shuts them down, flatly choosing his freedom over their prestigious guild, leaving the recruiters completely flabbergasted that anyone would turn down such a golden opportunity. Unbothered by their desperate pleas, Wei Yi walks away to claim his final legendary reward, forcing the 2 hosts to stare in absolute silence as their prime target slips away. Once he is out of earshot, the veteran quietly asks if their secret surveillance picked up anything, only for Donghai to reveal that even their high-tier scanning artifact failed to read him. Turns out, this rare A-rank tool bypasses all disguises, yet our boy completely blocked its gaze, prompting the paranoid veteran to suggest capturing and interrogating our hero before he can escape. Donghai immediately rejects the idea, warning that a reckless capture would ruin the guild's reputation, suggesting they keep the kid close until the guildmaster returns to make the final call. Meanwhile, Lanbao reports that she easily blocked their sneaky attempt to scan his stats, prompting Wei Yi to start plotting how to steal their high-clearance warp channel keycard. Scanning the endless rows of legendary loot, our boy searches for a quick solution, only to stumble upon a rare magic crystal containing a highly convenient new skill. As he walks away, a bizarre stone egg in a nearby display case begins to tremble, pulsing with a strange red light as if reacting directly to our hero's presence. While outside the vault, the impatient veteran grumbles about how long the kid is taking, until Wei Yi finally steps out, prompting the excited warrior to ask what he chose. Wei Yi reveals his choice as a handful of rare elemental beans that restore energy, leaving the scarred veteran completely dumbfounded that our boy wasted his legendary choice on snacks, while Donghai suggests they head to the 6th floor to wait for their busy crystal designer. But before they leave, our hero makes a seemingly innocent request to inspect their warp pass, prompting a highly confused Chen to ask why he needs to see it again. Wei Yi plays the curious tech enthusiast, explaining his fascination with their advanced teleportation technology, begging for just a quick glance to satisfy his totally innocent and definitely not suspicious curiosity. Shrugging it off, the giant veteran holds up the card while grumbling about his recruitment rejection, warning the kid that as an outsider, he can only look but absolutely cannot touch. Little does he know, Lanbao has already scanned the card to unlock our boy's next broken skill, Having finished his business, Wei Yi casually announces his departure while the veteran stands there completely baffled. But before they can even take a step, a massive explosion violently tears through the facility, leaving the stunned host to desperately look around in search of the sudden threat, as blaring red alarms warn of a catastrophic energy containment failure across the entire vault. Realizing the danger, the powerhouse grabs Donghai and sprints away from the collapsing metal platforms, cursing out loud at whoever dared to launch a surprise attack on their secure base. While the giant warrior yells a warning, our hero effortlessly leaps into the chaotic abyss, popping his newly acquired elemental beans to instantly recharge his drained energy reserves in midair, using the falling debris as perfect stepping stones to navigate the crumbling vertical shaft, until Lan Bao warns him that the warp channel is rapidly destabilizing, forcing him to move. Activating his Broken Star prayer skill, our boy targets the veteran's access pass with absolute precision, and the trick works flawlessly, materializing the glowing keycard right into his waiting hands. Knowing he has to move fast, our hero immediately swipes the stolen card at the nearest console, diving headfirst into the swirling blue warp portal despite the system screaming about critical energy failures, as the gateway forcefully shuts down behind him, leaving only a strange stone egg rolling on the floor. Meanwhile, the coughing hosts emerge from the smoke, utterly baffled to find the warp channel active and their guest gone, prompting the fancy guide to warn that the explosion likely compromised the 26th floor. And when the scarred veteran realizes his access pass is missing, Donghai quickly offers his own card, only for the terminal to reject it, revealing that backup power will take a painful 30 minutes to boot up, leaving the two elite recruiters completely trapped inside their own crumbling, high-tech fortress. On the other side of the warp channel, a massive explosion completely obliterates the exit platform, leaving Wei Yi standing amidst the raging flames, clutching his chest as he barely escapes with his life. And though the destroyed portal means no one can follow, this weird stone egg remains a complete mystery. Shaking off his confusion, our boy focuses on finding the black sphere to figure out what caused this chaos. But another violent blast suddenly rocks the high-tech corridor, forcing him to quickly take cover, as he peeks around a shattered wall to investigate the source of the nearby commotion, only to find a melted security door and a floating intruder confronting the panicked guild staff. This angry guild elder demands the return of the stolen black sphere, accusing the thief of absolute treason, while the mysterious thief mockingly suggests they have the wrong person, casually holding the glowing artifact, prompting Wei Yi to activate his detection skill, shocked to discover the thief is actually a disguised woman. Holding the black sphere hostage, the disguised thief demands 10 billion to return the stolen artifact. Rewinding back to just a short while ago, a stressed research leader impatiently checks his watch. Jia Li threatens to fire his entire team if their critical research gets delayed any further. Right on cue, his nerdy assistant Li Mao runs in, apologizing for his long bathroom break. Enraged by the excuse, the hot-tempered boss immediately delivers a brutal chop to the kid's head. Rubbing his massive new bump, the assistant meekly accepts the threat of getting fired next time. Actually, the real assistant is long gone, replaced by Black Crow using a sneaky disguise skill. She had ambushed the poor guy outside the restroom, knocking him cold with a giant hammer. Planning to use the sphere to cure her mother, she follows the team toward the portal. And with her perfect cover intact, the clever thief confidently steps into the swirling blue vortex. Stepping through the portal, the research team enters the advanced facility while Black Crow marvels at the tech. But their progress is instantly halted by a grumpy old guardian blocking their path. This powerful elder is Jia Shifeng, the elite guardian tasked with protecting the mysterious black sphere. Hoping to bypass the rules, the desperate research leader tries bribing his uncle with a pricey bracelet, while Black Crow quietly analyzes the old man, noting his legendary and highly dangerous combat arts. Naturally, the Guardian happily accepts the bribe under the guise of supporting his nephew's research. Floating ahead to lead the group deeper into the highly restricted zone, walking down the massive secure corridor, the team moves closer to their ultimate prize, while the stressed boss complains about his rival, explaining his desperate need for the sphere's data, prompting the elder to warn him against causing trouble, completely unaware of the thief in their midst. Sneaking behind the group, Black Crow secretly activates a hidden recording device in her pocket. Her eyes widen in genuine shock as she catches her first glimpse of the facility's secret, realizing this hidden weapon holds enough destructive power to completely shatter the global balance of power. But her deep thoughts are instantly ruined when her hot-tempered boss screams at her to hurry up, forcing the disguised thief to quickly jog forward as they finally approach the main containment chamber. Stepping inside, she is completely left breathless by the sheer scale of the operation, where the legendary black sphere floats majestically inside a massive column of blazing orange energy, generating a highly unique magnetic field that crackles with intense raw elemental power, which apparently allows ordinary magic crystals to undergo a miraculous energy conversion process. While the excited boss geeks out, the grumpy elder immediately tells him to shut up and start working. Jia Li immediately barks orders at his assistants, demanding they analyze the sphere's operational principles, before dumping a massive list of complex data metrics onto his disguised assistant. Forced to play along, Black Crow quickly reassures her hot-tempered boss to keep her cover intact, scurrying over to her designated terminal while the rest of the team begins the calibration. But she secretly plans to sabotage the entire system, since destruction is her actual specialty. Within moments, the massive containment unit begins crackling with highly highly unstable golden electrical surges. Yet the oblivious research leader happily celebrates what he assumes is a perfectly optimal energy output, confidently assuring his skeptical uncle that their foolproof experiment is completely under control until blaring red warning screens suddenly flash with catastrophic pressure control failures across the chamber, leaving the panicked boss to scream for the safety protocols his disguised thief never intended to deliver. Alarms blare as the panicked staff realizes the magnetic field is failing and their assistant has vanished, before a massive, fiery explosion suddenly rips through the entire containment chamber, prompting the powerful elder to quickly deploy his legendary tortoise shield to protect the team, while the terrified boss desperately screams at his uncle to find a quick solution. Thinking fast, the Guardian decides to shunt the unstable energy directly to the floor below, sending a massive wave of destructive lightning and fire tearing through the facility's structure, which explains the sudden, catastrophic blast that just ruined the recruiter's day on floor 24. Back upstairs, the system completely shuts down as emergency protocols suspend the Black Sphere's operations, giving the disguised thief the perfect opportunity to dive in and snatch the priceless artifact, leaving the stunned Guardian to helplessly watch his precious security detail fall completely apart. Black Crow wings away with the stolen sphere, thrilled that her B-rank fireproof cloak kept her alive. But the furious Elder immediately retaliates, unleashing a massive frost dragon breath to freeze the thief solid. Effortlessly dodging the icy blast, she mocks his aim while swinging through the air like a pro, aiming straight for the exit corridor to secure her escape before the entire facility locks down. Suddenly, a sniper bullet grazes right past her glasses, shattering her illusions of an easy getaway. Looking down, she spots her furious boss holding a smoking gun and complains about almost getting shot. Unfortunately, the betrayed research leader is too busy screaming about stolen honor to listen to excuses. Taking advantage of the distraction, the elder summons a glowing white tiger spirit to pounce from above, which instantly sinks into her body, leaving her horrified to realize it is a powerful control skill, prompting the elder to mock her escape attempt while she desperately hurls a red crystal to buy time. Spotting the thrown crystal, the elder realizes she just unleashed a high-explosive magma bomb. A massive, fiery blast instantly consumes the corridor while the elder deploys his protective energy shields, leaving the disguised thief on the ground clutching the sphere as the shielded group floats nearby. Realizing she underestimated his legendary art, the paralyzed thief desperately plans her next move using her boots. At that moment, the furious elder and her former boss demand she return the stolen artifact immediately, prompting the cornered thief to casually demand a cool 10 billion to hand it back. Mocking her delusion, the elder points out that his dream-devouring skill makes escape completely impossible. Unfazed, she simply lowers her price to 9 billion while secretly tracking her ticking debuff timer. To buy time, she bluffs about having an accomplice nearby to distract her powerful captors. However, the elder immediately dismisses it as a pathetic bluff since the warp channel is completely shut down. Suddenly, the panicked research leader yells out, confirming that the thief's bluff is actually completely true, as three mysterious hooded intruders suddenly sprint down the corridor, catching the entire group off guard, leaving the disguised thief completely dumbfounded that her desperate lie actually materialized a real distraction. But the furious elder doesn't care, unleashing a massive frost dragon to obliterate the incoming targets, only for the icy blast to shatter harmlessly against wooden logs from a classic substitution trick, revealing the intruders were mere clones while the panicked boss realizes his assistant has vanished. Realizing he was played like a fiddle, the enraged guardian vows to hunt them down immediately. Meanwhile, Wei Yi dashes through the chaos, carrying the disguised thief away at breakneck speed, prompting the shocked girl to ask how he acquired such a rare group invisibility skill, which is actually the mysterious stone egg's doing, as our hero casually demands his prize. Standing in the shadows, Wei Yi casually demands the black sphere as his price for saving her, which completely catches the disguised thief off guard as she realizes he is after the artifact too, prompting our boy to offer a simple trade of her freedom for the glowing prize. But she immediately rejects the deal, demanding he secure her escape before she hands it over. Unfortunately for her, Wei Yi's system instantly flags the lie, prompting him to threaten to return her instead. Before they can argue further, the elder's nasty curse suddenly flares up with intense, agonizing pain, completely dispelling her clever disguise and leaving her collapsed on the floor in her true form. Desperate to keep her prize, she begs him to name literally any other price for his help. Yet our hero remains completely unmoved, realizing her dire situation has left her with zero leverage. Finally admitting defeat, she pulls out a binding magic contract to seal their high-stakes deal. Looking at the exhausted thief, Wei Yi decides she is too weak to move right now, so he plans to stash her somewhere safe while he handles his own business, especially since he just scored the legendary world fragment with surprisingly little effort. Though his system warns him not to absorb it yet, our boy knows they must run, because the angry guild guards will definitely hunt them down to get it back, leaving them with only one highly dangerous escape route through a thick concrete wall, which leads straight to a massive elevator shaft that goes all the way down. Handing over a high-explosive magma bomb, Wei also shares coordinates to a nearby safe house, but the cheeky thief reminds him their newly signed contract binds their lives together until a terrifying system alert suddenly flashes, warning them that a literal nightmare has begun. Staring ahead, Wei ponders the thief's final warning about some mysterious threat before she passed out. Detonating the magma bomb is risky, but he has no other way to breach the concrete wall. Looking up, our boy remembers the mysterious stone egg on his head and asks if it can understand him, prompting the cute egg to happily shake twice, agreeing to hide inside his storage ring for safety. Amazed by its intelligence, he marvels at its top-tier stealth skills before storing it away for future study. Suddenly, his system blares a frantic warning as a lethal surprise attack targets him from behind. A massive metallic blade thrusts down with blinding speed, aiming straight for our hero's head, but he quickly slides backward, narrowly dodging the devastating strike as it shatters the concrete floor. Before he can even catch his breath, the system warns him of an incoming horizontal slash, forcing our boy to bend backward as a giant security robot swings its weapon to slice him. Dodging the follow-up strike, Wei Yi barely escapes with his life as a blade grazes his shoulder. Realizing the terrifying machine just sliced through meters of solid concrete like warm butter, before the mechanical monstrosity locks its targeting sensors right back onto his forehead. Pulling up the enemy's stats, his system reveals a terrifying A-rank intelligent mech with insane physical strength, leaving our boy to face down two massive metal giants completely on his own. Meanwhile, the powerful elder casually freezes the remaining research assistants solid in blocks of ice, reassuring the panicked boss that it is just a temporary safety measure to protect their secrets, prompting the stunned nephew to wonder how these advanced security robots still possess active artificial intelligence, which the smug elder explains is a special privilege granted directly by their legendary guild leader. Armed with partial operational rights, the old man prepares to unleash his mechanical army on the intruders. This elder explains that these mechanical giants are linked directly to the stolen Black Sphere, forcing the terrified research leader to sweat as his uncle warns him to keep quiet, while the ruthless elder locks his targeting sensors onto the thief to close the net. Meanwhile, Wei Yi notices that Black Crow has managed to slide into a safe hiding spot, but the giant metal guardians ignore her completely, charging straight toward him instead. Realizing his depleted elemental power makes fighting these A-rank giants completely impossible. Suddenly, his loyal system assistant chimes in with a perfect solution to save his skin, effortlessly hacking into the advanced security network to override the robot's operational controls, leaving our hero completely stunned by how easily his little AI helper hijacked the system, prompting Wei Yi to confidently command the giant machines to cease their attack immediately. Instantly, the giant mechanical guardians halt their blades and bow respectfully to their new master, leaving our boy completely dumbfounded as he asks his AI helper how she pulled this off. Turns out the robot's low-level security was a joke compared to her advanced system logic, prompting Wei Yi to immediately put his new giant metal toys to good use, ordering them to unleash a devastating strike that shatters the thick concrete barrier. A massive explosion rips open the wall, revealing the deep elevator shaft below. Staring at the massive hole, our hero marvels at the sheer power of A-rank weapons. But his brief moment of peace is cut short as the furious elder catches up. Yet our boy just smirks back, casually welcoming his furious pursuers right on schedule, only for the old man to realize his command authority has been completely revoked. Standing before the massive security robot, Wei Yi smugly offers to let the elder try his command authority. With a cold glare, our boy commands the giant machine to immediately purge all threats in the area, prompting the hijacked metal giant to leap forward, swinging its massive blade with terrifying force, aiming a devastating strike directly at the elder's legendary tortoise shield as it shatters into pieces. Trapped inside, the terrified boss screams for help while his furious uncle desperately orders him to call for reinforcements. Because losing the priceless Black Sphere means the Guildmaster will make them beg for death, leaving the proud elder completely horrified as his ultimate defense begins to crumble under the pressure. Delivering one final crushing blow, the giant machine completely obliterates the legendary shield, allowing the giant robot to gently scoop up Wei Yi and the unconscious thief in its massive palm, before looking down into the deep elevator shaft to prepare for their ultimate escape. Clutching the unconscious thief, Wei Yi realizes they are falling from a terrifying height, prompting his system to warn him that eating another power-up bean will wreck his organs. But our boy ignores the danger and orders his hijacked robot to shield them, sending the massive machine diving straight down the elevator shaft at breakneck speed. As they plummet through the darkness, the giant robot prepares to activate its defensive systems, unleashing a massive electromagnetic field to slow their descent and prevent a messy landing, making our boy confident that they will touch down safely without breaking a single bone. Suddenly, a bizarre sensation hits him as everything in the shaft completely freezes in midair, leaving him horrified to realize he has lost all connection to his loyal system assistant, while frantic system alerts warn him that some mysterious external force is trying to hack his mind. Staring in shock, Wei Yi realizes the mysterious force trying to hack him is a sentient data entity. This massive digital beast looms over him, demanding to know how he hijacked their security robot, while the creature growls in frustration, completely unable to scan our boy's lockdown system profile. Furious at the block, the entity lunges forward to violently tear away his data protection layer, leaving Wei Yi to watch his protective barrier rapidly fade fade under the overwhelming pressure, but his system's absolute defense triggers a forced dispersal, completely shattering the intruder's hold. Shocked by the sudden rejection, the entity demands to know what kind of power he possesses, before fading into the digital abyss with a bitter promise that they will meet again. Instantly snapping back to reality, our boy finds himself safely cradled in the giant robot's palm, as his loyal AI helper Lambao reconnects, prompting him to ask what caused the sudden blackout. Lambao explains that a golden data entity tried to hijack their robot, forcing her to dump her data to stop it. Wei Yi wonders if this entity is the legendary creation, but his AI assistant reveals it is merely a weaker subsystem avatar. Unfortunately, this digital beast managed to place an unarrestable tracking mark on the security robot before it was kicked out, realizing that keeping his new giant metal toy around will constantly expose his location to the entire guild. So our boy decides to let the hijacked machine go out in a spectacular blaze of absolute glory. Meanwhile, a massive red energy barrier locks down the entire exit as a confused crowd gathers outside, leaving the angry citizens to complain about the sudden suspension of all trading activities at the tower. Stepping up to handle the chaos is Lu Xin, a fierce core guard captain armed with a nasty whip, who is absolutely furious that some suicidal intruder is daring to challenge the absolute authority of the Apex Guild, only for a massive explosion to suddenly rattle the barrier as our hero makes his grand, destructive entrance. Pointing toward the sky, the panicked crowd spots something massive breaking through the barrier, and their jaws drop as a giant security mech comes crashing right down on them, leaving the guards completely baffled as to why a robot is leading the escape. Recognizing their own secret weapon, the furious guard captain realizes the intruder hijacked their system, prompting her to frantically order her squad to stop the machine at all costs. But the cryo team's freezing attacks instantly bounce off its built-in status immunity. Next, the heavy armor squad tries to block its path, only to get effortlessly swatted away, forcing the enraged captain to unleash her own blazing fire powers to handle this personally. She charges forward with a flaming whip, determined to protect the guild's pride by any means, while Wei Yi casually slips away in the chaos, carrying the unconscious thief to safety. High above the bustling city, the massive central tower of the Apex Guild stands completely silent, while our hero makes a clean getaway by leaping across the rooftops far below. Carrying the unconscious thief, Wei Yi confirms that they have successfully shaken off their pursuers, thanks to the mysterious stone egg cloaking their presence while their hijacked robot caused absolute chaos. Suddenly, dark purple energy erupts around Black Crow as her vitals begin to plummet rapidly, forcing our boy to realize that the terrifying nightmare curse is actively killing her in reality. So he pulls up his map to locate the coordinates of her secret safe house, rushing through the streets until he finally spots the rundown brick building ahead. Slipping inside, he gently lays her down on the floor while the stone egg rolls nearby. Unfortunately, his system warns him that dying in the dream means she will die for real. Wei Yi laments that his system only grabbed partial data on the enemy's dream-devouring technique, prompting Lan Bao to remind him that the perfect cure is already sitting in his inventory, pulling out the stolen black sphere as he cradles the unconscious thief on the floor. Turns out, the little AI assistant successfully analyzed the artifact to find a way to break the curse, revealing that this particular world fragment possesses the legendary power of absolute skill nullification. Our boy is completely stunned, questioning if such a broken ability can actually exist in reality, but Lan Bao explains that everything in this world is made of basic building blocks, meaning she can easily deconstruct any elemental skill back into harmless, raw energy. Remembering how he used this trick before, Wei Yi prepares to absorb the fragment's power, while the stronghold's external signal jammers keep them completely hidden from any unwanted guild interference. Wei Yi holds up the glowing blue artifact, ready to absorb its power without wasting another second. Instantly, a massive vortex of pure elemental energy erupts, completely enveloping their rundown hideout in a brilliant blue light, while his system successfully records the legendary fragment, completing the analysis in record time. This massive power surge triggers an immediate breakthrough, effortlessly pushing our boy straight into C-rank territory. Checking his updated stat chart, he marvels at the insane boost to his strength, speed, and elemental capacity. But the real prize is a broken new special skill called Deconstruct, which breaks down physical matter into raw energy, allowing him to reduce complex magical items and old world matter back to their basic building blocks. Lan Bao pops up to warn him that mastering this skill is the absolute key to unlocking future fragments, prompting a surprised Wei Yi to listen closely as his cute AI helper recovers her lost memory data, revealing that raising his skill proficiency will eventually generate more legendary fragments to make him truly unstoppable. System alerts flash red as the terrifying nightmare curse threatens to completely consume Black Row's consciousness. With the purple flames rapidly spreading, our boy realizes he has to act before they both get swallowed. Deciding to test his brand new skill, Wei Yi immediately activates Deconstruct to analyze the hostile energy. This system locks onto the target, identifying the curse as a derived form of the White Tiger's dream devourer. Suddenly, a massive surge of dark energy drags Wei Yi straight into the victim's subconscious mind. Finding himself inside the dream domain, he spots Black Crow chained up beneath a monstrous purple tiger. Looking completely unimpressed, our hero openly mocks the hideous beast for having such a pathetic true form. Enraged by his disrespect, the digital monster unleashes a massive wave of destructive energy to obliterate him, but Wei Yi just stands his ground, letting out a cold smirk as the beast lunges forward. Ready to end this farce, he activates his broken deconstruction skill to tear the monster apart. Activating his broken new skill, Wei Yi unleashes a blinding light that pierces through the dark purple vortex, leaving the monstrous tiger to scream in agony as the system begins deconstructing its digital form. With a cold, calm expression, our boy commands the pathetic beast to vanish completely from existence. Suddenly, the entire dream domain begins to collapse into a massive swirling vortex of raw energy, revealing shattered glass fragments that contain the deeply buried memories stolen by the terrifying nightmare curse. Staring in absolute shock, Wei Yi realizes these glowing shards are Black Crow's lost childhood memories. As the heavy chains binding her soul suddenly shatter into pieces, freeing her from the beast's grasp, prompting our hero to catch her midair before she plunges further into the dark abyss. Holding her close as the remaining purple flames harmlessly dissipate into the bright, empty void, before snapping back to reality where he analyzes her tragic past while holding her unconscious body. Exiting the dream domain, Wei Yi realizes even the most annoying people have a tragic past. Slowly opening her eyes, Black Crow groans about her neck, hurting from the awkward sleeping position, prompting our boy to dryly tell her to get up since his arm is getting sore, which makes her instantly leap back and suspiciously accuse him of trying something funny while she slept. Shocked to find her deadly nightmare status is completely gone, she asks if he actually cured her. Wei Yi jokingly asks if she sees any other good Samaritan around to save her life, but he stops her to ask if she needs the holy water to save someone else, specifically mentioning her comatose mother, which sends an absolute shockwave of panic straight through her. Glaring at him, she demands to know how he managed to dig up her deepest secrets. Leaving our boy to calmly explain he just wants to avoid future trouble by knowing her background. Wei Yi presents both the restored black sphere and the holy crystal water to the stunned thief, offering to hand them over on the sole condition that she keeps his identity a secret. But Black Crow immediately gets suspicious, demanding to know what his actual hidden agenda is. Our boy casually explains that he simply needs to trade for some of her magic crystals, adding that he knows exactly how brutal it is to live constantly at the mercy of others, as he points out that using deception to protect loved ones is a choice they both share, prompting a flustered Black Crow to snap back and tell him to stop acting so smart, though Wei Yi smoothly notes that a partnership built on mutual secrets is destined to last, tossing some disguise gear his way while warning him that his current outfit is highly wanted, before curiously asking exactly how many magic crystals he wants to trade for his silence. Hearing his massive demand, Black Crow nearly chokes, asking if he really wants 10 million worth of crystals. Our boy just gives her a smug look, declaring that he actually wants as many as possible. Meanwhile, back at the tower, the crowd panics as the hijacked security robot continues its absolute rampage. Enraged and completely exhausted, the guard captain realizes her entire squad has been utterly defeated by the machine. This giant metal beast looms directly over her, raising its massive sword for a final strike. Closing her eyes in defeat, she apologizes to the guildmaster for failing to protect their honor. Suddenly, a massive vortex of golden energy erupts, completely surrounding the battlefield in a blinding light. Pure golden energy wraps around the security robot, halting its destructive rampage in an instant. Within seconds, the entire machine is turned to solid gold, completely neutralizing the threat. Recognizing the legendary skill, the relieved guards realize their powerful guildmaster has finally intervened. A massive guild airship touches down as the elite team finally returns from their hunt, descending from the vessel only to find their secure headquarters in absolute chaotic shambles, prompting the powerful guildmaster Liang Jinwei to demand an immediate explanation for this mess, while his crew carefully hauls away the gold-plated security robot to prevent any further damage. Outside, a swarm of eager reporters desperately tries to get some answers about the massive incident, but the staff quickly shuts them out as they successfully restore the tower's backup power. Up on the 30th floor, behind a pair of massive, heavily guarded golden doors, a terrified researcher desperately complains about the intruders who dared to steal their precious treasure, where the guildmaster calmly sips his wine, completely unfazed by the dramatic sob story. As the old scientist insists they only lost the black sphere because the thieves played dirty, Liang Jinwei sips his wine, calmly asking if they really expect him to accept such a pathetic excuse, before staring them down with a cold glare that practically screams their career is officially over. Unleashing a massive aura of golden energy, the guildmaster fumes over their absolute failure to protect the sphere, which sends the terrified researchers into an absolute panic as they desperately beg him to calm down. One of the scientists literally cries for mercy, begging to be spared from his terrifying goldification ability, but the ruthless leader simply points a finger, coldly declaring that useless trash has no right to exist. Instantly, a blinding flash of light erupts, turning the screaming scientist into a solid statue of pure gold, prompting the old researcher to frantically shout that he actually knows exactly where the thieves are heading. He quickly explains that the culprits belong to a rival syndicate and fled toward the city's southwest corner, desperately offering a life-and-death pact to personally recover the stolen artifact within just 10 days. Snapping his fingers, the guildmaster releases the trembling old scientist from his golden energy, granting him a measly 10 days to track down the thieves and recover the stolen artifact, while demanding absolute results to prove his worth before his time officially runs out. Sweating bullets, the old researcher bows deeply and promises he won't fail his ruthless boss again. Just then, the guildmaster's loyal assistant steps forward with some intriguing leads on the second intruder, explaining that a mysterious contestant named 11 recently dominated the elite assembly with an insane win streak, which immediately catches Liang Jinwei's attention as he asks if they uncovered the kid's real background, only to learn that even their best appraisal skills couldn't pierce our hero's perfect disguise. This shocking revelation makes the guildmaster suspect a rival faction is finally making their move. Dismissing his subordinates, he orders his top enforcer to clean up the chaotic mess left outside. This heavy door slams shut, leaving the guildmaster alone in his luxurious private office. Standing before his latest golden statue, Liang Jinwei prepares to consult a far more dangerous ally. He turns to the shadows, demanding to know if his secret partner spotted the mysterious intruder. Crackling with golden lightning, a terrifying entity manifests to mock the sheer skill of their target. This is Greed, a super-intelligent phantom who admits the thief easily bypassed all of his tracking marks. Stunned by this failure, the guildmaster wonders if they are dealing with legendary ancient entities. But the golden beast just laughs hysterically, asking if his human partner has completely lost his mind. Greed explains that all sinful delusions like himself are currently nothing more than harmless phantoms, bound forever to the main city and unable to escape their digital prison on their own, warning that only the arrival of the great cataclysm will finally unleash their true forms. Liang Jinwei narrows his eyes, finding this mysterious newcomer named 11 to be quite an interesting puzzle. Greed wonders how any mere human could possibly surpass their own godlike power, but the guildmaster shrugs it off, focusing on the massive cataclysm set to strike in just 1 month. Confident in his absolute control, he knows their target will eventually make a move and expose himself, planning to seize that exact moment to eliminate the kid and secure their ultimate profits, leaving the Golden Phantom cackling in delight at his partner's cold and ruthless efficiency. Meanwhile, Liang Jinwei silently wonders if betraying his monstrous ally might yield an even greater reward. Staring out over the glittering skyline of Ringstar City as the countdown to chaos officially begins. Over the next few days, wild rumors of rogue, high-ranking security robots spread like wildfire through the streets. But the clever guild spins the panic into a massive marketing campaign to recruit desperate new warriors. Meanwhile, the local media goes wild over Eleven's sudden disappearance after his legendary tournament run, prompting the furious Apex Guild to launch a massive manhunt for the mysterious tower intruders, leaving the public to speculate if this mysterious rookie is actually some legendary ancient powerhouse. 7 days later, the search is still on as our boy approaches the Adventurer Association, only for a guard to scoff at his outdated card and label him a total scrub, waving him right through since in F rank nobody couldn't possibly be their high-profile target. Which works out perfectly as the guards start aggressively screening anyone ranked C or higher. Wei Yi quietly chuckles at his luck, realizing his neglected adventurer status is the perfect cover. Over the past week, he has been constantly deconstructing magic crystals to boost his skill level, but just as his proficiency hits 50%, his massive stash of crystals completely runs dry. Wei Yi sighs over his empty pockets, realizing 20 million magic crystals vanished in a flash, prompting our boy to realize he desperately needs to grind for more cash. But his thoughts are interrupted by onlookers gossiping about a massive fight breaking out nearby, turning his attention toward the commotion as a familiar name suddenly catches his ear. It turns out some local bullies are trying to steal a dungeon trial spot from his old acquaintances, led by a smug jerk who openly mocks them as useless low-rank trash, standing right in front of the massive portal room where the tension is reaching a boiling point. This loudmouth is Wang Ren, a C-rank squad leader who clearly lacks basic manners. Though Lin Xiang refuses to back down, fiercely defending her team's hard-earned reservation, secretly wishing her junior Wei Yi would show up to help them out of this mess. Frustrated by the blatant unfairness, the young tank demands the administrator intervene since they arrived first. But the corrupt administrator simply shrugs, coldly suggesting they settle the dispute with a brutal duel. This ridiculous ruling leaves the team completely stunned as they realize the system is totally rigged. Seizing the perfect opportunity, the smug bully draws his glowing blades and demands they surrender the slot. With a sadistic grin, he lunges forward to teach these low-rank adventurers a painful lesson in power. He unleashes a devastating cross-slash skill, targeting the tank who desperately raises his magical energy shield. Unfortunately, this specific attack is designed to completely bypass and shatter defensive barriers on contact, sending the poor tank flying backward as his shield explodes into a million useless shards. Refusing to back down, Lin Xiang steps up with her staff to buy her injured teammate some time. only for the arrogant swordsman to quickly close the distance, ready to slice her down without mercy. Lin Xiang panics as she realizes a mage stands absolutely no chance against a high-ranking assassin, while the arrogant swordsman lunges forward, aiming to wipe out her entire team in a single blow. Suddenly, Wei Yi flashes onto the scene, effortlessly blocking the lethal strike with casual confidence, leaving both the startled mage and the stunned bully completely frozen in absolute disbelief. Our boy crackles with blue lightning, coldly declaring that a low-tier thug isn't worth their leader's time, prompting his injured old teammates to gasp in relief as they recognize their savior. Still, Lin Zhang frantically warns him to back off before he gets caught in the crossfire, but the furious bully just sneers, promising to crush this new intruder along with the rest. He unleashes a savage red slash, aiming to cleave our hero in half with one brutal swing, only for Wei Yi's eyes to glow as he instantly activates his devastating electromagnetic field. Effortlessly ducking under the lethal red slash, Wei Yi prepares to deliver a brutal counterattack. Blue lightning crackles around his body as his system triggers an insane burst of speed, leaving the arrogant swordsman completely frozen in terror as he realizes he messed with the wrong guy. Before the bully can even react, our boy delivers a devastating punch straight to his face, sending the smug jerk flying backward while his weapons go spinning uselessly through the air. This sudden display of absolute dominance leaves the corrupt administrator and the onlookers completely speechless, while the defeated squad leader slumps against a shattered wall, twitching in total agony. Even the high-ranking observers sweat in panic, realizing they couldn't even track the kid's movements. Standing calmly amidst the silence, Wei Yi asks if anyone else wants to continue this fight, prompting the terrified lackeys to quickly grab their broken boss and run for their lives. This defeated bullies carry their broken leader away, fleeing the scene in absolute terror, while Lin Xiang runs up to thank our boy for saving them just in time. She happily explains how thrilled she was to hear about his upcoming level up, but Wei Yi modestly shrugs it off as pure luck against a careless opponent, prompting his teammates to point out that he just effortlessly floored a C-rank squad leader. They eagerly beg him to share his training secrets while introducing their newest guild recruit, which brings a rare smile to our hero's face as he finally lets his guard down. Suddenly, Lin Xiang calls the team to order as their scheduled dungeon raid finally begins, with the portal administrator ushering them directly toward the glowing blue gateway, leaving Wei Yi thrilled to grind this high-value zone for some much-needed cash. Lin Xiang warmly invites Wei Yi to join their raid, promising it will easily cover his living expenses, and our boy immediately jumps on the offer, absolutely thrilled to secure some easy cash. Instantly, a massive blue warp gate crackles to life, ready to transport them to the coordinates. While the system confirms their passage, the portal administrator points them toward the dangerous demon's den ahead, dropping the squad right outside Ringstar City in a desolate, rocky canyon of pure stone. Handheld scanners beep loudly, confirming the surrounding magical energy readings are perfectly stable for their mission, which allows the local staff to officially classify this purple rift as a C-rank joint raid, leaving the rookie tank completely awestruck as he stares at a demon's den for the first time. Unfortunately, a rival squad of 10 seasoned adventurers immediately scoffs at their arrival, complaining about shrinking rewards, prompting Wei Yi to realize this high-value dungeon is about to become a chaotic, crowded free-for-all. Standing nearby is a bizarre three-man squad wearing matching red masks and heavy gray robes, their leader sporting a creepy metallic grin that radiates an incredibly uncomfortable, lifeless vibe, prompting Wei Yi to consult his AI assistant, only to learn their stats are completely blocked. Before he can investigate further, the portal administrator steps forward to outline their joint raid mission, explaining they must gather rare minerals while eliminating the dangerous boss lurking deep inside the den, promising the guild will buy back any valuable loot while letting them divide the work themselves. Naturally, the arrogant rival squad immediately claims the boss, mocking mining as a job for losers, leaving the administrator to shrug and ask which team wants to dive into the portal first. This smug leader eagerly steps up, determined to hog the glory and secure the final kill, while the creepy masked trio silently watches them go, preparing to make their own sinister move. Just as the team prepares to enter, Wei Yi's AI assistant finishes scanning the creepy masked group, and the little bot warns that their leader is actually a highly dangerous heretic, a twisted class of awakened who fuel their power by consuming living souls and flesh, meaning those silent road followers behind him are actually reanimated human corpses. Realizing the unsuspecting squads have already gone inside, our boy knows a bloodbath is brewing, so he rushes straight into the crackling purple portal to prevent a total disaster, stepping onto the rocky cavern floor with his guard raised and ready for anything. He recalls asking the administrator about the safety protocols inside this dangerous zone, only to get a cold reminder that the guild won't help unless things go completely sideways, which means he is entirely on his own as his clueless teammates wave him over. This creepy masked leader stands with his silent followers, who are literally tagged as reanimated human corpses, leaving Wei Yi to realize he cannot count on anyone else to handle this hidden threat. Meanwhile, Lin Xiang raises her glowing staff, urging her team to stay alert in the dark cavern. Our boy quickly analyzes the damp, pitch-black environment, noting it is the perfect breeding ground for reptiles. Just as their clueless rookie tank spots a strange, glowing purple scale lying on the ground. Before the guy can inspect it, Wei Yi warns him it is actually highly volatile snake venom, sending the terrified rookie scrambling backward as our hero confirms they are dealing with venomous serpents, while the team discovers the arrogant rival squad already took the left fork of the cave. Lin Xiang wisely chooses the wider right path, hoping to keep her squad safe from unnecessary trouble. Unfortunately, the creepy heretic and his zombie puppets silently watch them go, preparing their ambush. Wei Yi glances back, sensing the creepy masked trio tailing them through the dark cavern. Meanwhile, the sinister heretic leader orders his undead puppets to follow them down the right path, keeping a calculated distance as they stalk our heroes through the winding stone tunnels. Lin Xiang whispers to Wei Yi, realizing the creepy squad is likely hunting other adventurers, which explains why the rest of the team felt an immediate spine-chilling dread around them. To protect their blind spot, our boy volunteers to bring up the rear and watch their backs, prompting the worried mage leader to agree while urging him to stay absolutely safe. She then commands the rest of the squad to stick close and keep their guards up. Unfazed by their caution, the creepy heretic simply sneers as he continues his slow, relentless pursuit, just as a thick, freezing fog rolls in to completely blind the unsuspecting adventurers. As the freezing fog rolls in, a shadowy tail slithers silently through the misty cavern floor, prompting Wei Yi to realize their stalkers aren't even bothering to hide their presence anymore, especially since the creepy heretic and his zombie puppets look ready to feast on living flesh. While our boy contemplates striking first, his AI assistant warns that the target is highly vigilant. But their tense standoff is interrupted when Lin Xiang suddenly halts the squad up ahead. Gasping in absolute disbelief, the red-haired mage stares wide-eyed at a massive hidden chamber, revealing a breathtaking cavern completely covered in glowing, high-value purple cloud crystals. This mind-blowing discovery sends the rookie tank into a frenzy over the sheer market value, leaving the rest of the ecstatic squad to celebrate their sudden, effortless path to riches. Even Wei Yi admits their luck is insane, though he knows a deadly threat is closing in. Looking closer at the glowing cavern, Wei Yi notices a few crystal pillars behaving very strangely, as they seem to harbor bizarre energy fluctuations that look suspiciously like ancient magical runes. But before he can investigate, his AI assistant warns that a hostile target is closing in fast. Suddenly, a creepy masked puppet lunges from the fog, swinging its curved blades with lethal intent, only for our boy to effortlessly block the strike, mocking the assassin for finally showing his face. Meanwhile, another reanimated corpse ambushes the rest of the squad, forcing them into a desperate struggle, though the mindless zombie shrugs off their attacks, like they are nothing but mild annoyances, prompting Lin Xiang to unleash her magic while urging the rookie tank to go all out. Realizing this direct ambush means the heretic leader must have a much bigger trap prepared, Wei Yi decides he cannot afford to waste time and prepares to end this fight instantly. Unleashing his devastating silver light skill, Wei Yi charges forward with a glowing, electrified blade and effortlessly slices the creepy puppet clean in half with one brutal vertical slash, leaving the rival squad captain completely stunned as the dark mist swirls around them. Turns out, the heretic leader has already taken a female adventurer hostage to force a surrender, demanding they drop their weapons immediately if they want to keep her alive, although she bravely tells them to ignore her safety and just take the villain down. Our boy's teammates panic as they realize this heretic can literally dissolve into black mist. Looking directly at Wei Yi, the creepy villain asks if he knew his true identity all along, genuinely shocked that a mere kid could destroy his C-rank corpse puppet so effortlessly. He then promises to turn the hostage into his next puppet before hunting our hero down. Wei Yi furiously orders the villain to stop, but the creepy heretic just laughs at his heroic efforts. Suddenly, a chilling voice echoes through the cavern, inviting them to stay trapped in the dark forever. At that exact moment, the strange runes on the purple crystals begin to glow with volatile magical energy, forming a massive glowing teleportation array that completely surrounds the heretic and his hostage, leaving the creepy villain absolutely panicked as his escape skill suddenly fails to activate. Our boy quickly pulls his teammates back, warning them to stay clear of the blinding magical blast. Staring into the light, Wei Yi realizes those weird crystal pillars were actually a massive teleportation trap, and as the dust settles, the heretic and his hostage have completely vanished from the cavern. This sudden disappearance sends the rival squad into a total panic, desperate to rescue their captured leader. But our boy quickly steps in to stop them before they run blindly into another disaster. Wei Yi stops the panicked group, warning them that escaping isn't an option anymore, as a pack of heavily armored snake warriors slithers out from the shadows, leaving Lin Xiang and her squad completely surrounded by a massive monster horde. But her terror spikes even further when she spots a massive shadow looming overhead, revealing a terrifying eye-patch-wearing snake commander who is literally a C-rank boss monster, who cold-bloodedly declares that they are all destined to become sacrifices for his queen. Backed into a corner, the squad desperately forms a defensive circle against the closing horde, absolutely losing their minds over the fact that this dungeon boss can actually speak. while Wei Yi remains completely calm, locking eyes with the massive reptilian threat. This arrogant snake commander hissing out his final warning before the slaughter begins. This heavily armored snake warriors close in, their weapons raised as they prepare to seize the squad, prompting the terrified rookie tank to turn to our boy, desperately begging him for a plan. But instead of drawing his weapon, Wei Yi just lets out a heavy, exhausted sigh. Suddenly, he raises his hands high in the air and loudly declares their immediate surrender, explaining they are just harmless adventurers who have absolutely no desire to die for nothing. This shocking display of cowardice leaves his teammates completely speechless, their jaws dropping in utter disbelief. Yet the massive snake commander seems surprisingly pleased, praising our boy for being so sensible. Still, Lin Xiang is absolutely furious, demanding to know why their strongest fighter is giving up, only for the rookie tank to quickly hush her, urging the mage to trust our hero's scheme. Meanwhile, the giant boss laughs, mocking their pathetic attempt to beg for mercy on his territory. This massive snake commander towers over our boy, cold-bloodedly demanding they prepare to become sacrifices. Instead of panicking, Wei Yi casually asks if their destination includes a personal meeting with the queen, which the boss happily confirms, explaining they will serve as the perfect nourishment at the underground altar. He proudly boasts that their queen is an ancient species demonic beast possessing unfathomable godlike power, prompting the AI assistant to quickly warn Wei Yi that this beast is easily a B-rank threat. Meanwhile, the giant commander mutters that the heretic leader should have already started the awakening ritual, before raising his weapon to forcefully herd the terrified adventurers toward their doom. But our boy just smiles, pulling out a glowing item while telling the boss not to bother, leaving the reptilian commander completely baffled by this sudden shift in the kid's attitude. Suddenly, Wei Yi lunges forward with blinding speed, ready to beat the answers out of him. Enraged by the sudden betrayal, the giant snake commander swings his massive blade with murderous intent, unleashing a powerful wave of icy energy to slice our hero into pieces. But Wei Yi easily teleports behind the beast, leaving the monster completely disoriented. With a swift thrust, he drives his electrified blade straight through the boss's head, casually reminding the giant reptile that appearances can be incredibly deceiving in battle. This dying commander curses humanity as crackling lightning surges violently through his body, sending his massive armored body crashing to the cavern floor in total defeat. This impressive victory levels our boy up, allowing him to absorb a powerful new beast soul, though he quickly realizes they are running out of time to rescue Lin Xiang. Meanwhile, his ecstatic teammates rush over, completely amazed that his cowardly surrender was just a clever ruse. This remaining snake warriors hiss in absolute fury, refusing to let the adventurers escape alive. Fortunately, the rookie tank steps up with his glowing shield, drawing their aggro immediately, urging Wei Yi to rush ahead and rescue the hostage while they hold the line. Our boy tells them to stay safe before his AI assistant points him toward the exit, leading him straight into a dark, winding tunnel filled with thick, swirling mist. Dashing through the pitch-black cavern, Wei Yi moves like a flash of lightning, scattering bright fluorescent powder along the ground to guide his teammates through the gloom. But his quick sprint is cut short when Lan Bao warns him of another split path. Staring at the endless maze, our hero sighs in frustration at these tedious, repetitive tunnels, prompting his AI assistant to project a complex holographic map littered with dangerous traps. Realizing they are running out of time, Wei Yi desperately tries to deduce the Serpentkin's secret path. Meanwhile, deep within the cavern, a captured adventurer desperately begs for mercy before a glowing purple altar, as he bitterly regrets getting greedy over the purple cloud crystals, while dark magic binds him tight, screaming in absolute agony as the volatile energy begins to violently tear his body apart, until he completely shatters into pieces, leaving nothing but a pile of dust and broken dreams. Watching this horrific execution, the captured female leader can only stare in absolute shock and terror, while her monstrous captors coldly warn her that she is scheduled to be the next sacrifice, leaving her to realize that another elite squad leader has already met a gruesome end, especially since this terrifying chamber is literally crawling with multiple C-rank boss monsters ready to strike. But the real nightmare is the colossal chained beast looming silently in the shadows behind them. Staring at the colossal chained serpent beast, its terrifying rank and status remain completely sealed in mystery, prompting a sudden flashback to a peaceful night when a young Lin Xiang spotted a shooting star, as her loving parents playfully tried to guess what kind of childish wish she was making. Instead of dresses, the ambitious little girl declared her dream to live a radiant, shining life. But that innocent dream shattered when a rogue super AI plunged the entire world into absolute chaos, forcing her to awaken her magical powers just to survive the sudden onslaught of vicious monsters. Unfortunately, her newfound strength wasn't enough to save her parents from the devastating destruction. Crying out in absolute despair, she realized having power meant nothing if she couldn't protect her family, which drove her to train twice as hard, building a powerful squad to protect everyone around her, determined to carve out her own radiant path no matter how dark the world gets. A guild official coldly warns Lin Jiang that her squad is at the very bottom of the rankings, while her teammates desperately complain about their lack of missions and mounting living expenses, prompting the desperate leader to sacrifice all her personal savings just to buy a high-risk dungeon pass. naively believing that throwing everything into this dangerous gamble would save her beloved team from disbandment. She had poured her entire soul into surviving, yet fate refused to give her a break, and now she is stuck watching a creepy snake priest prepare her for a demonic ritual. Suddenly, the colossal chained serpent behind them begins to thrash violently, its massive bonds rattling loudly. As the terrifying beast lowers its head, its glowing eyes radiating pure, unadulterated malice, leaving the high priest to realize they still need more human sacrifices to complete the awakening, though he is left wondering why his top commander is taking so long to return. Deciding not to wait for his commander, the snake priest orders his minions to sacrifice the captives. Realizing he is in deep trouble, the heretic leader desperately commands his remaining puppet to strike, and the red-eyed beast instantly lunges forward, slicing through a snake warrior in a spray of blood. Using this sudden distraction, the cowardly villain dissolves into a cloud of black mist to save himself, mocking his captors as he prepares to slip away and leave the female hostage behind. But the snake priest just chuckles, raising his glowing staff to show this amateur some real magic, summoning a colossal purple shadow serpent that completely eclipses the fleeing heretic's pathetic escape attempt. This high priest coldly explains that humans without elemental power are completely useless to their queen, leaving the terrified villain to scream in agony as the shadow beast dissolves him into nothingness. With their master dead, the remaining corpse puppet stands completely defenseless as a massive blade swings down. A snake warrior swings his massive axe down, completely obliterating the defenseless corpse puppet in one strike. This reptilian brute scoffs at the rubble, calling the puppet absolute trash before turning his focus straight to Lin Xiang, who finds herself held at blade point by another cold-blooded guard, who viciously warns her that any sudden movement will result in her losing her eyes. Meanwhile, the creepy snake priest glides forward, declaring her the perfect final sacrifice for their queen. Instead of begging, the brave leader glares back, asking if their goal is awakening that chained beast, prompting the enraged priest to scream in fury as dark magic spikes violently impale her limbs. He fiercely declares that they will absolutely not tolerate any disrespect toward their guardian deity. This high priest explains that while humans are frail, their bodies contain the rich elemental energy monsters lack, which is exactly why they desperately need to harvest powerful souls like hers to complete the ritual. Glaring at her captors, Lin Jiang finally realizes this entire dungeon was a trap designed for them, and the smug snake priest happily confirms it, wearing a sickeningly satisfied grin on his face. He explains that sacrificing 5 C-rank human souls with different elemental affinities will summon their ancient queen, allowing the Serpentkin to rise up and become the most dominant demon clan in existence. Meanwhile, his heavily armored guards boast that humanity will soon learn to fear their supreme power. But the priest is only focused on harvesting the final elemental soul from Lin Xiang's body. Her eyes widen in absolute horror as she feels the dark magic beginning to take hold, prompting the creepy priest to unleash his dark soul art to forcefully extract her life force, as massive tendrils of shadowy energy wrap around her, lifting her high into the air. Below her, the fanatical snake warriors bang their weapons, chanting praises for their soon-to-be awakened queen. Feeling the dark magic take hold, Lin Xiang desperately struggles as her consciousness begins to fade, while the shadowy tendrils wrap tighter around her body to complete the grim extraction, prompting the colossal chained serpent to stir as 4 elemental flames ignite on the altar below. This sudden reaction leaves the creepy high priest absolutely ecstatic, believing their queen is finally awakening. But our brave mage refuses to let these scaly fanatics have their way without a fight, resolving to stop this ritual even if she has to burn her own life force. And suddenly, a blinding burst of pure energy erupts to shatter the oppressive darkness. She activates her ultimate astral soul ward, shielding her mind from corruption at a devastating cost. This reptilian priest stares in disbelief, realizing she just deployed a rare soul protection skill, though he quickly scoffs, reminding her that delaying the inevitable will only make her death slower. This smug priest mocks Lin Xiang, asking if she's actually expecting someone to come rescue her, especially since they are deep inside a hidden maze that no human could ever navigate. But his villainous monologue is cut short when the ceiling suddenly caves in with a massive crash, revealing Wei Yi diving headfirst through the rubble like an absolute badass, leaving the scaly priest completely dumbfounded to see a human drop in uninvited. Without wasting a second, our boy activates his overpowered deconstruction skill mid-air, targeting the glowing ritual altar to dismantle their entire plan in one go. Realizing what the kid is planning, the panicked priest screams at his guards to stop him, prompting the heavily armored snake warriors to desperately lunge forward to protect their sacred monument. But Wei Yi slams his hand down, instantly reducing their precious altar back into basic stone blocks. This sacred altar instantly crumbles into a shower of harmless stone blocks, completely ruining their dark ritual, while the colossal chained serpent lets out a furious roar as its awakening is abruptly cut short, leaving the snake priest to scream in absolute despair as his grand plans go up in smoke. Enraged by the sudden sabotage, the scaly guards instantly lunge forward to slice our hero to pieces, but Wei Yi easily snatches the weakened leader while his glowing clones keep the monsters busy, gently cradling Lin Xiang as he reassures her that her rescue squad has finally arrived, before looking up with glowing blue eyes, ready to turn these overgrown lizards into boots.